just a bloke in a bar.
What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to another episode of Bloke in a Bar. And don't forget, hit that like and subscribe. Takes you 2 seconds. Go to our YouTube, hit that like button, or you can go to Spotify, hit that follow button, leave us a comment. We're going to make sure we try to get back to all the comments each week. And also, it really does help the podcast. Or if you want to leave a positive review, that also really helps. Now, you may be looking and just going, wow, you are looking hot. And I'll tell you why I'm looking hot. It's all thanks to the Mark Hughes Foundation. That's right. There's one thing we do right in rugby league. We had a lot wrong. There's one thing we do right. It is the beanies for brain cancer round. Thanks to Mark Hughes. Go to markhughesfoundation.com.au, grab your beanie, and I'll tell you what, the great sugar, Joel Kane, it's a Sunday night. He messaged me, he said, Kempy, what are you doing? I said, I'm bathing my son. He said, listen, just stay right there. I'm about to cry. It means that much to me. Stay right there. I've got something for you. Anyway, so it's a Sunday night. He's got so much other things to do, but because he cares so much about beanies for brain cancer around, he gets around in your house, he drops it around, and I really appreciate it. That's why we're all wearing these beanies. That's all thanks to Joel Kane. Thanks, absolute legend. It's a bloody great cause, guys. So go to Mark Hughes Foundation, grab your beanie. As I said, if there's one thing we do right, it is this. So get around it. It's one of the best rounds in rugby league. The great Gurino, how you going, brother?
Going good, mate. Big week for me last week up the CBA Bowl. Did you catch it?
Yes, I caught it. Absolutely, mate. Absolutely. You're like a rock star up there.
Yeah, I had a good time. Don't worry. I thoroughly enjoyed myself. Kobe Black, very exciting.
Very, very exciting. Yeah, we'll get to that, mate. Don't worry about that. That's very exciting times. Who's someone that caught your eye that might have caught the Roo's eye? You know, not the public that has nowhere near the same eye as Roo when it comes to the CBA.
I thought Marcus By's young bloke for Queensland.
Oh yeah, Cooper By, I think it's called. Yeah, big fella.
Yeah.
Scored that try, number 13. Bit of an old school, as in I say old school, but like in regards to he's almost like another front rower kind of player. Yeah. Does he normally play front row or is he?
I think he usually is a lock. That's for a lot of those Queensland boys. The first time I've seen them live, so there's some very impressive players up there. Though.
Interesting, because I feel like for Queensland, if there's one weakness we kind of have at the moment, it's probably big boppers through the middle compared to New South Wales. And it's also the first time Queensland have won it in 5 years, I think.
Yeah, their record isn't great.
Yeah. I mean, to be honest, and look, I know New South Wales fans don't want to hear this, but like under-19s Queensland should never win the when you look at how many millions more people New South Wales have to choose from. So it's actually pretty amazing that Queensland win it.
Sure.
Timmy, how you going, brother?
Going well, mate.
I was going to say Nicole Casanova.
Yes, Nicole Casanova, my alter ego. Yeah. Twitter account compromised. A little bit rattled last Monday due to end up with an early exit, but Nicole Casanova's reign of terror, it's over. I've regained access to my account and there'll be no more Arabic or Bitcoin spam on my Twitter profile, so there you go.
Okay, unless you obviously learn Arabic because you are a bit of a Casanova.
Yeah, I shouldn't actually put like the complete red line through it. Like there's shut off potential chat. But
so super coach, but in Arabic. I like it. There's got something there.
Just hit a whole new audience.
Hammy, how you going, brother, after a game on the weekend?
Yeah, a game. Yep. Tigers robbed again. I think is what you're probably referring to. We just did a few. We'll get to it. Like some very West Tigers behaviour. You know,
that loss almost make you want to pull your hair out.
Well, probably not because otherwise I might get penalised and cost myself the game. But I had a lovely evening out there with Timmy out of the ninth one of the water. And you know what? Potentially the last ever game out there. Richo said unless they cough up 100 million in 7 days.
Wow.
We might not play there again. So,
I guess the government's shaking in their boots.
Yeah. Great thing about Campbelltown is if they're looking for the funding, it's a sporting facility and it's also an educational facility. So you actually pull the funding.
Oh, okay.
Because we've only won 2 of our last 17 there. We've learned 15 times in our last 17.
And like, imagine trying to pitch that to, like, we've got this home ground. They're like, do you ever win at it? Not really. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That sucks.
Yeah, because it's so underfunded. Needs more funding.
It's good to sit out there with your Hammy on the weekend and just see the win, lose or learn unfold in live time. You were able to share some great thoughts about what you learned from the game, what you learned from the loss. It was real eye-opening.
Well, it's not win, lose or learn.
Win, learn or draw.
Win, learn or draw.
Yeah.
What you learned, I should say.
Yeah. Tune in. We'll be comprehensively unpacking the game on there a little bit later on this evening.
It'll be educational, very educational.
Very educational podcast.
Part of the curriculum of rugby league.
That's right. All the students of the game, that's where you go.
Joey, I think Joey watches. He's a student of the game.
Why wouldn't he? Yeah. Great podcast. How was your weekend? Sorry, how rude of me.
To be honest, great weekend. Last night, absolute nightmare situation.
Yeah,
the little one, not sleeping, panic stations, all aboard the panic train. But we got him settled down. Chilled out. But outside of that, mate, listen, They're happy, they're healthy. That's all that matters, baby. That's
Good
all
to
that
hear.
matters. Okay, guys, don't forget, DJ Grumpy is now live. Hinterland, a part of their mental health round. DJ Grumpy will be playing from 2 till 4 p.m, giving away coffee bags on the day as well, on the 28th, aka on Saturday. That's at Hinterland. Give us a massive follow on Grumpy Drinks as well, guys, because he releases content all the time. And make sure to grab your Grumpy coffee. And don't forget, less than 30 days until I'm over in Vegas, thanks to Kayo, for Fedora vs. Sue number 2. Number 2, it's on July 20th. I cannot wait. Manny Pacquiao's also fighting that card, guys. I cannot wait. Less than 30 days till I'm in Vegas for one of the fights. I mean, the last time they fought, unbelievable. One of the greatest fights I've ever watched. Number 2's happening July 20th. Don't forget, guys, mention the code BLOKE to Luke Camilleri for a special price this end of financial year when it comes to cars. Thanks to Luke, we have a Mazda BT50 that we are drawing very soon. In the next couple of weeks, we will be drawing a Mazda BT50. It honestly blows my mind to one lucky winner of the Bloke Club. So join. It's completely free, www.bloke.club. That's all thanks to Luke, LCD_01 on Instagram. If you want a good price on a car, give him a message, mention Bloke, or go into Ashley Mazda and mention Bloke as well. All right, it's time to face the music, brought to you by our friends over at Sportsbet. And listen, I had an okay weekend because I got up. I had Connor Watson, Roosters 13+. $9, not bad.
Saw that on the feed.
Not bad.
Not a bad week for me as well. I had Cam Munster anytime try score in Origin, $5.60. Cam Munster man of the match, $13 as well. So get around us on the feed. We're in some decent form at the moment. Just on the betties for brain cancer.
Yes.
Sportsbet also donating $1,000 for every try scored this weekend as well.
Oh, yes. That's so good.
So we've been doing it for many years. I think we're zeroing in on $600,000 raised overall. So any coaches, any players watching, just put the defensive stuff away this weekend. We want to see plenty of tries across the weekend. Obviously, go to a great cause.
It's like play like the Tigers?
Okay. We kept it to 16. Don't play like the Tigers in the second half because Rays didn't score a single try.
Tell you what, Tigers Manly could cost you a fortune this weekend.
I think we smashed Manly as well. Looking forward to it. All right, let's get into the results from...
Two clubs in crisis.
One club in crisis, one club on the way up.
It's the Crisis Cup.
Fake
The head
news.
coach gets to keep his job.
No, fake news.
I'm just joking.
No.
Just joking.
Yeah, there's no way Seabold's keeping his job. Tigers 12, robbed by the Raiders 16. Now, there was points for Matty and myself in this one. Incorrect. The only person who got points in this game was Guru. He had the Raiders 1 to 12, $3.05.
Beautiful.
Well done to you, Kempy. Sucked in, mate. Raiders 13+. You miss out.
Damn it.
Obviously, back the Tigers, and Matty had the Raiders -9.5. So there's the first game of the round. Next game, we got the Wars versus the Panthers. Now, no one saw this coming. Everyone had the Warriors, rightly so.
Wow.
The Panthers didn't have any Origin players playing. It was over in New Zealand as well, but the Panthers surprised everyone. So no points in that game. Same story in the next game. Dolphins 20 defeated by the Knights 26. We all had the Dolphins, or most of us did, except Denon. You actually had the Knights. Only problem was you had them 13+. So no points for you in that one. So we're off to a bit of an ordinary start here. Rue's the only person with any points across the first 3 games of football. Then we go to the Souths 24, defeated by the Storm 25. Matty, you had Souths +10.5, so you get $1.90 there. Denon and Rue, you had the Storm 1 to 12, $2.90.
Thanks for coming, baby.
Yep.
Easy money.
Got a bit lucky, but yeah, sure. Then we've got the Broncos 34, defeat the Sharks 28. Denon, you took the Broncos head-to-head for a whopping $1.50.
Thanks for coming.
But, we laugh about it, but no points for anyone else.
Exactly.
We are the Sharks.
Exactly.
So, yeah, pretty tough going in that game. Sharks +4.5. Yeah, line changed. Hard times, Matty. All right, then we go... Chookies versus the Cowboys. Chookies versus the Cowboys. Chooks 42. Hammer the Cowboys 8.
Wow.
Denon, you had the Chooks head-to-head for a whopping $1.44.
Just banking them up, baby. Just banking them up.
Myself and Matty had the Chooks -6.5 for $1.90. Then we go to the Eels versus the Titans. Eels 36 defeat the Titans 20. No points for anyone. A few of us had the Titans 13+. Both of us had 1 to 12 for both sides. No one brave enough to take the apart from Timmy.
Jeez.
You were the only person who got him in late. So
winner all weekend and you brushed me.
$5.30 where you saluted there. He was 13 plus.
Mate.
Avoiding the nudie run by this
Yeah,
stage.
I was on the nudie run heading into the final game, so we all win.
It was going to be Aaron Woods-esque sort of stuff.
Oh, wow. Oh, wow.
What did I have in the Roosters game? Don't I have them 13 plus?
No, yeah, the Cowboys won to 12.
Bold.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. That's
Yeah,
good.
a little
Bad
bit
punting,
strange.
mate. That's just bad punting.
Very bad punting. Speaking of bad punting, Origin. All these morons had the New South Wales 13 plus.
Yikes.
The people that actually get footy had Queensland head-to-head for $3.10.
Easy money. Thanks for coming.
None of us hit the frame with a try score or a man of the match, though. Unless you followed me on the feed, and I had Cameron Munster on there. So round 16, Denon, $8.94. Rue,
wow.
Rue $5.95. Timmy, $5.30. Myself, $5. Matty, $3.80.
I can't, like the gall of you guys to be having a go at me for some head-to-head bets, hey? Because you're banking up. It's called the missionary of punting, all right? You take what works,
It's only
baby.
because you tipped your fucking state. That's all it was.
Mate, come on, mate. I built up that was only $3. I probably still would have won even without that.
No, you wouldn't have. But,
No, you wouldn't have.
What did you get?
$5.95.
And what did I get without that?
You had $8.94. So take away the $3.10. Rue would have beaten you by 9 cents.
Oh, Jesus.
Fucking loser.
Oh, wow. I nearly would have won without one. That is amazing stuff. Look, so what's the end score?
Overall, Denon, 138.86.
Oh, my God.
You're 8 cents ahead of Matty, 138.78.
Thanks for coming.
Rue,
baby.
110.27. Myself, 98.36. Timmy, 97.96.
So what was I again?
138.86.
Ooh, wow. That guy knows punting. That guy gets it. Far out. Can I get some love around here? It's just fucking hate. Bunch of fucking
You
haters,
spent
man.
the first 8 weeks whinging about changing the rules.
I still believe in that, by the way.
Relentless.
I still believe in it logically, by the way. But hey, look, it's all right. I've got a bunch of haters around me. It's okay. I'll continue to shine.
Yeah. Well, if you want to share the love with Denon, follow him on the feed.
Yeah,
Yep.
exactly.
Got his eye in.
I'll continue to shine bright like a diamond.
Didn't see that coming.
One of the great songs. All done?
All done.
All done.
Yep.
Stay tuned for Face the Music at the end of the show. Massive thank you as always to Sportsbet. Give us a follow on the feed. As always, we have each week we have about anywhere from 8 to 10 bets that you can copy. And yeah, sometimes I swing for the fences. Sometimes I go a bit conservative, like the Connor Watson 13 plus with the Roosters.
Sometimes he puts a 10-league Stanley Cup multi on. Never know what you're going to get on there.
Exactly. It's all variety. I told you, I'm the sizzler of the feed, baby. All you can eat, baby. All you can eat. Okay, that's all done. Thanks to massive thank you, Sportsbet. Alrighty, it's time for the code story of the week. Don't forget discounted subscriptions to Bloke listeners, which actually is most likely going to end soon, guys. Literally going to end soon. I think at the end of this financial year. At the end of this financial year. So go to codesports.com.au/bloke. Enter the redemption code BLOKE and you'll get access to a special discounted subscription for the entire year that works out to be about $4 a month. You won't get this deal anywhere else, guys. It's an outstanding deal. And as I said, I'm pretty sure it's going to end soon. And the link will be in the show notes, or as I said, codesports.com.au/bloke. Get it before it goes, guys. This is... When it comes to articles in rugby league, it's no other nonsense, there's no other news. It's all about sports on Code Sports. It's the best in the business. You don't want to miss it. And once you try it, trust me, you never go back. It's so, so good. But Mobsy, how you going, brother?
Good, boys. How's the weekend?
Very, very good, thank you. Didn't sleep last night, but that's all good.
Oh, parenting. How much fun. Does
Yeah,
anyone
it
prepare you for it?
They really don't, to be honest. Honestly, the closest thing to prepare me for it was army camps, because you don't sleep on that stuff. And it's almost like that. It's like a battlefield out there. Obviously, I'm speaking metaphorically, but seriously. Cleaning up poo diapers and kids, you losing their shit. Anyway.
Then there's the baby as well.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Mate, speaking of shit, what's your story today? Actually, it's not actually about you, the story. It's about who it's about, the club.
Yeah, I'm going to pass this off to Hammy because, unfortunately, mate, we're talking about your West Tigers this week.
How they were robbed on the weekend? The hair pulling penalty?
Well, you and Timmy were out there. Tim, ruling, verdict?
Penalty. You can't pull a bloke's hair.
Yeah, grubby club.
We should have had Ashley Klein reffing that one because he doesn't have hair, so he wouldn't have paid that. Paid that one. Yeah.
Well, it's coming up on June 30 now, so we were taking a bit of a look around what's going on with as clubs try and get their rosters in order, how many places they've got to fill, and then all of a sudden there's a bit of mail around late last week that Talon De Silva has permission to look elsewhere and negotiate with other clubs. He's contracted for the next 18 months, ended the 2026 season, and it came about pretty quickly because was understood that Newcastle were in the mix for him, because if they were managed to sign him, that they would maybe move Phoenix Crossland to 13 and play Talon De Silva there with a bit of a 9 role with Matt Arthur, with Jaden Brayley off to the Raiders. So we had a look into it and understand that the Tigers have given him permission to look around for 27, not for next season, not immediately, but hearing a word that maybe the Knights asked about an early release for Kai Pearce-Paul to join this season, which doesn't look like it's happening at the moment. But it's now there's a couple of other clubs in the mix. So Parramatta having a red-hot dig by the looks of it. Manly is another one, because obviously they've got Lockie Croker there and Jake Simpkins. So look at what they want to do there. And the other one's North Queensland, who they were in discussions with Reid Marnie about potentially taking over Reece Robson's role. My understanding is I haven't quite come to an agreement on asking price. So that's going to be tough, because obviously Reid Marnie signed that big deal when he went from Parramatta to the Bulldogs. So hookers, it's probably a good position to be in at the moment if you're an in-demand hooker, because there's clubs out there who need them. But just zeroing in on the West Tigers, it's tough. And I'm keen to get your thoughts as a fan, Hammy, because now you've got the scenario where you've got Talon De Silva there, who's could be the future, and you've got Appy Coruscant there, who's playing really well. And I can see there's two schools of thought, because Appy's 32, still playing really good footy, and he's on until the end of next year. He wants a 2-year extension, which would take him to the end of 28. So that's another 2 seasons beyond that for Talon De Silva playing that second fiddle role. So what he does. But as a club, you haven't played finals since 2011. There's that backdrop there.
Yes, I'm aware of that. Yep.
Sorry. Past history. We'll leave that alone. But, are you in a win? Do you want to win now? And if you want to win now, Appy Coruscant is one of the premier hookers in the game. So you want him there at your club. Or do you want to plan for the next decade with Talon De Silva and build your club around there? Where would you go as a fan?
Yeah, I think, look, I'd be terrified to lose Appy and then see him go somewhere else and, succeed. I know there's been a bit of chat, whether, not sure how serious it is, about maybe some interest in going to the Perth Bears when they kind of pop up. He did play at North Sydney kind of coming through as well. So there's a bit of chat about that. Talon De Silva, definitely he's going to be a gun in the not too distant future. All of his stuff in attack, brilliant already at the moment, first grade ready. Probably still a few question marks defensively, which I think is why... and I suppose Appy's in his way as well, so there's a bit of reluctance to give him the reins. So yeah, he's going to be stuck. If he stays, he'll be stuck behind Appy, and you get the sense he's probably getting a bit itchy and thinks he's ready to go. So I can completely understand why he wants to do it. But yeah, I don't think I'd be letting Appy go to lock him down, and you're taking a punt on hopefully this guy can get to like an Appy Coruscant level. I think a club like us, particularly because Appy's the co-captain as well, you want to keep him there to bring the next kind of crop through, not just the next hooker, but like all the young guys coming through. So it's a tough spot, but this sort of thing happens, and I think as a Tigers fan, I'd probably rather we prioritise locking down Appy.
Yeah, and it's funny, isn't it? Because Benji Marshall could be having question marks over his job down the track if they don't win. So, he needs to be in a win now moment as well as setting up for the future. And that's Appy Coruscant, right?
But isn't this the job of a general manager? Because you often see coaches make decisions to make them win now. But this is why a general manager is so important, because they're not making decisions about getting wins. They're about building towards a future, about making sure that a roster isn't being dictated to because a coach's motivations is probably different to a general manager. General manager, like long sustained success. A coach is like, I need to win now, otherwise I'm getting sacked. Is there a worry? First of all, does that mean that Appy Coruscant deal is done? Because to be able to say publicly he is, okay to speak elsewhere, surely you're not saying that until the Appy Coruscant deal is done, signed.
Well, I think they're giving him the flexibility and again, this is for 27, so he can go and have a look for 27. They have not given him permission to leave this year or even for next season. So I don't think anything's done there yet. And to your point, I think those discussions have been had internally between Shane Richardson and the board and Benji Marshall about, okay, what do we want to do here? And with the exact thought of what we're talking about here, we want to set up for the future. We want to make sure that we're not losing our good young talent, but also knowing that we want to win now. So, and if it's going to be on Benji Marshall, the win-losses, and his job's going to be on the line, then you've got to give Benji the keys to the castle, right? Give him the team that he wants. And if Appy's the guy he wants, then you've got to get in there and back him and back his vision to get this right. So
what happens if Perth come in, offer a mozza, Appy says, oh, mate, I can't say no to that. Talon goes, mate, first of all, like really close mates with Galvin. You've told me I can leave. Is there a chance I could lose both of them?
Well, that's the concern. So they've got 4 months now because November 1 is when the Bears can start signing players. So we're going to have a look at that this week of every club's November 1 guys to see who your priority re-signings are. So you can head over to Code and check those out. But for the Tigers, you've got some priority re-signings across the board. Jerome Luai, Jareem Bula, which we can talk about, Appy Coruscant, and then... Is it Talon De Silva? Where does that sit? So I think they're going to want to get that Appy deal done before November 1 to stave off that concern.
I'm just worried that they've jumped the shark telling De Silva to go if Appy hasn't re-signed yet, because you don't know what Perth's going to offer. And then if I'm telling De Silva, there's no way I'm turning around. Like after you've already told me I'm gone, I'm not worth sticking around and being in the club's future. There's no way I'm turning around and going, oh, okay, so Appy's gone, I'm second choice. I mean, and I just wonder whether it's being handled correctly, unless behind closed doors there's already an agreement settled between Appy and the club.
Yeah, I think they've made their decision that they desperately want to re-sign Appy.
Yeah.
So that'd be the case. But if you're Appy Coruscant, would you want to wait till November and have a little look around?
Well, that's what I'm just a bit surprised at, because, again, they've got time with Talon De Silva. So I don't understand why they're saying now you can go look elsewhere when he could just do that anyway, November 1st. When they haven't re-signed Appy yet. Again, like Perth, this could be, and I'm not saying this is happening, but if I'm a manager and I'm trying to rustle up as much money from Perth as possible so that my client is about to retire, he gets his big deal at the end of his career, this is exactly how I'd play it. Get Tigers all the way to the point where they're like, oh, we're desperate to keep you. Go back to Perth and say, listen, you're either up it or he's gone. I don't know. I hope there's an Appy Coruscant signing announcement within the next week or two. Otherwise, I don't understand why they would move this quickly and this early to tell Talon that he can speak elsewhere.
Yeah, it is surprising when someone's... And I know they've gone through some issues with Lockie Galvin recently, but you know, there wasn't any of the rumblings behind the scenes. You know, De Silva's there in first grade. He's playing at the moment. He's going through the paces, so he's developing as he goes along. So I'm kind of with you as to why they would expedite this. They might have a plan in place of what they want to do, but you know, one of those is going to have to be convincing Dream Buller of his future there. And you know, the two words you probably don't want to hear, Hammy, is Isaac Moses manages him, and you know, there's been a parade of players that he's led out of the West Tigers over the years, and Galvin being the most recent one. So you're going to want to show Dream Buller that, hey, we want to commit to you for the next decade. Here's a 5-year deal or whatever it is going to be in play for him. We're going to show you that these are the building blocks of where we're going to take you.
Just quickly, Hammy, do you want Buller at the club for the next 5 years? Would you want him to get a 5-year deal?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think so. He's going.
Yep.
You know,
because I see some fans that don't necessarily rate Buller. Some Tigers fans.
Yeah, well, his first year was exceptional. Second year probably a little bit quieter than his first year, but this year I think he's showing glimpses of getting back to the stuff that he did in the first year. I
like him too. I think
he's only
great.
so young. So, you know, he's only been playing rugby league for 3 or 4 seasons in kind of, you know, proper sort of top grade stuff. So, yeah, I'd be more than happy if they wanted to throw him a 5-year deal. Yeah.
Now, another question. How long are they going to allow Benji to have that kind of final say on recruitment? It sucks to say it, but they are 1 win off the bottom of the table. And if they, let's say they were to win a spoon again, is Benji safe? Is he under pressure? What's going on there?
Well, it's interesting you say that, because Shane Richardson spoke to Phil Rothfield at the weekend and said, we're backing Benji, and even if they get the wooden spoon this year, they're still in Team Benji. So they've guaranteed him to the end of the year at least. So they'll take him into next season and see where things go. And this is where it gets interesting, because one of the Benji disciples has been Jerome Luai, who was pretty adamant when he came over. He said, I was won over by Benji. The spiel, it won me over. So he's still got those exit clauses in his contract. Until he takes them up or they're removed, there's going to be questions about him. Every 12 months, we're going to be coming back here to ask that same question. So Jerome's going to be equally invested as Benji's on the club and getting them in the right place. But I go back to the point where, you know, Benji's 40 years old. He's the same age as Cameron Serraldo. He had a year of being an assistant and was thrown into the head coaching job. Seraldo has been in coaching setup since 2014. It's a decade. Andrew Webster was a captain coach for a while, but he's been an assistant coach in the coaching setup for 15 years. And even Jason Ross, it was such an abrupt appointment. And you talk to coaches around the league who were just stunned that he was promoted so quickly into that role. So, and I feel for Benji in that regard for not being able to get the runs on the board of running a roster of making sure that you have everything covered. I know he's got John Morris there and Brett Hodge. He's got some assistants there who can help with a lot of things, but it's tough for a guy like Benji to get. You don't know what you don't know, and the experience will be the one to dictate that. So I think the Tigers have shown some good points. I think the Tigers are very aware that outside of that Storm defeat, there hasn't been any big losses. They've been keeping things tight, and the improvements there, so they are on the up. It's just you look at that bottom of the ladder and think, geez, that game last night between Parramatta and the Titans. Yes, there was some dodgy defence in there, but geez, there's a hot race at the bottom. There's no standout really bottom side. So I think the Tigers are aware of where they are. I don't think there's any misconceptions, but I think that there's a couple of. They've got a bit of a topsy-turvy run home with games against teams like the Bulldogs and the Warriors coming up, so that's going to be tough for them. But I think there's some winnable games. I think they've got back-to-back games. They've got 2 games against the Titans to round out the season as well. Yep. They play them twice in a space of about 6 or 7 weeks. So I can see him avoiding the spoon, and then we'll see what happens for next season.
Is there sorry, Timmy, just one quick question. Is there a concern, though? Benji's been coach, and I believe they should back Benji. But he went wooden spoon. He'll go potentially bottom 4 again. Like, the fact of the matter is, there's a chance he goes back to back wooden spoon, and that would make it 4 spoons in a row. Two before him, and then 2 after he arrived. Like, is that okay as a fan if that does happen? Do you think? I know we can all look at them and they're playing better footy. I totally get that. But the fact of the matter is, that's where the club's at. Yeah,
it was definitely would be frustrating. Hopefully, we do avoid that's another spoon. But I don't really know. Unless it's like a Wayne Bennett or a Craig Bellamy guy, available to coach.
Yep.
Why change and rush to a completely new person, completely new system? You made a good point about Jerome Luai signed under the proviso that Benji was the coach. He's got options in his favour, after Benji's, agreement is done as well. So, and there's a lot of players that are coming out that have come to the club and they've all gone, I'm here because I want to play for Benji. Terrell May, a lot of the other ones that have signed as well, Taruva. I think there's a bit of having Benji as the coach is actually an attractive prospect to some players, not every player. We saw Galvin go, but I don't know why you'd rush him out the door when, you got to give him a little bit of time. I know he's had a season already, but I'd be happy as a fan to give him a little bit longer as well.
Well, let's not forget, they signed him to a 5-year deal with that succession plan initially with Tim Sheen. So they saw Benji as a 5-year first-grade coach prospect to get them where they needed to be. And so we're 2 years into that now.
I would just say, if and it's easy for me to say I'm not a Tigers fan, but at least stick this plan out. How many plans have been put in place and Tigers go, done, they cut it short. It's at least stick the plan out. Timmy, what are you going to say, mate?
Oh, initially I was just going to say, when Mobsy was speaking about how tight that wooden spoon race is, there's 2 points separating 13th to 17th. There's 4 points separating 9th to 17th, which is crazy. And yeah, it's a tough one around Benji because, if he does go spoon into a bottom 2 or 3 sort of thing by end of season, there has to be pressure on. But at the same time, you look at what he's come into and the job that he's been asked to do and change this club. I think, results are important, but more important, I think, Hammy, is just, you've seen Galvin leaving, you've seen Talon De Silva reportedly, looking like he might be leaving the club as well. You just want to see the off-field sort of stuff starting to build. And as you said, players want to be there, wanting to stay. And if you can retain players and not have them leaving and you finish last or second last year, all right, let's really just invest for a couple more years and see how this goes. But if you're not getting the results and players are leaving the club, then you go, all right, how long do we stick this out for?
But yeah, look, I think they should stick the plan out. They look much better. I think the main focus, if I was, running Tigers, whatever, would be just building a team around Benji. Because I think that the way I see it is Benji can be a figurehead to recruit. Just build a team around him. At the moment, who else is there? Who else are you going to bring to the club and do what they're going to do? Mate, thank you so much. Any other big stories this week on Code?
Yeah, it's good. Travis Main did a really touching piece with the family of James Ackerman. Can you believe it's been 10 years since since the death of James Ackerman from that on the field. So he's spoken to the family. They had a celebration of his life at the weekend. But how good's this? Was an organ donor and has gone on to save more than 40 lives.
Wow.
Which
That's
is
incredible.
One of the saddest stories in rugby league, but the family's found some positives to it, and so that's really good. Travis has done a great job with that. Staying up there around the Redcliffe area, Matty John's done a piece for us on Isaiah Katoa, especially with all the talk about whether Cleary's going to be set for Origin and whatnot, but just this rapid rise of Isaiah Katoa and watching him and breaking down some of his plays. So doing the sort of the Nathan Cleary looking confused when you approach the line, but it's all setting up for a trap. And then there's a moment that Matty calls the pause and withdraw, and you have a look at the Cowboys game the week before where he singled out who was the prop there, Jordan McLean, and went to the line, paused, threw it out the back line, and just step by step breaking down how that defence just fell over like dominoes, and just what this kid's doing at 21 years of age. It's remarkable. So, some really nice reads in there at the moment.
Yeah, so Matty Johns, right?
Yes.
Yeah, how good. All right, go to codesports.com.au/bloke. Use code bloke, guys. Massive thank you, Mobsy, to come in. Appreciate it, mate. And use the code before it's gone. All righty, it is time for Menulog's Hungriest Player. Use code. And this one brings me plenty of happiness to announce the Hungriest Player, because this guy has been a revelation for this club and just working away in the background. You got other big superstar names and maybe other rookies that have stolen headlines this year. But this rookie for me has just been absolutely incredible. And it is Iongi. That's right. Use code Iongi, IONGI, for free delivery this week. And here's another hungry shout out to Hector's Seafood in Rye. R-Y-E, in Rye. Whereabouts is that? Is that
That's
close
in
by?
Victoria.
Yeah, Rye. Okay, in Victoria. In Rye, serving up the best potato cakes and barramundi that you can get on Menulog. Use code IONGI on Menulog to score free delivery from any local legend near you. And IONGI for me, what an incredible performance yesterday. And honestly, I make the argument they probably don't win without IONGI. They had a couple of really good performances, but he's been a revelation. And what I meant earlier is, there have been some other rookies that have been stealing headlines. And, unless you really watch the game of rugby league and watch every match, or you're an Eels fan, not enough people are talking about Iongi. We're talking about a boom fullback in a key position, probably on minimum, that moved from Penrith to the Eels and has been absolutely phenomenal. And, I know you wouldn't select him in Origin this year. It's too soon. I get all that. But I tell you what, with everything, with all the form around fullback for Queensland or whatever, he is eligible for Queensland. He's going to be putting pressure on some people over the next few years, in my opinion. He has been nothing short of outstanding. And matter of fact, if you just look at form this year for fullbacks, I'd have him in my top 5, regardless of age, rookie, whatever. What do you reckon, Roo?
Yeah, completely agree. It's been great this year. I think, two things to note with Iongi that I think Parramatta's done really well. One, Papali's been in the building as well. I think competition for spots is always a good thing. We got to the end of those trials and sort of went, who's going to be the fullback? Iongi has just grabbed it with 2 hands and he's never let go of it. The other thing about Iongi, he's young. He's played 60 reserve grade games.
Which is huge in today's generation.
Yeah, 100%. You don't get enough kids if you look at a player like Galvin, the way he's coming to first grade, I don't think he played flag. I think he played a handful of New South Wales Cup games. Ongi, to play 60 games, that's 2 full seasons against grown men.
And he killed it in both years.
100%.
All of these guys come into first grade, and it's have you even killed it for multiple seasons in Resis yet?
Yeah, they come from, SG ball and sort of just jump straight in, especially the way that the seasons are scheduled and whatnot. So I think it is one thing that with a lot of guys, they just, it used to be a badge of honour. You'd show up to Wentworth Park. You'd show up to all these places, play your 100 reserve grade games to prove you get an opportunity. Most guys don't have to do that nowadays.
Yeah.
I think it's the guys, and, another guy we'll talk about that partnered him in the halves was Hawkins, who I would imagine Hawkins probably has close to 100 reserve grade games.
Easy. Yeah.
It matters.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think you usually find the blokes that have spent at least 60 to 80 games in reserve grade, when they come into first grade, they don't have 3 or 4 good games and then struggle with consistency. They usually hit a certain level and stay there for the most part. And I'm with you, Roo. And I just think Iongi, is he leading the comp for metres made? I think at least for fullbacks, I think he might be up there. I'll check in a second. But I think he's been absolutely phenomenal. What do you reckon, Timmy?
Yeah, he's been the shining light for Parramatta this year, Iongi. He's they've lost Mitch Moses for big parts of the season. Dill Brown obviously missed out on the weekend, and going in with rookie halves and a rookie fullback to get a win up, albeit against the Titans who are up and down themselves. But He's been brilliant for him since round one. He's racking up massive attacking stats most weeks, especially metres, as you said. And the biggest thing about Iongi's game for me is just he's so rounded for such a young talent and a rookie at NRL level. And, to your point of the New South Wales Cup experience, that obviously plays a big part of it. But he's got electric speed. He's got a really good passing game. He's got a strong running game. His timing when he chimes into the back line seems spot on every time. So you often see a lot of these rookie fullbacks come into the game, and their biggest strength is generally they've got a really strong running game, but it takes a bit for the passing game to come or the time or these sorts of things. But Iongi doing it with different halves pairings quite often. He's been brilliant all year for them.
What do you reckon, Hammy?
Yeah, gun. I mean, it was a big call from the Eels to let go of Gutho last year to, kind of squeeze him in, but it doesn't really look like they've missed too much. I know he's, obviously got a lot less experience and what have you, but he's certainly been one of the Eels' best, if not their best, all season so far. So having a great season, and he was very important in that win yesterday. Yeah,
so he's in the top 10 in his rookie season. He's number 8 for metres made. And he's actually second for runs behind Tedesco by only 6 runs. That's for a rookie season, and for the size he is, it's absolutely outstanding.
Just off the back of what Hammy said there as well, obviously a really tough decision to let Clint Gutherson go, but I think, Jason Ryall's Eels addressed, hey, we're going into a rebuild here. Let's go all in. They've got the rookie 9, they've got the rookie fullback, Dill Brown's on his way out. I think they're better off to learn some hard lessons this year. I think it's going to pay dividends for them long term, because if they would have kept Clint Gutherson, you're going through this same process in 2 years' time, realistically. I think it's been managed, despite, where they are on the ladder and wins and losses, all that sort of shit. I think Parramatta have handled this really well.
And you got to think about it as well. He's averaging 175 metres in a bottom 4 side essentially right now. It's one thing to do it in a top 8 side. Imagine it doing it when your forwards are getting dominated for a large part of the season. So I think that although he's already really well-rounded, imagine what he's going to be like in 5 years. Imagine all the little things he's learning right now as a first grader. So Iongi for me, I hope we're saying it correctly. Honestly, what's crazy is I've been told 2 different ways. I got told Iongi and Iongi. So please, he's Māori?
I think it's Iongi.
Iongi? Let me just check. Is he Māori, or I'll just check his heritage so that that'll give us a better clue as to. He has just been so good, so good, and what a smart purchase from the Eels. When you think about that recruitment and you go, we're going to get Joash Papali and Iongi, 2 reserve graders in 2 solid sides. That's smart recruitment, because you're not going to break the bank, but also if one doesn't go well, obviously the other one's the chances of both going poorly are pretty low. And as you said, Brute, they put pressure on each other. So I'm just trying to look right now. So he's Tongan. Okay, so someone that's of Tongan heritage, if that is a Tongan last name, please let us know the correct way to say it so that we can get it right. Outstanding stuff. Iongi.
I'll tell you what as well, and it's a little bit all over the place, so I won't go too deeply in it, but you have a look at the stats that Gutho put up for the Dragons last year. He's on track to equal those anyway.
Wow.
There's obviously a lot of things that Gutho brings, leadership,
and
all that sort of stuff,
defense.
100%, but when you look at the price point in particular, I think Parramatta's made the right call here.
And the plan is to rebuild. The plan is so really, really good stuff. Isaiah Iongi, he is our hungriest player. Massive thank you, as always, to Menulog, and a shout out to Hector Seafood in Rye, serving up the best potato cakes. Man, I love potato cakes. And barramundi that you can get on Menulog. Go to any local legend near you on Menulog, supporting the local legend, guys. Massive thank you to Menulog. Okay,
he's also Cypriot heritage as well.
What, sorry?
He's Tongan, but he's also got, it's called Cypriot.
Yeah, Cyprus. Marcos Baghdadis sort of territory.
Yeah.
Cyprus. I can't laugh. I'm terrible at it too. Cyprus. That's interesting.
Marcos Baghdadis territory.
Okay.
That's good from you.
Who'll be playing for Cyprus in the next World Cup? Surely they'll make it.
One to watch. Yeah.
Time for Grumpy Coffee Team of the Week. Grumpy Coffee Team of the Week, guys. Make sure to grab your Grumpy Coffee. And I tell you what, in regards to our roaster, he's one of the best in the business. He's got 15 years of roasting experience. He's owned 2 roasteries before. We've got world-class roasting facilities as well. Our beans, they're from Colombia, Brazil, Guatemala, PNG as well. And our cupping is 85 out of 100. And so for mixed, that's for single, you're going to get about 90 out of 100. For 85 out of 100 for mixed is essentially as high as you can get, guys. So it's high quality beans, guys. We've got pods, we've got ground, we've got whole beans. Go to grumpycoffee.com.au, grab your Grumpy Coffee. Okay, at 1, Iongi. At 2, AJ Johnston. Unbelievable. This guy's... I can't believe how he can score tries all the time. It's crazy. He equals the most ever hat-tricks in the game's history. What? What the hell is crazy? Okay, at 3, Bradman Best. At 4, Benzini. At 5, Nwanga Nituase. At 6, Blaze Talangi. At 7, Hawkins, a.k.a.
Footy
Dean. At 8, Leota. Wow, what a performance by the big fella. At 9, Brayley. At 10, Haas. 11, Sorensen. 12, Blore. 13, Fainu. 15, Tarpane. 16, White. And 17, Junior Paolo. Okay, let's get into the Kayo Can't Miss moment. And if you're new to Kayo Sports, get your first month for $1. Yep, just $1. Link for this deal in the description. Offer ends June 30, which is crazy. And the Kayo Can't Miss moment, well, it was a bunch of moments. It was, are Penrith Panthers back? And also Moses Leota going against the brother, the old partner in crime that won 4 premierships, the greatest duo of front row we have ever seen, at the very least in the modern era, goes there, faces Fish, and has easily the best game he's had in a very long time. And I just think that watching those two go to battle and watching how personal but also respectful, you don't go anything less than your best against your brother is disrespectful. And what I loved about it is Fish and him went to battle, and Moses Leota was absolutely fantastic. And, rightly so, Fish gets all the praise, and he should. He is incredible. But, Moses Leota, he is a half of that pair, and I'm sure he went to this game going, hang on a sec. I'm half of the pair that won us this premiership. I'm still here. I'm still doing the damn thing. He was absolutely outstanding, and just showed you just that the importance to Penrith, to their system, to that powerful middle. There's no left and right foot steps. There's no ball playing. It is, I'm running as hard as I can, as straight as I can, and I'm finding my front as quick as I can. I tell you what, the amount of front rowers that are so worried about their own selfish need to break tackles and fight as long as they can and have the most post-contact meters, the beauty of a guy like Leota and also Fisher Harris is they're not selfish. As soon as they win that first contact, they find their front. It has nothing to do with their own personal stats, and it's everything about the team, and we saw that on the weekend with the Penrith Panthers. Incredible performance from Leota, and I've got to say, listen, I'm not willing to say our Penrith Panthers back just yet. But what I am willing to say is I'm getting more and more scared about my take a few weeks ago that they can't make the 8, because I feel like this game was the senior players that aren't a part of their top tier. I reckon Ivan Cleary challenged them and said, you owe it to our Origin players to begin to step up and become the big dogs now. And they did exactly that. Guys like Smith, guys like Leota, guys like Kenny, they really, really stepped up. And right now, the scary thing with the Penrith Panthers are all they got to do is get in the 8. And if you think it's hard to win from outside the top 4, I tell you what's harder, winning 4 premierships in a row. Statistics, these guys don't care about statistics. They don't care about history. They've already broken it 1,000,000 times. Rue, what do you reckon, mate?
Wouldn't it be just unbelievable? Like, if they make the 8, imagine, you get to finals week 1. It'll probably be an away game for them. If you're the Sharkies, you're playing at Shark Park, Penrith's at $2.20. Nathan Cleary's on the other side with history stacked against him. Like, it would just be a nightmare coming up against these guys.
Nightmare stuff. And imagine if you're a club that's kind of like, you kind of understand you're not going to win a premiership, but geez, if you could just push into week 2 or 3 of week 2 or 3 of the finals, that's a big year for you. And you're like, okay, the 1 year where friggin' Penrith Panthers are in the top 4. You're like, thanks heaps, awesome.
Interesting, obviously, they beat the Wards this weekend. They played the Bulldogs this weekend coming, so Ivan gets 2 weeks in a row against those assistant coaches that are getting all the praise in the world right now. Jeez, a little bit personal for him, I'd say.
Look, I'll be honest, watching this season, I did start to creep in, how much impact did these assistant coaches have over that reign? Granted, of course they had impact. Of course they did. But I felt like Ivan Cleary this week was personal for him to go, hang on a sec. Yes, these assistants are great and what they're doing is amazing, but I'm the head coach that won the 4 premierships, and we saw on the weekend.
Yeah, and just on Leota as well, I feel really sorry for a guy like him, because I feel like week to week, he just gets swallowed up in these Payne Haas stats, these Terrell May stats. Still only, 2 front row forwards who have won 4 comps in a row.
Yeah.
And I think that in this modern era, we get, really distracted by stats and super coach points and all these barnstorming runs. But Like there is something in just having the toughest dude on the field still. There always will be.
And also, the thing, at the end of the day, for Fisher, Harris and Leota, there's only one stat that matters, and that's a W at the end of the day. They could eat you. I'm telling you right now, Leota and Fish could go out there and run for, have 6 tackle breaks and run for 180 metres every week, or at the very least like 160 or so, because they could fight in every tackle. They could, instead of finding their front, they drag the defence a bit further back, but they don't. If you watch them closely, it is all about the team, and that's what makes them great. And that's not to disregard all the other great stuff that's happening with front rowers. It's just a different type of front rower. Timmy, what do you reckon, mate?
Yeah, I don't know if you can confirm that Penrith are back, but they're alive.
Oh, yeah.
And I was looking at this little 2-week window with all their Origin players out on the quick backup from the Perth Origin game, going over to NZ, who were essentially unimpacted by Origins, but obviously Mitch Barnett out injured and Capewell, but I'd almost put a line through them in this game going, all right, I can't see them getting the 2 points here. I thought it was too much of a mountain to climb for them, especially what we'd seen from them this year, to go over there and get the win, because it then goes into this Bulldogs clash this weekend where you go, all right, that's going to be bloody tough. If they were to lose in NZ, as most tipped them to do, and then lose to the Doggies, injury concerns around Nathan Cleary as well, among other players, you're just going, all right, it's probably going to be too much, but it absolutely keeps them alive this season. And funny you mentioned around the stats and Moses Leota, and like for Guru to mention, Supercoach stats, and where you look into these sorts of things too much. The Penrith Panthers forward pack have never really had any Supercoach relevance to them at all. Despite all their dominance, they're never players that you buy, give or take maybe like Isaiah Yeo, because Supercoach stats come from tackle busts and offloads and all this sort of stuff, where Penrith just roll up the sleeves, play high percentage footy, as you said, can be focused on getting the quick play of the ball and not the other sort of stuff. And it's funny how opposite that is to like what we see in Supercoach and the best players to what's translate to actual footy, because that's the brand of footy they play and it works.
Yeah, it works. Like the amount of times there are front rowers, like when they win the contact and they stay on their feet, that's not really helpful to the team. Like it helps you get the extra tackle break or whatever. But if you were to hit and immediately find the deck, that helps the next guy the most.
And it's also such a shared load. Like even James Fisher-Harris, one of the best props we've seen, he was never Supercoach relevant, never really has been. And so it was the same when he was there as well. Just the workload is spread across their pack so much. Like we know Isaiah Yeo gets through big numbers as a big minute lock forward, but most teams, will have like a Payne Haas or a Terrell May or a Chloe Matangi who just takes so much of the load and takes so many runs. Penrith just share that across their entire pack so well. Yeah,
they're just masters at it. And even on the weekend, there wasn't really that many star standout performance from Panthers. It was a joint effort. It really was. This just shows you how, a month or so ago, we said, how are they going to go 9 wins and 3 losses? Because essentially that was, now the comp has gotten a bit weirder where they probably could drop a few more. But since then, since their bye, they lost to Knights, which was probably the lowest part of their season. They've beaten the Eels, they've beaten the Tigers, they had a bye, then they've beaten the Warriors. Before the bye, they had a draw with the Cowboys, and then they beat the Broncos. So in their last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, they've only dropped 1 game and drawn 1. And so all of a sudden you go, they probably, if they get better, they might be able to go 9-3 or something like that.
And that Knights loss, that was without their Origin players too.
For sure. But I guess the frustration for Ivan Cleary, look how good we can play without our Origin players. But it brings into focus, they've been stained with their early season form, because their last month they've actually been winning most of their games. Super interesting. Hammy, just quickly before we move on, mate.
Yeah, they're looking good. They're sitting 8th at the moment. They're now $1.40 to make the 8. So they've still got a bye to go. They've got about 6 games against sides in the bottom 8 as well. So they're sitting pretty. And I think that win on the weekend gives them heaps of confidence, because so many players were missing. The next guys stepped up. Huge game this Thursday against the Dogs. If they can win that, I think I'm a bit prepared to say they'll be there.
If they finish 8th, it's like to your point before, Roo. Imagine finishing 5th if you're like the Sharks or Roosters in a game in Sydney in a home final coming against Penrith. You'd feel so robbed. Hey?
You'd be like, this is bullshit.
Even if you're if you're one of the top 4 teams that wins week 1, if 3 weeks later you have to play Penrith, get in a grand final, you'll be sitting at $1.50. You've had 2 weeks to get ready for this. You'll be sitting there going,
and so look, the game, you can't miss it. It's on Kayo East, Penrith versus the Doggies. I agree with you, mate. If they beat the Doggies, I'm back on the Penrith, and I'm willing to put my hand up and say I got it wrong. Absolutely. It's amazing stuff. Guys, Fox League exclusive games this round. You got Seagulls versus Tigers Friday 6 p.m. Broncos v Warriors. That's going to be a friggin' huge clash because Warriors are fourth. Broncos are actually fifth, which is bizarre to think. Like, there's such a strange ladder. Dragons v Eels. Then you got Dolphins v Rabbitohs. Storm v Sharks Sunday 2 p.m. And then you got the FIFA Club World Cup. It's underway. Every game of the tournament is live on Kayo. With only a few games left in the group stage, the likes of Real Madrid, Manchester City, PSG, Chelsea are the ones to watch in their run to the biggest prize in club football. UFC 317. Listen, all my MMA fans, this is almost Christmas. One of the biggest fight cards of the year has arrived. And I got to be honest, there hasn't been as many big cards recently, so this is a banger. Poirier versus former champion Oliveira on the main event. Plus also on Sunday, social media sensation Jake Paul will take the next step to becoming his dream of a world champion when he faces former WBC world middleweight champion Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. at the Honda Center at Anaheim, California. Available on main event with Kayo Sports on DAZN. And Kayo has a limited time offer for new subscribers where you can get your first month for $1. Simply head to kayosports.com.au to redeem, but also use the link in our show notes, guys. Okay, brand new segment, and it is the defense play of the week. I feel like we don't focus enough on defense. There's two things I want to bring in: defense play of the week and support play of the week. Those are two things I feel like as a game we don't really highlight enough. So the defense play of the week brought to you by NordVPN. It is Jai Arrow. That is right. Jai Arrow is our defense play of the week. Honestly, what I'm not understanding about Jai Arrow and Origin in the Queensland side, he does these kind of NordVPN defense players of the week every single week. He does it every single week. And yet he can't get selected. He can't get selected. Boys, speak to me. Why can't Jai Arrow get selected after this? Like, he's a front rower making cover tackles where a winger or a fullback should be. Like, he is all ticker. He is all hard. I personally think, first of all, this play on the weekend, if they had gone on to win it, that's the play that won the game for him. That's the play that kept him in the game, in my opinion. Jai Arrow's play, he's tackling the corner, and plays like that is why I feel like at the very least he should be in the squad for Queensland. I know he had his issue of 4 or 5 years ago in camp. I get it, Zumba dance and all that good stuff, but I think he should be called back into the squad at the very least to get some ticker in there. What do you reckon?
I'd have him in there. We spoke about it before game one. He can play middle, he can play edge. I don't get why he's not there. I was out at this game, mate, and I was actually, when this game finished, I thought, I'm glad we're doing this, because I thought to myself, geez, that moment's going to be forgotten.
Yeah, it always gets forgotten moments like that.
I want to have another call too. I saw the article the other day about him walking off the field. It's like, hold on. If you want to bitch and whine about these guys shaking hands and being jolly with people,
laughing,
like when a guy actually shows you he cares, don't shit down his throat as well.
Yeah.
Pick a side and stick to it. I love seeing that from Jai. We've got Sowie, who's part of our shows now, and he had a moment where he did the same thing in his career. And I love guys that care. I want guys that want to win, that care about the result. The negative pushback on that, I think, is absolute crap.
Well, look, I'd get it if he was like a winger that had like 5 runs. You're like, bruh, you had your opportunity to play really well and you didn't. Jai Arrow plays with his heart in his sleeve every single week. And so I love there's a bit of passion. Like, yeah, okay, I'm not saying every week do that, but it's a massive clash for his team. He loves his club. I'm totally okay. What do you reckon, Timmy, about, first of all, Jai Arrow's play, and second of all, would he be in your Queensland side?
First of all, this segment seems particularly targeted at Nicole Casanova, horrifically.
You could have used NordVPN last week when everything got hacked, that's for sure.
Should have brought him on last week, mate. Jai Arrow, I had him in my Origin team. I think I had him in from game 1, and I'd still bring him in for game 3. I think he just lacks a lot of what the Maroon, or has what Maroons are lacking a bit, and that's just ticker, that dog in him. And to your point about walking off the field and blowing up, that's exactly what you want to see as a fan. I can't believe there was hit back from that and negativity around him. As you said, you want to see players caring.
Yeah.
I think a team like the Cronulla Sharks would kill for like that right now. Post-game to have stormed off and pissed off they let a lead slip, and a game they should have won. So I think that's awesome from Jai Arrow, and sure, emotions can flow and go over the top a little bit at times, but all I see to that is that's a bloke who wants to win football games, and he'll do anything he can to get it. So I love it.
Hammy, what do you reckon, mate?
Big Jai Arrow fan. I also had him in my team. him. And I think, particularly, leading into after game one, we kind of went, Queensland need a bit more dog in their team. And he is a dog. Like he, cares, gets in people's faces, can go with guys. He would have been great off the bench, I think, when like a Spencer Leniu or someone comes on to respond with a Jai Arrow. I think he'd still be a great guy to include in the squad. Great play from him on the weekend. He's just he was on the Matty John show last night as well. Yep. A good old-fashioned character, a little bit loose, but, gets stuck in, cares about his footy. A good egg. So, worthy recipient of the NordVPN defensive play.
The NordVPN defense player of the week. It's Jai Arrow's tackle on Grant Addison. And I've had an absolute game changer, guys. NordVPN, I can change my virtual location, allowing me to access the sport and shows I can't normally access here. Not only that, when I go overseas, I can set my virtual location back to Australia so I can watch all my shows and sport as I normally would in the comfort of my own home. I'm actually off to Vegas in a few weeks, and I'll be using NordVPN to watch NRL games from that round while I'm overseas, as well as, listen, I might actually watch Andor again. That's how good it was. I seriously can't watch video essays about Andor. It also protects me from against
video
any
essays?
Yeah, video essays about Andor. What? It's about the deeper themes and messaging of the media that you watch, guys. Come on. Let's get real here, boys. We're not just a rugby league podcast here. We're the thinking man's.
It's actually
podcast.
the first time in 3 weeks you haven't tipped us off on that show.
Yeah, well, I can lead you to water, mate. It also protects me against any scammers or hackers, keeping me safe as I'm using public Wi-Fi at the airport or hotel, protecting my private data like bank details, passwords, and online identity. NordVPN is always on the defense. I'm sorry we weren't here a week earlier with NordVPN to defend your life from hackers. Timmy, I apologise, bro.
Can we just end this segment?
Well, you should have got NordVPN, mate.
I will
So
now.
defensive.
So make sure, look, guys, we have a living example of a bloke that could have used NordVPN. So make sure to go and use your NordVPN. Another added bonus I wish I had sooner is that I had when I switched my virtual location, it can allow me to save money when purchasing flights, hotels and subscriptions from other countries at a cheaper price. I wish I had it when I was going to Japan a few months ago, but you best believe I'll be doing this for the future trips. So whether I'm going overseas or I just want to access shows and sport from other countries that aren't available here, I do it in a safe and protected way with NordVPN. To get the best discount of your NordVPN plan, go to nordvpn.com/blokeinabar. Our link will also give you an extra 4 months on a 2-year plan. There's no risk with Nord's 30-day money-back guarantee. The link is in the podcast episode description box. Okay, time for a review. West Tigers lose to the Canberra Raiders.
Learn.
16-12. Okay, West Tigers lose to the Raiders 16-12. Man, you know what? Like, I've got to be honest. I feel really bad for West Tigers fans because when you actually look at, so Warriors scored 18 points, they lost. Dolphins scored 20 points, they lost. Rabbitohs scored 24 points, they lost. Sharks scored 28 points. Cowboys, obviously the outlier, they scored 8 points. Every team outside of the Cowboys scored more points than the Raiders did, but the Tigers still lost. And I just look at that stat, and although they didn't come away with the key stat, which is the W, they kept the Raiders to 16 points. Like, there's so much progress being made at the Tigers. There really is. It's just a matter of getting that W at the end of the game. It sucks. They've got to find a way. They kept the top 4 side to 16 points, but unfortunately didn't get the job done.
Yeah, and without taking the words out of Hammy's mouth, I'm sure we'll get into it, but just a lot of West Tigers things that happened in this game. Boys, the hair pull I couldn't believe. Just
Mate,
like,
what
are we doing here?
What was he thinking? Like,
Mate, I watched that and thought there won't be a dumber player than that this weekend. Then Sione Katoa stepped up into the limelight, but it was just crazy.
Yeah. I guess that has been a bit of a chink in Skelton's armour for a while, is whether it's the drop ball, it's the jamming into defence. He's a bloody good player, but geez, it hurts you.
Oh, mate, and like Skelton, if there's a drop ball or a defensive thing, I can cop that. You bring a lot. You pull a dude's hair when we're down by 4, we're chasing a win, we're in trouble. Like, fuck.
And we've got the ball as well.
Oh.
Yeah, like it's just crazy.
Yeah, I know, mate. I'm trying to. Yeah,
I love Skelton too. I've been saying for years
Same.
he needs to be in first grade. I'm a huge fan, but it's just so frustrating, and it's because it's the 15th thing that's happened this year. It just shouldn't be happening at the West Tigers. You've come so far, to drop the ball in those moments is just so frustrating.
It's that professional edge that they don't have yet.
Yeah.
It's that professional. It seems to happen quite a lot with the Tigers. And I understand Richo coming out and saying we get penalised or blah, blah, blah. But also, if you actually watch a lot of like the multiple sin bins against the Cowboys, that literally cost you you win that game. You win that game. So just that professionalism that they need to kind of sort out. Otherwise, all these games where they do everything right except there are a couple of brain explosions, and you're like, if you just remove brain explosions, we win. Like, there's probably 3 or 4 games you probably win.
Mate, like we're talking about the Raiders as premiership threats. It was 12-0 for the last 57 minutes. Tigers' way.
I know that. Timmy, what do you reckon, mate?
Yeah, good performance from the Tigers. And as you said, like they lost the game basically in the first 23 minutes, 3 tries, and then their defence stood tall. They were quite threatening all night. And from a Raiders perspective, look, it was ugly, but we won. And that's all that matters at the end of the day. We got the 2 points, and these are games that in previous years we would have lost, and all of a sudden we're, because of tight losses in games we should be winning, we're fighting for the top 8 and things are going tough. But, you sort of move on. We did the job. We came out of the blocks firing. Unfortunately, that was enough for us in this game. So, yeah, look, couple of issues there, but 2 points, move on to the next.
I mean, you look across to the Warriors. Who would you rather be this weekend?
Well, that's it. Like, you look at the Storm nearly lost to the Bunnies in a game they were heavy favourites for. The Warriors, the game they should have won. They were well beaten. I sit there and go, all right, the Raiders weren't at their best, but they got the job done, so hard to be too upset.
Yeah, and it's like, I do think that when you've been as consistent as the Warriors or the Raiders this season, like, you're going to have moments like this.
You are going to have down weeks. We say it every week because the competition is so volatile. The best teams, every team has a down week at some point. If you have your down week and you can jag 2 competition points, you're laughing.
Yeah, and I think the fact that this game was so low scoring is such a positive for the Raiders. Like, if they won 40 to, 34 or something, you'd be like, geez, 30 points, you're leaking that? 12 points? I think it's, yes, to take nothing away from the Tigers. Like, did the Raiders put the cue on the rack a little bit? Probably. But still, 16-12. If I'm a Raiders fan, mate, take that any day of the week.
Yeah.
We'll speak about Tigers first, and then we'll get into the Raiders. Love to get your thoughts, Hammy.
You spoke about a couple of very West Tigers moments. There's probably one other one, and I think it led to the 3rd try as well. Unfortunately, it was Skelton again trying to mop up a ball in the in goal, and ended up kind of like hitting it back in, and that led to a 3rd try. But again, they're just, they're all those little moments that feel like...
Tapine got a 1-on-1 steal 8 minutes ago as well.
That's right.
Yeah.
There's just like those little moments that feel like they happen to us a lot. So there was, they ripped in for sure, and the second half was fantastic. I think Finu coming on kind of changed the tempo of the game for sure.
Is that it? You reckon Finu needs to be there full time? You think?
Well, I was discussing with some of the West Tigers brain trust at the Campbelltown Leagues Club before the game, and Timmy were like, why isn't he starting yet? Because I think like him and Luai are those are the starting halves that I'd have. And Timmy raised a good point. Maybe they were just kind of easing him back in after he'd had a few injuries and stuff like that, just to keep the minutes down a little bit. But I think he's probably shown enough in the last 2 weeks that he's got 80 in him now. I'd be starting him with Luai as of this week.
Watching that game, like when Mason was there, not that it was only Heath Mason's fault in this one, but we were behind the post, so we saw like the attack move pretty well, just side to side, just going sideways, like, boy, straighten up. The second Finu came on, and especially when he did make that move into the halves, he just straightened you up and played direct so quickly. It changed the entire game.
Yeah, because I watching Mason, like, he lacked danger with the ball. I know usually he's actually quite good with ball in hand, but even when he was running it, like, he just didn't have that edge in first grade at the moment. He might be able to grow into it, but I think Finu's probably a man at the moment.
I think Latu has to be the 5'8". It's been so evident since he was at such a young age how good he was. I'll tell you how good he was. Like I think it was the Harold Matts year is at Manly. The centre on his edge was Josh Felaty, who's playing reserve grade at the Tigers now. He top point scored the competition that year, and he wasn't a goal kicker.
Jesus.
So crazy.
Like,
That's
the amount of
insane.
points he laid on that edge was just unbelievable. Just crazy. He's a real talent. I think he has to be the 5'8". I think Heath Mason's done a good job to his credit. I think last year when he came in, he looked a little bit underdone for first grade. I think he's done a good job, but I just don't think you can deny it anymore. I think he has to be the 6.
Oh, well, I also have no qualms. I know Joey kind of said this as well after the game. If he was the 7, I know he's kind of come through as a 7 in reserve grade. I'd probably put him at 7 and Luai at 6.
I was about to say the same. I'd have no issue with it.
I think Mason was a short-term player, like as you mentioned, Hammy. Latu Fine, he's had a lot of sort of soft tissue injuries early on in his career, and just easing him back to minutes. And I think it's probably a sensible idea. Long-term, we know that it's going to be Jerome and Fino in the halves, but I think he's had a couple of games off the bench. Heath Mason, I really like him as a footballer. He's obviously played a lot in the halves. I love him at fullback. He's so lethal there. His support play is great, but I think for the time being, he's your backup kind of 5'8" or more so fullback to Dream Buller.
Yeah.
I think another thing probably need a bit of work is just your starts. There's been a few weeks you've just been left in the blocks.
Yeah.
You go back to Cowboys a few weeks ago with a close match.
100%.
Whereas when the game's on the line, when you guys get engaged in the game and it's all on the line, you seem to play very appealing footy.
Agree.
It's a little bit frantic, it's a little bit eye of the shot, but it seems to suit you.
Yeah, they've almost got to convince themselves that they're chasing from the start, really, because it feels like when it gets desperate. And if you look at the last couple of weeks, they've lost a lot of their games by I think the biggest margin's been 10 points out of those last 5 that they've lost.
Yeah.
So they come in with a wet sail, but it's just a little bit too late. So you're right. There's got to be, and I don't know how they kind of fix that, but just start playing that exciting footy from the get go.
And I know that Tigers fans are probably sick of hearing it, but I mean, if I take out the Melbourne Storm game, which was a landslide, outside of that, God, you've shown fight in just every game.
Mate, there's no way you've been the worst team this year. It's just bizarre that you're so close to the bottom of the table because you just haven't got the wins.
Well, we got to round 8, and I think the Tigers had the best defence in the comp. We conceded the least points. Then obviously that big blowout happened, but they're hanging in games. They've just got to find a way to kind of convert a couple of. If they'd won 2 of their last 5 that they've lost by trial less, they're in the 8. The pressure's off.
It's so strange this year. It really is. Really, really strange season. In regards to individual performance, boys, who stood out for you?
I think it was his return game this week, Bolle. I thought he had some really good runs, some really good moments. And I think
he just grown as a player? And I think, to what you're going to say is he's a really good example of a player getting substantially better under Benji.
Yes.
And that's a tick for his coaching,
Yeah, 100%. I just love the impact that he has. He bends the line every single time. I think that him and May are a really good combo together. Bolle was the one that stood out for me in that game.
What's crazy is we were thinking maybe 13 at the start of this year. Now that combination with Terrell May and him, you can build that at least for the next 5 years together.
I do still think it'd be really good for them to go out and get a 13 with a little bit more. I just think Bolle, Twal, May all together. I actually thought when Latu came on and sort of played that role a little bit, I thought they did look really good. I'd love for them to go out and whether Jack Bird's that guy, I'm not too sure, but
the thing I have with Jack Bird is because he's had quite a few opportunities to be that guy and it just never seemed to work out. And I think the Tigers do they have time to work on that? Probably not. I'd love to know what the Tigers' salary cap's looking like. How much cash do they have to bring someone in?
Yeah,
should be a fair bit because they threw $1 million a year at Galvin and missed out on him.
Yeah.
So,
but even you look at how Canterbury used whether it's Kurt Mann, Salmon, Hayward, that sort of player in the 13. I think it'd be a really good fit for the Tigers.
Yeah, it's a great shout. What do you reckon, Timmy?
Yeah, I thought Alex Seyfarth was really good. I don't necessarily want him playing 80 minutes every week, but in this one, scored a try. He summed up the Stafford Toll try really well. It was sort of, from memory, I can't remember if it was off a kick, tap back, or if it was off a bit of second phase play off an offload, but just did the wraparound and summed that up really well and was probably the difference in getting him back into this game with the try and a try assist. So, yeah, I thought he was really good.
Man, I mean, I know we've already spoken about, but just Latu Fani is just... If he can just stay on the field and just play, a whole year of just first grade, imagine what he's going to be able to do in 12 months, what he's doing already off the bench. I will say I have heard that Luai does really want to play with him. So there's a strong connection there. And that always matters. I know it sounds a bit silly, but the amount of 6s and 7s that do they actually enjoy playing rugby league together? My understanding is that Luai is a big, big fan of Fiona. So
yeah, that's good.
A good thing.
That's good signs. We've got to lock him down.
I'm really keen to see how just Jerome Luai evolves now that Galvin's gone. And just because, like, Galvin was getting all the attack in the opposition 20 and getting all the sort of good ball there. And Luai, to his credit, as he's done his whole career with Nathan Cleary, sort of taking a bit of a back step. But he's just going to really play that halfback role now in the halves with Fainu. And I think, like we said, statistically, he wasn't great to start the season, but there was obviously an influence there. I think we're going to start to see a lot more comfort. Like the last 2 games he's had without Galvin, he's had 70 and 75 receipts, 69 before that as well against the Cowboys. He hadn't gone above like 56 before that, so we're seeing his impact and his involvement increase. I think he'll go to another level with Galvin Gordon.
Mate, his short kicking game was phenomenal.
I was just about to say, for a guy that came from Penrith as not the dominant kicker at any point his entire time there, that short kicking game, the way that he, and like obviously, like it's just, for me, it's the way he picks his moments. Every time he kicks it, it's like there's a car park sitting there. There's space everywhere.
Was it 2 tries or at least 1 try for short kick in Origin?
2.
2,
yeah.
So it's not just doing it at a club level; he's doing it bloody in Origin. So, mate, I'm with you, Timmy. I'm interested to see what Luai, does he take a step back now? Fainu is the main man, or does he lean heavier into the receptions? I will say, he single-handedly almost lifted you guys off the canvas and got you back into that game. Got to say, although Buller had some good moments, just the error count was just a few too many for him on the weekend. As an elite fullback that you'd want to be signing long-term, you can almost, not never, but these need to be once a year, these games with 5 errors in them.
Yeah. When we talk about Jerome Luai, I just said then whenever he seems to kick the ball short, there's so much space everywhere. I think a lot of that as well, and he's not getting stats for it, but geez, Appy around the ruck, you can just see all the defenders. And the fullback sort of has to stay there to be that extra number until the ball goes from Appy, which just creates space as well.
Now onto the Raiders.
Oh, just real quick. Interesting, Benji's done this a bit this year. Only used 3 interchanges. Talon De Silva sitting there in number 14, didn't get on at all. Just wonder whether, especially in some of these tight games, we're losing by a try or less. Is it just worth?
Is he too worried to take Appy off, do you think?
Maybe, but it hasn't always, sometimes it's been another forward. We had a front rower, Kit Lualili was on there the other week and didn't play a single minute. I don't know what's going on there. Why he's not prepared to use the full bench.
Maybe because May can play at such a high click for 70, 80 minutes. You can hold it, I guess, maybe.
One to keep an eye on anyway.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely. Okay, on to the Raiders. To be honest, and sorry to disappoint Raiders fans, but mate, you went in there, you got the win. It was ugly, but this is exactly what you want to do. Is there much really to talk about? The Raiders are still the real deal. Their run home is outstanding to mine. I think they're actually a really good shout of potentially winning the minor premiership. These are the kind of games what I like about this win for the Raiders is we've seen them get up for big wins. We've seen them, come back from huge deficits. Have we seen them play shit and still win? And this was one of those games where they did exactly like Hudson Young. I mean, I know he played Origin, but this was Hudson Young's quietest game in 2 years almost, but they still managed to win. And I think that's the biggest takeaway for Raiders fans. What do you reckon, Timmy?
Yeah, said it was pretty ugly, but that's all right. When they got out to the early lead, you sort of thought, all right, let's really make a statement, go on and put 40 points. It didn't eventuate that way, but they did dig in. Their defence got a little bit leaky in the back end, but they scrambled and they got the job done. So as you said, I don't think there's a lot to take out of it. Mate, the same thing that rears its head every week is just our back 3 under the high ball. It's really poor, and we are just gifting sides invitations back into games because we cannot just collect that ball. We're just turning it over too often. Jed Stewart obviously made the debut. He looks, and I haven't seen a lot of him in cup or anything, but looks pretty secure under the high ball, coming in for Tamale, who's obviously a massive loss, but he handled the step up really well. He looks so comfortable for a bloke.
What a moment. What an incredible moment.
Making his NRL debut with your dad as coach, so many eyes, so much pressure on you, but he just looked comfortable from the word go. But the back 3 need to sort that out. It's the same thing every week.
It will probably is going to separate you from being able to win a prelim in a grand final. Because when Nathan Cleary or Hughes or Munster or any of these guys with an incredible boot identify that, you're getting peppered all day long.
And when we're playing them, as I said, in a prelim final, something, they go bang, 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 we put 3 down. when you give the Melbourne Storm or if Penrith find their form, the Doggies,
scoring.
whoever it is, when you give them a chance, they will take it. So
Yeah. Like Burton bombs. Burton identifies it and he just keeps peppering you. It genuinely might be what separates some of these wingers from keeping their jersey.
Yeah.
Because a tough call might need to be made. Yeah, okay, you've been great all year and you're great in during the season, but I can't take a winger into a finals game that's dropping balls every time it comes to him. So yeah, it's probably you're probably your Achilles' heels. In regards to performances, boys, who stood out to you guys? And just quickly on the Jed Stewart, like what an incredible... Like if there is one coach that would make his son work way harder than anyone else to earn that jersey, it's Ricky Stewart. So this kid has probably been killing it in resis, been knocking on the door for probably 12 months before this, to come out there and have the mental fortitude. I mean, you're the coach's son. The pressure, like Ricky Stewart, synonymous with the Raiders, and yet you still come out and play like that. It just shows you what the kid's made of.
Yeah, it was an unreal moment, wasn't it? So good to see. He's obviously got some rugby sevens experience too. I met him down in Canberra last week. Last year, what I love too is that he listens to all the podcasts. He's a footy guy.
Oh yeah,
I love that. So that's really good to see. And yeah, great moment down there. And I think quite often when you look at guys around the league, I think people just assume that if you're coach's son, life's easier for you.
Oh, bro.
You might be able to find me a few examples where maybe it was easy. I'll give you the hot tip. Jed's life would not have been easy.
Bro, imagine the video sessions. Ricky
The players had to go to Ricky and say, we think he's ready.
Wow. Man, so yeah, an incredible moment for the family. And what a couple of weeks for the club. You've got Papali'i or Papali's moment last week, and then this week Jed Stewart doing so. Just amazing stuff. In regards to performances, as I said, you could look at some Starling moments. I thought Josh Papali'i really stepped up in this game, but in reality, it's just one of those games where it's get in, get out, and just get home.
I thought Joe Tarpanay was really good. He scored the first try. He saved the try on Jerome Luai.
One-on-one steal, 8 minutes
had
ago.
the offload, the one-on-one later. He had a couple of, in a game that was only, decided by 4 points, he had 3 big moments that I think directly mattered to the scoreboard.
I just can't believe how much he is replicating what Papali'i was doing in his prime. He wasn't, Ricky Stewart is not just okay with you being a front row at this club. You need to impact. If you're the big dog, you're the alpha dog, you need to impact matches. And Tarpanay does it anytime they need something. If it's not Hudson Young, it's Tarpanay. Just amazing.
Isn't it bizarre to see a world where Papali'i played 3 more minutes than Joe Tarpanay now?
Yeah.
Wow. Good too.
And just what a warrior Papali'i. I'm sure a lot of people said, mate, retire at the start of this year. But he is still a vital part of this forward pack.
Yeah.
And you can, you can have the most exciting young guy coming up next, but there's not a single Raiders fan when they see Papali'i either start or coming off the bench with that card in his hand go, oh, I don't know whether he's going to be able to go today. They're like, nah, he'll do a job.
He's not clinging on to his career. He's absolutely still impacting games, whether it's as a starter, whether it's that role off the bench that he's played at stages this year. He's been fantastic. And, the old boy, he's got another year or two left in him if he wants it because he's playing bloody good footy.
Any concerns about the Morgan Smithies alleged headbutt?
I completely missed that, to be
No, I didn't see that on the ground.
I didn't see that.
Okay, I think he might. Matty, could you Google that, please? I'm pretty sure maybe get charged. I don't know.
He got fined.
Okay, so he got fined. Okay, because he was split from it, wasn't he? Fucking dripping blood.
I didn't see the blood. Yeah.
All good.
Didn't see the inside.
All good. Horsburgh put up his best foot forward. 15 runs, 135 metres, 61 post contact, 2 tackle breaks, 40 tackles, 3 misses, which is pretty good. I've got to say, surely one of them, whether it's Arrow or Horsburgh, surely one of them make the bench by game 3.
I don't think so. Not after a win. I mean, yes, they would be in my side, but if you're 1 in game 2, I don't know if they're going to make that call.
That's fair.
Who do you drop?
There's a couple that I'd probably look at. Maybe Fodawaker again was okay.
Sure, but I've been saying get rid of Mo
Fodawaker
for 2 years. They never seem to. I can't see them doing it after a great win like that.
Yeah, I'm just trying to actually get back to the actual game so I can remember what happened. Jeez, I watch so much rugby league, I just forget. Seriously, just
it's all mush. I'm with Rue though. I think while I would have those guys in my squad, very hard to change a winning formula.
As a Blues fan, I'm just cool, don't make changes because I'm confident going into it. And I'm if you went there and made a call, no, let's bring Corey Horsburgh in, we can add something to it, I'd be shit. But I'm with you. I don't know if they'll change a winning team, but I hope you don't.
Fair. Fair, boys. Fair. Anyone else stand out for you guys with the Raiders, boys?
All good, mate.
Starling, you mentioned, he had a good game. I just think it's good for the Raiders to not play well, win. And I mean, you have a look at both their halves were pretty quiet, realistically. Like if you're winning games of football, your halves are quiet. Hudson Young's not coming up with a crazy moment. I think it's a pretty good result for the Raiders.
Any Savage concerns? It's been a couple of weeks now where he's struggled under the high ball.
Huge concerns. I said the whole back three. Like, it's not just him. Like, Tomato was battling there too under the high ball, and you can run for as many meters as you want and score tries and do awesome things, but you just can't afford to be turning the ball over like that. So, yeah, huge concerns under the high ball.
What about Kayo Wicks? Are you confident when finals footy comes around, he's going to have 4 good games if you do go all the way?
Under the high ball, again, no. Sound like a broken record, but they need to sort it out. You can't just click your fingers, but they just need to get reps after reps after reps into them and have them comfortable come finals time, because I said games will be won and lost off the back of it, and right now Kayo Weeks under the high ball does not fill me with confidence. No, everything else I'm happy with around Weeks, and I think he'll be fine, but that's just the glaring issue.
The hardest thing is too, when you have a look at the reserve grade side, like the only first grader that's in their backline realistically is Chevy Stewart, and it's probably his biggest problem too.
Yeah. It really is. Could be Achilles' heels, but we'll see. I think they'll sort it out. Hopefully, I mean Ricky Stewart, he'll be doing everything he can to sort it out. Everything he can. Okay, on to Warriors v the Panthers. We went a bit deep into Panthers in the Kayo Can't Miss moment, guys. So if you want more Panthers, go into the Kayo Can't Miss segment. And this is brought to you by Coastal Letting Co. They'll be giving away a 7-night stay in a 2-bedroom apartment in Service Paradise, valued at $2,200 to one lucky Bloke Club member. All you have to do is be a part of the Bloke Club, and you're in the running. If you want to stay somewhere on the Gold Coast, reach out to Coastal Letting Co. Alrighty, Warriors lose to the Panthers 28-18. What a disappointing loss for the Warriors. The really disappointing thing for this is I thought this version of the Warriors had gotten this stuff out of their system. This was like I was watching, 2018 Warriors or 2021 Warriors or any of those years where they can be so up and down. This was really, really disappointing. On the flip side, the Penrith Panthers, what a performance. And it wasn't a fluky win. It was a dominant performance. And what I like about this for the Penrith Panthers is, respectfully, they have been screaming out for not their top tier players, but the tier underneath them to step up and take some weight from their top tier players. And I reckon Ivan Cleary went and spoke to guys, like your Smiths, like your Henrys, like your Kennys, that have been in the team for a bit now and said, guys, here is your opportunity to pay back those blokes that are busting their body for this club every single week. And boy, did they pay it back. Them in the huddle, every time there was an error, you could see this meant the world to them. The scary thing is this Panthers side, with their stars back in it, is an absolute problem for the rest of the competition. I'm with you, Tim. I'm not fully ready. Like, they've done it for a big game where clearly they need to get up for it. Can they do it just every week for the rest of the year? Because that's pretty much what they're going to need to do. That's the question. But this was an incredible performance from the Panthers, and just a real reminder that Ivan Cleary is still, an incredible coach, that this team is still an incredible outfit.
I'll tell you, this competition has been great so far this year, but if we get a re-emergence of Penrith and Brisbane, all of a sudden it's going to be an incredible run home.
Add the Roosters to that.
Roosters in there as well. Like, if South Sydney can get some players back towards the back end of the season, it's going to be wild. As far as the Panthers side, a really good win. Going over to New Zealand is never easy to do nowadays. They managed to go over there, get it done without their origin players. And because I don't know about you guys, but I don't think they played anywhere near their best in this game too. Like, I thought the halves had some moments that both were pretty clunky. I think between them they had about 5 handling errors in this game. So
I thought I'm with you, because I thought they dominated the physical battle so much that it gave their halves opportunities to not be at their best.
Yeah, exactly right. Yeah, and I thought, Liotta, we've already spoken about him. Lindsay Smith sort of played that 13 role. He looked good.
Honestly, he looked like Isaiah. If you just squinted your eyes, it was almost like Isaiah Yeo was playing 13. That's how he just reminded me so much of him, the way he played ball plays.
Liam Henry with the ball, I thought he was really good as well. Missed a few tackles, but he was great with the ball. Luke Garner as well, coming in on that right edge, I thought he was good. So once they get those players back, I guess it all just depends on what's happening with Nath, right? And how that plays out over the next few weeks.
What about Sorensen? Just if you forgot how important this bloke was to the Panthers, just go back and watch that game. And I know he had I think it was 1 error or whatever, but He had some try savers. He obviously had 2 tries. He is so vital to that side. The scariest thing about this win for Panthers is if this last month is planned from Ivan. And what I mean by that is that did Ivan come into this year going, listen, I need to almost have a soft preseason so these guys aren't completely gassed by the end of the year? If this is all planned and they've got all the data that says, okay, now we're going to make our push to finals, that's the scary thing. Now, if this is just a one-off, then it's like, okay, we know the Panthers can do this. But if it's all planned as a part of the season and you look at all the data and, you know, they're reporting that they're feeling more energetic and everything is measured towards this, that's scary.
Just on Scotty Sorensen too, obviously had a good game here. They had the bye the week before. I think against the Tigers, he made a try-saving tackle in that one. Sorensen?
Yeah, yep.
Like, they only won that game by 4
absolutely.
points.
Yeah.
Like, it's been a big few weeks for Scotty Sorensen.
Yeah, and again, he is that, you know, you've got the top tier, which is your Clearys, your Yos, your Edwards, your To'os. He's probably just that tier below. And just their ability to deliver when they needed to. It's just, it's amazing.
Bad news, he's suspended for 2 weeks.
Really?
Scotty?
Yeah, hip drop.
What was it for again?
Hip drop on Wateni's Lesnia.
Well, interesting they didn't suspend him for the hip drop he did against the Tigers.
To Ruth's point about like the competition and Penrith, and if they can make a charge, and all those teams you listed who can genuinely make charge if they find anything near their best, and you threw the bunnies in there too. If they can scrape into the 8 and get players back, like who knows? Melbourne are still probably the relatively clear favourites and the ones to beat. But there's cracks emerging there week in, week out. Have we ever seen such an open comp? Like,
mate,
there's about
100%.
13 teams who can win the comp this year, just about.
Like, you go back to Broncos Penrith, by this stage, it was like, it's probably going to be Broncos Penrith. You go back to last year, it was like, probably Penrith Storm.
Yeah.
Whereas this year, honestly, I have no idea. Like, even the Dolphins, like, they had a bad performance on the weekend, but like, what if they start hitting their straps around finals time and they sneak into the 8? But yeah, back to the Penrith Panthers. Geez, I thought Papali'i might have had one of his best games since arriving with the Panthers. He moved into the middle, didn't he? He started on the edge and he moved into the middle. I just wonder whether that's going to be more suited to him as a Panther, a middle style player. What do you reckon, boys?
Probably think it will.
Yeah.
I thought he looked better playing through the middle.
I thought that's why they signed him. I look at Lindsay Smith and he's so similar to Isaiah Yeo. I feel like they need a guy like or Henry or Papali'i, either one, to go with Leota to a degree.
Well, I thought the one was off the bench, Laurent Pattaya.
He's a big boy.
He's the one, and he's sort of filling the void that Spencer Lenu's done in the past, that Scott Sorensen did before that, coming off the bench as a middle forward, as an impact player, where like their bench is solid and do a job, but I just feel like this year they've really been lacking that impact off the bench, where games tied early and all right, who's going to come and just inject some life and win some momentum through the middle? I think it's been Pattaya. Yeah,
and he's had some key. He did it against the Broncos. Blew the game open. On the weekend, he had some key offloads when he came on.
And like because they've been so dominant in recent years, they haven't had to worry about necessarily having an offload or a tackle buster coming off the bench. Like they've had it in Lenu and others, don't get me wrong, but because they're not as dominant this year and they're not dominating opposition packs, points aren't coming as easily as they have been in the past, and maybe they need to look a little more towards that second phase play. Like they won the offload count 9-1 in this one, and I thought Pattaya was the one who came on and sort of changed the game, sort of started to free the army, get the second phase going. So understated what he's done in limited game time this year.
And he's 20 years old, I'm pretty sure. He's relatively young. I'll just get it up, actually. And the good thing is it's not the first time. Okay, so he's born this year on the 23rd. That's incredible. And so, he's another one that's been outstanding. I've got to say, I know we've already kind of spoken about it, but I thought Lindsay Smith was just... He played that link man so well on the weekend. Another thing that I noticed as well is it was like in defence, it was like the Panthers of old, where they're winning the contact. They got 3 in the tackle. They're holding people up. They're north-southing them, which means that watch closely. The Panthers, when they're at their best, are the best at it. They catch players. They'll turn them and drag them back 5 metres. It completely ruins sets. Penrith are easily the best at it when they're going well. And I thought on the weekend they were just winning the contact. Every win in the contact, 3 in the tackle, dragging people back. It was a problem for the Warriors that they were getting caught all the time, trying to find their front, but getting caught and dragged back. So, as I said, if it is a case of they've built into this moment, scary prospect. Good to see Alamotti back in the side.
He was good.
Yeah, he was really good. Casey McLean showed his class there, especially with that try that he set up, the try assist. Just for such a big man, he moves so well. He is so quick for such a... Because he's like, what, 6'2"?
Yeah, he's big.
He's big, quick mover.
Found McLean this year. It's probably been a little bit, like, not been as good as we sort of thought he'd be. And, like, certainly Tom Jenkins' Supercoach owners have been annoyed at McLean because he's got the glue hands about him. But it would be very hard... You know, most of these players coming through the lower grades and Mats and Ball into 20s, whatever it is, Flegg, they're so dominant and it's all off the back of their running game and just being bigger, faster, stronger.
Yeah.
I think it's not unusual to see someone like McLean come in and just every time he gets these sort of 2v1s or 2v2s just to back himself to run through and over the top of players to go through. But I think McLean's worked out, all right, like, this is the NRL. This is a different beast. I can't just run over the top of blokes. And you've seen his game change in the last couple of weeks where he's developing the tip on. He's looking up and going, I can't do it all myself. And like to credit to him for the evolution we've had so early on in his career, but he was really good on the weekend.
Yeah. Laurie was good at the back there. Jenkins, great again. Blaze Talangi. Look, Blaze Talangi he's still so rough around the edges. Like there's, defense. And there's even in attack, his ball playing, it's sometimes it looks great, and then other times it almost looks like he doesn't feel comfortable with the ball playing. But geez, like talk about a diamond in the rough. Like there is clearly a super talented player here, and he can just make certain. Even the try he scored, like to get the ball knocked in your hand like that, mate. 9 out of 10 players are dropping that. I was just like, how did he not drop that? Like little moments like that just show the class of Blaze Talangi, and if they can just find a way to just get those rough edges sorted out. He is going, and like imagine him behind a dominant forward pack with Nathan Cleary creating space for him. He is going to be unstoppable. And I thought on the weekend, yes, rough around the edges, but geez, he's got some class about him.
I think what you said though, that I think as a 5'8", he does look uncomfortable in his ball playing. I think he's a fullback. I think one wider would make a huge difference for him. And we saw that when he played there for Parramatta last year. And, there's been a lot of changes to this Penrith side as well. It's going to take time with him, but I think he is playing out of position. I will say this, I think his defense has improved a lot since the start of the season.
Oh, for sure.
Like watching it at the start of the year, I sort of thought, I don't know how long. And mate, watching him in reserve grade, it was exactly the same. So he has improved a lot on that front.
And you got to give Ivan credit for backing him.
Yeah.
Because there was probably a period there where it's like, I don't know if it's worth backing him this year. I think it might be next year that you need to back him in. But it seems to be, like, there's been a couple of wins where it's been Blaze Talangi's plays that have kind of got, like he had a try and a try assist. They won by 10 points.
Yeah.
So as I said, if you've got a guy like Cleary who is so dominant at 7, maybe, obviously you need Blaze Talangi to work on his ball playing, but if you can just create space for him and he can just be around the ruck at times, because I'm with you, I think he's an out-and-out fullback. But in this team, with the greatest 7 arguably of all time, at least one of them, maybe he can take enough of the weight of ball playing to just make him almost like a second fullback to a degree.
And that's it. Like I just said, Casey McLean, that, looking up and passing and using the blokes around him. But on the weekend, Blaze Talangi, he was backing his running game and he was taking the line on, and he's got such a lethal running game. Run like a fullback, as you said, especially when Cleary is there to dominate and organise and be, the finishing touch with that ball playing. Just run the ball, because when he does, he's lethal.
I think that's the other thing with Blades as well, because he's playing 5'8" and they only sit him on that left edge. I think it's easy for him to fade out of the game, which I think he's one of those guys that I know I've seen him play fullback when he's there. He's up and about. He's in the game.
Yeah.
I think sometimes he just gets a little bit lost in it, sitting on that left edge with such a ball dominant guy on the other side.
Yeah. Super interesting guy to watch his development. Really is, because there's a superstar there. It's just a matter of, does he land in the right position and does he really apply himself, which seems like he is, to be the best version of himself. Okay, on to the Warriors. Hammy, what do you think of the Warriors, mate?
A little bit, lackluster. I think obviously they would have expected. Well, I was expecting that. We all did on this show. Expected them to win at home, particularly with the Panthers with no Origin players. Probably a little bit below their best. I think a couple of mitigating factors. Obviously, maybe starting to feel the pinch a little bit now of Mitch Barnett missing. I think they definitely missed him on the weekend. Dallin Watene-Zelezniak, unfortunately, looks like a syndesmosis injury there as well. So he went down in the first half, kind of put their back line out of whack a little bit as well. So, look, there's probably a couple of little factors there that didn't help their cause, but even still, would have expected them to get the job done at home against the Panthers under man.
What do you reckon, Root?
Yeah, I'm pretty similar. I expected them at home just to get the job done over there. They lost Dallin, they lost Niokore as well. I think it was pretty evident Metcalf was carrying something throughout that game as well.
Should have he played, do you think? Metcalf, when you got a guy like Tanner Boyd that's like frothing it in resis, and Metcalf,
Tanner, Tamate, they got a lot of guys.
Do you reckon he had it, or do you reckon he got it in the game?
I felt like he had it the whole time. I could be wrong.
If he carried it in, it's like,
Why
boys,
did
you're
that?
cruising, you've got options, just give him a week off.
But maybe I understand him staying on, but I'm just kind of like, mate, he's your star 7. That if you're going to do any, damage towards the back end of the year, he's got to be fully fit. With his injury history, I was like, mate, get him off the field.
I assumed that he did it in game.
Okay,
I hadn't heard him before that, but yeah, I mean, if it was, going into that, I mean, you looked at Nath Cleary during the week as well, same sort of thing, like. But yeah, I assume that he did it in game.
Yeah.
But yeah, if I'm the Warriors, I'm getting Tanner Boyd or I'm getting someone up there for the next week or two. Just
because there were
not worth
periods
it.
that Warriors won the battle, and they looked toothless. They looked just, and what I mean by toothless is like they had no edge to them. Like there was no spark because Metcalf was injured for a lot of the time. I will say I am surprised at how much they lost the physical battle. I assumed that with their outside backs, with this, size and experience and form they're all in, I didn't think that they would lose that battle coming out of their own end. And also, even their forwards, they just didn't look as dominant in the contact as they usually do. And maybe that's a Barnett that they're missing to kind of rev them up. But yeah, I was just surprised at their inability to go with the physical nature of a Penrith side missing five, six players.
Had to be a bit of complacency in there.
Surely.
Didn't there? Like the Warriors are better than what they dished out in this game. And I'm with you, mate. Physically, they were outdone. They're not just beaten, but well beaten.
Well beaten. Like they had 10% less of the ball, but they completed a higher percent.
At home, coming off a bye, as were Penrith, but missing players, like near enough full strength. It's hard to make too many excuses for them. Like, in the grand scheme of things, I think it's fine. It's, as we said, every team has their down weeks. The Warriors have been up for so long. It was coming, but it was just in quite emphatic fashion.
And what I was surprised at, and it seems like Ivan must have done his homework, but the kick returns where Penrith are just going ball playing out of their own end. Like, it seemed like Warriors had no answer for it. Like, they clearly had identified something, because like kick return meters, it's 194 to 135, but average set distance, essentially 10 metres more for the Penrith Panthers. That's crazy. Penrith Panthers missing their origin stars, and it's 9.5 metres more per set. Like that's a huge loss of the physical battle. So I'm with you, boys. Though. Like I'm just talking like if you're just talking about this game specifically, long term, I got no dramas, no issues. You're going to have these down games. You're going to get complacent at times. They lost, in regards to the meterage, they lost it by about 400 metres, 350 metres. They lost the post-contact battles. They had 6 line breaks to only 2 of theirs. So,
You seen who they played this week?
Bronx.
The Warriors are at $2.40.
What? Why? I don't understand why Broncos are going in as these huge favourites. They got belted the first half this week.
Broncos could lose 10 games in a row and they'd start gaming as favourites.
It's bizarre, isn't it?
Like the bookies always just place them based on what they can do, not what they have done all year.
Like even their win against the Sharkies, like, geez, they didn't get lucky, but like, mate, that game was nearly done and dusted.
That looked Sharks 13 plus for a long time and then just went bang and turned on its head.
Anyway, with the Warriors, in regards to performances, once again, Charles Nicoll-Klokstad, like, was it his best game? No, he's had better games. But, mate, the amount of work that bloke gets through, like, anytime there's a tough set where that there's line speed and, no one really wants to take the next hit up, Charles is right there. Yep, got
that
it.
try saver on Leota was sensational.
Amazing. Amazing. He's all heart. He's all mana, as they say. He is seriously, and what's mental is heading into this year, I was kind of like, is he a bit banged up, Chance? Like, can he continue to do these, games where he has 25 to 30 runs? bloody oath he can continue.
And you
to
know,
do
we'll
it.
probably have the same conversation again start of next year, and you'll just come in and do it.
Yeah, absolutely.
They've got the Warriors, like, they've got 3 forwards at least in Laban, who's really good in this one, Halasima Valmunga, who we speak about quite often. 3 blokes who have the physical abilities to be the best back rower in the game, whether that's on the edge, whether that's playing through the middle. Like, they are, not saying it's going to happen, but they are 3 players who could be the best in their position in the game.
Oh, mate. If these young guys don't get ahead of themselves, they stay disciplined, they put their heads down, they're going to be terrorising the competition for the next decade.
We've been talking all about Halasima Valmunga, a little bit of Laban. He was the one at the start here who we all sort of had our eyes on. Laban comes out on the weekend, gets a start with Cape well rested, and just destroys.
Yeah, mate, crazy. Graham Tougher, hope I'm saying that correct. Some defensive stuff, but they've got a player there, like he's explosive. Big, like he's almost a bit like Katoni Starks, just in his physique and his ability to, speed off the mark and everything.
We've got him for next
Is
year.
he signed for South?
Yeah, we've got him.
Yeah.
He's
on
got
his
him
way to
next
Bunnies.
year.
Yeah.
Okay, mate. There's something there. There's definitely something there. He was strong in contact. Looks super strong in contact. And they ran at him 26 tackles. 26 tackles out in the centres. So identified that, and Penrith Panthers, their ability to have a game plan. So disappointing. I would say though, if Metcalf is under any doubt, mate, get Tanner Boyd in there immediately. Do not risk this guy having a long-term soft tissue injury. And look, maybe Metcalf's pushing to stay on the field because he doesn't want to. There's so much pressure on jerseys at the moment.
Yep.
But mate, do not. I think get him off the field if he has got any risk heading into this year. Tanner Boyd is playing phenomenal. I watched some of the reserve grade game where they beat Penrith. They've made it 10 in a row, the New Zealand reserve grade. I'll be getting Tanner in there. But you know what I would be super interested in? Seeing this Warriors side with a conservative 7. What does that look like?
What it looks like.
Yeah, because they've got the gun 7 with Metcalf, who's been phenomenal, by the way. I'm not saying he should lose his spot, but it just would be a third experiment to just see, what do they look like with a conservative 7 with a really strong kicking game. But they'll bounce back. I think they'll bounce back. Alrighty, Dolphins defeated by the Knights 26-20. Brought to you by Crowd Property Capital. They're offering any Bloke Club member $500 cash back for settled loan amounts between $450K, $750K. Reach out to Andrew and the team via the Bloke Club. A massive thank you to Crowd Property Capital for joining the Bloke Club. Look, Knights get the job done against the flying high Dolphins. This is exactly what the club needed. And, look, I don't know whether we're going to see them go on a massive run or whatever, but geez, it does quieten the noise quite a bit. I still think there's quite a lot left in the Knights, but look, you can't be too critical of them. They beat an informed Dolphins side. A really important win for the club.
Can Bradman Best, every time Origin 3 is within sniffing distance, he just seems to hit unbelievable form. First came back the other night, he was incredible. Late on too, I think he set up another one. He was immense, Bradman.
Mate, if he can ever just stay on the field for a long period of time, I know he had his longest period, I think, last year. If you go in a lab and say, create me a centre, it would literally be him. 105 kilos, lightning quick, super strong. Doesn't get enough credit for how soft his hands are as well. He's an incredible player.
He was the difference in this game.
Oh my God.
What was a couple of tries? He set up the match winner twice.
Mental.
Off 2 unbelievable plays. If he doesn't play this game, the Dolphins win. I think it's as simple as that.
Yeah, I'm with you. And then what's good about it is this is why you pay Bradman Best, this $700K a year or whatever. He's paid to win your match out of nowhere. And he did exactly that. And I think what's good about it too is that they got to win without KP being the hero, where he was just unstoppable. And I think that if they are to develop as a club, it's going to have to be around multiple players in their squad rather than just one.
In a game where they also lost Fletcher Sharp just after half time, he's been the heart of their attack this season. And I loved when the game was on the line and the scores were really tight. They took the game on, the Knights, and they played a bit of footy and they used it and they thought of them. They weren't sort of sitting there waiting to be beaten. They went, no, if we're going to go down, we're going to go down fighting in this. And, as I said, they produced what should have been a match winner twice just about. So, they, credit to them.
They're such an interesting team to follow because we always talk about, I don't think grit and toughness has ever been an issue for them. No. Like, no matter how low they fall with their attack, it doesn't seem to be working. They are always one of the tougher sides in the competition. And for how critical I am of Adam O'Brien, and I am still super critical of him, and, you know, I don't know whether he'll, you know, maybe they'll give him an opportunity with Dylan Brown at the club. But one thing you've got to give Adam O'Brien is he's always instilled grit and toughness into his side. You have to give him that. You have to.
I liked as well this week. Like they bent a little. Like you read through Knight's comments over the last 8 weeks. It's, you know, the fans are blowing up because whenever they put up kicks, they never compete for them. They actually did compete against them today, and shocked me. They scored the first try.
They scored 3 tries off kicks.
3 tries.
And you know what's bizarre about that is, like, if there is one team in the whole competition that can defend those errors, like as in who's been consistently good the last few years, it's the Knights.
Yeah. Like in all seriousness, they conceded 20 points in this game. That's poor for them. Like,
Yeah,
defensively,
for them.
they've been really good. I'll tell you what, boys, I loved Phoenix Crossland at 13. I thought he looked really at home in that role. I think that, I know he's going to Canberra next year, but I think that's the side I'd be running with for the rest of the season. I would be keeping Jaden Brayley at 9. Just let him play that role and let Crossland just play 13. Yeah.
Give him time, I reckon. If you're going to do it long term.
The problem will be now, Fletcher Sharp's out.
Yep.
Do they go Hastings? Do they move Crossland straight back in there?
Surely that Hastings being brought back in, I mean, I know. Surely it's fucking...
Yeah, I'm not... I think the temptation would have been to play Phoenix Crossland there, but just how good he was in 13, it'll be interesting to see what they do. I don't know what's going to happen.
Well, I mean, you look at Phoenix Crossland, and, like, if you would say, okay, in the modern era of rugby league, what do you need out of your 13? You need to be super tough, essentially have a background in ball playing, defend their backside off like a 9 can, and also decent enough running game where they're going to get through work. Like, Phoenix Crossland fits the bill.
Yep.
He fits the bill. And I think that, especially with how light on their forward pack is, now granted, there might be some Knights fans that are, you know, blowing up right now. It's not blowing up, it's going, no, we've got this young guy coming through. So if you've got a young guy coming through, fair enough. But right now, when I look at this squad, who is your out and out 13? You know, who is the guy that you go, yep, he's our 13 every single week? I know Frizz has played a little bit there. Who else?
Adam Elliott.
Adam Elliott.
But he's being told that he's not, you know, services aren't wanted at the club. So I go, you know what? You've got an opportunity towards next year to have a spine of Brown, Fletcher, Crossland, Ponga with Arthur, maybe De Silva, but we'll just say Arthur. That's pretty good.
And this is where, if you can play Crossland at 13 and he can actually direct the team around a little bit like he was the other night, the Brown thing becomes a little bit more appealing to me.
For sure. And remember, guys, Phoenix Crossland, we're talking about an Australian Junior 7. So, like, his ball-playing credentials are absolutely good enough for a lock position. And we know he's got the toughness. Like, if you can play 9, you can play 13.
His line speed's awesome defensively. It makes sense for sure.
To a degree, obviously, smaller 9s, you couldn't play 13 because your attack is pretty much non-existent. But Phoenix Crossland is a bigger 9.
Yeah.
A bigger 9. And you know what? You go back and you look at his great year at 9 where he was almost called in, I think, to the Kiwis. What was it his incredible service that made him a good 9? No, it was probably a mixture of really tough in defence, bit of a running game, and just got through his work.
He's not that good a 9. Like, he's serviceable and does a job, but I've never watched him go, you've got a specialist 9 here who, you know, has a long-term future in the 9. He'll do a job, but I feel like he can really impact games at 13 in what you boys have already said.
Especially when you look at that spine and you go, okay, if you're going into next year with Sharp, Brown, who aren't notorious ball players, then you would go, well, the 9 needs to be quite nifty with the ball then, because if we've got Crossland at 9, Brown and also Sharp, I mean, you basically got 3 blokes kind of not the best ball. Like, their ball playing is good, but not the best ball playing. So you've got below, like, let's say Cleary's delivery as a 7 is a 10 out of 10. You've essentially got a 6 and a 7 whose ball playing is good, but it's about a 6 or 7 out of 10, you'd say, with a 9 that has a ball playing of like probably a 6 out of 10. Whereas if you get like an Arthur in there who's an out-and-out 9, or if, let's say, you got Brayley for the rest of the year, Brayley's service out of dummy half is 8 out of 10, 9 out of 10. And so when you look at it all like that, it does kind of start to make a bit of shape. And In regards to other performances, boys, who else? Just about to you, Hammy.
Well, I thought it was just good to see Dom Young back in a Knights jersey. Just felt right, to be honest.
His best game of the year too.
Absolutely, yeah. I thought he slotted back in really well. Had a try, obviously, 173 metres. But yeah, it just felt like I don't know, he was back where he belonged a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It shows you. We always talk about on this potty, but like the importance of a happy footy player.
Yep.
And not to suggest he was, Devo at the Roosters, but clearly it didn't click. Clearly that the personality and the place didn't click. And that's, sometimes that's no one's fault. Sometimes it's just certain people suit certain clubs. Clearly he suits the Knights because he looked like a different player. Well, he looked like the Dom Young we knew 2 years ago.
It looks like a happier version of the guy we've seen the last 2 years, for sure.
So that's another boon for the club that needs attack to be sorted. If Best is on the field, if Young is on the field, Marju comes back in, all of a sudden you've got outside backs that can create points. They just get some good ball.
It is. It's a wild backline when you look. Once Greg's back, Best, Gagai, Dom Young, and Ponga. That's wild.
It's honestly, you could argue it's one of the best backlines in the competition.
Yeah, 1 to 5, without a doubt. Yeah.
Like 1 to 5.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think.
Like who's the weakest player on that side? What is it? Marju?
Yeah, probably Marju.
Sure.
Running for 250 metres a game. And that's what's so bizarre when they can't score points. You're like, with this side at full strength, especially now that Dom Young's back in it, mate, at the very least, just kick him the ball.
Yeah.
Or just give Bradman Best early ball. Really, really good win for the club. And isn't Cogger such an interesting one? Because he has games where he leads them exactly around the park where he needs to go. And then other games where it just doesn't seem like it's working. And you're like, one party was like, just give this bloke an opportunity. Like, give him some time. But on the other hand, it's like, well, he has been given a little bit of time. I don't really know where I stand on it. What do you reckon, Timmy?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm with you, mate. Like, there are weeks where you go, all right, no, he's absolutely a week in, week out NRL number 7. Then there's weeks where you go, all right, probably need to stint reserve grade. And, like he's a backup half. But I don't know, there's something there. But I don't have an answer to your question, Kempy.
Yeah. Do you... So I'm just thinking about next year. Arthur, is he an 80-minute hooker?
I'll say this, like, when you're paired with new halves combinations every bloody week and it keeps chopping and changing, sometimes due to injuries and suspensions, sometimes due to selection at the selection table. But if they went next year and they go, all right, I know they sort of want to play Brown as a 7, but let's say Brown plays as a 6 and they just go Cogger plays 7 and they stick with it, I don't see why it couldn't work. But the constant chopping and changing makes it bloody hard to adapt.
Yeah.
He's so interesting, Cogger. When you look at his career, there's something there without a doubt. But then you've just got this 30-minute grand final appearance that's like fucking Haley's comment that you just can't ignore that happened. But if you take that out, it's like
it's Guru's comment.
Guru's comment, yeah. But like if you take that out, you're going, okay, he's probably in the Super League doing fantastic things over there. But because of that, he stayed. And like he signed this contract with the Knights before that as well.
Yeah.
It's worth noting. But it's just because you saw that, you go, there is something there.
Yeah. And then he has games where you're like, yep, good, solid 7 that can guide you around the park.
And he doesn't need to be anything more than a good, solid 7. Like, generally speaking, I know their points haven't been there for 2 years, but when you've got Ponga there, you've got Fletcher Sharp and all these attacking weapons, it shouldn't be his job to have to create everything. Like, they should have points.
This is how incredible this win was for the Knights. The Dolphins had 6 line breaks. The Knights had 2. The Dolphins had 53%. The Knights had 47%. The Dolphins had a higher completion rate. They had 61% of the territory. This is an amazing win. They had more runs. The Dolphins had more run meters. They had less post-contact. They had more supports. The Dolphins had 57 decoys compared to 39 decoys of the Knights. The Dolphins... So here is where the match was won. Missed tackles. The Knights 30, the Dolphins 48. Those stats put into perspective how incredible this win was from the Knights. Like, they had every reason to lose this again, and it's all ticker, it's all heart, and that's one thing I always give Adam O'Brien credit for is like he has instilled defensive steel. I wonder, like with Adam O'Brien, like is there a way to go almost like you're the head coach, but you're essentially the defensive coach, and just getting an attacking wizardry coach next to him that can just. And I know he's currently probably got an attacking coach. And I don't know whether he doesn't listen to that attacking coach. I'm not sure. Maybe that is the case. I'm not sure. But is that a way to get... Because he's a good defensive coach.
Well, that's where you go... you probably need to cut him a bit of slack because, they've played a lot of finals footy in recent years under him. This year, the attack's been awful, but they're getting up, they're playing, the defence is there, the grit's there, as you said. But there's a whole team there, right? And the head coach's job more than anything is to get players up, to get in games and do those things, be gritty and perform each week. But the attack and the fine-tuning of all that, a lot of that comes down to your assistant coaches, right? So O'Brien's obviously the face of it all, but a lot of it comes down to your assistants too, and why aren't they scoring points? Who is responsible?
Yeah.
I don't know who the assistant is. Is it Blake Green there? Or is he one of the... Where's Blake Green?
Yeah, he's there. I'm pretty
He's
sure
one
he's
of
there.
them. I don't know who the rest
and he
of
would
them
be
are, but-
essentially a rookie-ish assistant coach.
I wonder with Dill Brown though, do you look at getting Brad Arthur up there? He's obviously got a relationship. If you could have Brad
his
Arthur
son
leading
too.
the attack, you could have
Yeah. And you
Adam O'Brien defense.
Arthur's a decent attacking coach,
Yeah.
for sure, with what you do with the Eels.
stuff though. You don't quite see Brad Arthur going to work underneath someone. I don't know if AOB steps back from.
How's his Super League team going?
Not sure,
No, I
to be
haven't followed.
completely honest with you.
No, he's probably still working.
Yeah, I'll check.
Is it Leeds? Leeds Rhinos?
Yeah.
But yeah, really, really good win for the Knights. It's just all about building now because, I like the weirdest ladder in the history of mankind. So right now, the Knights are 14th, and they actually have more wins than the Cowboys, more wins than the Dragons. They got the same amount of wins as the Sea Eagles, who are currently 10th. What the? A couple of wins, they're back in the 8.
Yep.
The most Newcastle thing ever, they'd probably scrape in and finish 8th,
Well, what's crazy is Panthers have 6 wins, and that's the same as the Knights have. So they're essentially 1 win outside the 8.
Wouldn't it be the most Newcastle thing of all time for them to finish 8?
Oh, man.
We get to finals time and Knights are like, we've been playing finals footy for 20 weeks.
Yeah.
We're sweet. We're ready.
So strange, isn't it?
We'll beat a team 14-2 and play like a busted and see you next week.
When I see that, I go, I'm an idiot for even talking about pressure on Adam O'Brien. They won, they have a few good wins over the next month, and all of a sudden they're not just in the 8; they're solidly in the 8. They are such a strange team to talk about. I mean, to be honest, they're a little bit like the Cowboys to a degree. But yeah, really, really good win from the club, and I'm sure the Knights fans are stoked with it because they showed a lot of ticker to get this done. Anything else with the Knights?
Leeds Rhinos 4th for those playing at home. Yeah, 1-10, lost 5.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, on to the Dolphins. Just would have been a tough pill to swallow for Wolf because they've built all this momentum. They've only had 3 tries scored against them in 3 weeks. And then to go out to, first of all, not only not score as many as they would hope, but also to concede 26 points. It's it's what really does stop me from going, they're a lock for the top 8. It's just this these blips they seem to have. Maybe once a month, maybe, you go back to the start of the season, it was 4 games where they struggled. Granted, there was reasons. They go on this little bit of a run, blip. So I just wonder, is there a way, obviously there is a way, but I think that Wolf is going to be listen, if we keep going this year, it's going to be hard for us to build confidence in ourselves to make any dent into the finals footy. Because I don't think that with the way they've been in the last month, I don't think just scraping into the 8 is acceptable for Christian Wolf right now. I think he's saying, no, we can make week 2 or 3 of the finals if we play as well as we can. What do you reckon, boys?
Yeah, they're you don't want to go too harsh off them off the back of 1 loss.
And they dominated most things.
Yeah, they did.
They
They didn't play terribly by any means. Just these injuries, they just keep stacking up for this team as well. Bro. Jack Bostock out now. Looks like an ACL injury, so he'll miss the rest of the year. What they're going to do there? There's a young fella that we spoke about in the preseason, Tafita Nafahu. You have a look at his. He's played a few positions this year, but I think he's played 6 games on the wing and he scored 8 tries in those 6 games. So he's one that I'd like to see them blood. And
he's been that sort of 18th, 19th man a couple of times, so he's obviously close.
It's just they've still got Tupu there. They moved Averillo to the wing mid-game, so they could go for a Fang guy as well. I hope they go the young guy, because I think the other thing worth noting with the Dolphins is that, we're talking about Jack Bostock, Isaiah Cattell, these guys every single week. They weren't ready for first grade 18 months ago, but they put them in there. They got the experience, and it's paying dividends later. I know it sucks for Dolphins fans, but with all these injuries and whatnot, I think maybe you do try and blood some of these young kids.
Yeah.
Bring them into the side.
Mate, the amount of injuries these guys have had, like, I want to see him at full strength just to see what we got here.
If you see him at full strength, it'll be terrifying.
Yeah. Tough loss. Tough loss. Oh, man. I will say, what about the battle of Herbie and Bradman Best, just like the numbers they were putting up? Jeez. Like, one of the great battles.
They're two defensive beasts, that pair, and a tackle on the night from both of them.
Yeah, absolutely. That ball I forgot to say, Brodie Jones' try. Just the wherewithal to stay up like that, and you're not a noted try scorer. That's just like so good. So good. Now, there was one try where Katoa threw that tunnel ball. Like, bruh. He makes it look so easy. And also, like, the amount of times where you see him throw a ball and the person that's catching the ball, they're not like this, they're not like this, they're not like this. It is literally just like that. And it's a 20-metre ball. Just a special. Now, granted, I think he is 21 years old, but he is getting into the territory of you just need to find a way to win these matches. Because I have such high standard of him. Now, I'm not going to be too harsh on him, but with all of this praise that he's getting, it will come to a point where it's like, even if you play well, that doesn't matter. All that matters is the W. And so I think this is probably one game where he probably will feel he should have iced a few things, even though he still played relatively well.
And isn't that conversation there, like when you consider all the injuries, he's 21 years old, to even be having that conversation is insane at a new franchise. Wayne Bennett's left, but this is the standard the Dolphins have set for themselves.
And that he's set for himself. He's been that good. I can start now expecting what I would normally expect out of a top-tier 27-year-old half. I expect that's the next stage for Katoa, where he is no longer okay with being this young gun that's standing out. It is now, no, I win matches for my side.
Yeah. If Nathan Cleary was out game 3,
I'd do it.
I'm sort of at the point where I'd do it.
I'd do it 100%. Like, I know people have said Reynolds. I know Matty is a big fan of Reynolds, and I get where people are coming from. I really do. Experience. He's got essentially the best kicking game in the competition. But I just think if you take out age, Katoa has been the best 7 this year at Clubland. Some people, point to the Dally M and see Metcalf. Like, look, if you let Dally M pick the best team in Origin, it would look completely different. Like, Dally M isn't the be-all and end-all of who's been playing best. Metcalf's been great. But I just think Katoa is exactly what New South Wales need for game 3. I know people say you're worried about him getting burned, but he's already taken Tonga to a Pacific Cup champ. He's been in the big games. Me personally, I would be going Katoa.
What would you do?
I think I would go Adam Reynolds.
Yep.
I'm not filthy either way, and I think in 12 months' time I'd absolutely be going, Katoa over just about anyone, because I think he's just, we know he's got a big future for the Blues, but I just think a decider. Adam Reynolds has been there and done it in big games time and time again. You add in how important his kicking game will be for the Blues as well. I just have confidence he goes. We have so many strike weapons that whoever goes in there, they don't have to create everything and be dominant in attack or any of that. It's just getting to the right positions, controlling and managing the game, getting your early ball to your strike centres.
Is there a worry that Renault physically, you would be targeting him when you're coming out of
Yeah, but so would Isaiah Katoa. Isaiah Katoa 12 months ago, we were saying, he needs to sort his defence out. Much better this year, but they're both going to get targeted.
I think the targeting would be his defensive reads. I don't think physically I have an issue with Katoa when it comes to his defence.
Yeah, but that's the thing. You add a player in with such little experience in Isaiah Katoa, having to forge these new combinations with blokes around him for one game, having never played with the majority of them, so hard to do. Not saying that's easy for Adam Reynolds, but he's far more seasoned to be able to do that. So again, not saying I'd be against Katoa.
Yeah. It's just...
And the reality is that if Katoa goes in, he probably kills it. Like I mentioned last week, that the way he digs into the line, the amount of space he creates for his outside backs, what that would do with Crichton and Latrell, they'd probably have a field day. It's such a big arena.
I just think with Katoa, what you could guarantee is 100 metres run. Like if you just said, Katoa, just run the ball first, kind of like what Cleary did game 1, and just say, mate, just run the ball. Whereas Renault, if it doesn't go right ball playing for Renault, he doesn't necessarily have the biggest running game.
We don't need our halfback to run for 100 metres though. We've got Brian Toto there. We've got Dylan Edwards there. We've got Zach Lennox. They're going to run for 200 each anyway.
But it's not necessarily the 100 metres. It's the fact that Cleary had his best game one because a lot of the time was run first, and I just think that with Origin, with the speed of the line speed, if you are a halfback that can't run, you take away the worry from the defence going, oh, we don't have to worry about him running, we just have to land on him as soon as he touches the ball. Yeah. And I just think Katoa, that physicality because he's a bigger body. Either way, honestly, I wouldn't care. Seriously, I'd care in the sense that I'd be happy for Katoa or Reno. He's played for us. But that's just my kind of angle on it. But I definitely see the Reno one. He's been there. His kicking game is immaculate. And he's won a grand final. He's been in 3 grand finals. And that counts for something.
And look, if it was game 1 we were selecting, I'd go Katoa and I'd build it. But for a one-off game in a decider, I want experience.
Who would you be going? Katoa?
I'd go Isaiah.
Who would you go, Hammy?
Isaiah.
Katoa? Matty, still Reno?
Yeah, I'd be going Adam Reynolds.
Yep. Let us know in the comments section. Who will you, if Cleary isn't right, he probably will be right. If he isn't right, though, who would you go at number 7? At number 7 for the Blues?
It's interesting, though, with Nath Cleary. Like, apparently if Mitch Moses was available, they might not have run with Cleary, I've heard in that
Oh, is
game.
that what you've heard?
That's
Okay.
what I've heard. But
I personally thought that. I just thought Cleary played because he was like, mate, if I don't play, we literally don't have an out-and-out 7. Like, I know Luai is a 7 at club, but at that level, is he a 7? I know for Samoa he was good at 7, but Origin, that standard is completely different. He might have been able to do a job, but I reckon if Moses was sweet, I reckon Cleary probably doesn't play.
I think it makes sense. Like, then you're running with the half strand that won the series last year.
Yeah, and you're good to go. The kicking game's fine. Whereas I think, Cleary definitely didn't look 100%. Like,
no, he wasn't 100% when he ran out in the field.
Even that first
Well, he didn't kick, so
there you go. Just back to the Dolphins game, boys.
I want to give him another shout out. Kurt Donahoe playing in this 13 role. He is just dynamic at the moment. Too tough for his own good. Just ticks so many boxes. For this footy side.
What's crazy is you could argue Gilbert could be the 13. You could argue Plath, and then Donahue is the 13, and yet he's punching this kind of stuff out. It's just so good to see.
Firstly, credit to him for backing up post-Origin, but I thought Hammer was caught out a bit in this game. Pretty well an uncontested bomb for the match winner that he let bounce.
Poor.
That was really poor. And even just the 2 kicks in behind the line for, I think it was the Bradman Best tries. Not to say he should have stopped it because the kicks were pinpoint. I think they're both from Ponga, but he was just miles away, and I thought his positioning was off. Maybe it's a case of, being a bit lethargic, a bit tired from Origin, but look, the game was in Perth. It was a 3-day turnaround. And if you're backing up, it shouldn't matter. You have to play to this standard. And I just thought he was caught out a lot of times in this.
Which is disappointing because he had essentially 19 runs, 20 runs. And usually Hammer, he can be a little bit quiet in situations like this. And I actually like the fact that he was so engaged in the game for most of it at least. Yeah. So it's disappointing that kind of stuff happens. We haven't spoken about it, but Herbie Farnworth, bro, my God. This guy is just, every single week he's giving you a 10 out of 10 essentially. If it's not a 10 out of 10, it's a 9 out of 10. When was the last time Herbie Farnworth, do you reckon, played 6 out of 10 game?
Can't remember. Honestly, can't remember.
Hell, bro.
Yeah.
It didn't happen.
Every game. And what's so impressive is if you go back 3 or 4 years, there was the argument against him of his ball playing just isn't there. It's all about, he doesn't really think about his winger. It's not like that anymore. Granted, yes, does he still get a lot of work? Does he run a lot? Yes, he does. But I've got no concern or worry that if his wing is free, that he's going to get it nowadays. He's fully worked on that.
Yeah, I agree.
Well, that's it. He's so confident, and it's not just his passing and his tip on that have come so far, but every time he goes into contact, he looks to offload. Yeah. Because he knows how good he is, knows how strong he is. He's playing with such confidence at the moment.
He had 4 line break assists and 5 offloads.
Yeah.
Bro, seriously, unbelievable. Outside of that, look, just a disappointing loss. I think that, it's one thing to lose when you lose all the stats and you have less possession and the opposition just grind you out of the game. I think Christian Wolf will be like, mate, that was there.
So put it this way, Herbie, in 79 games with the Broncos, he had 12 try assists. In 35 games, so less than half of that with the Dolphins, he's assisted 14. That's a huge difference.
That's a huge difference. Wow.
Just another one on the Dolphins too. Debutant that came off the bench, Oblix Toha, I believe it's pronounced. real kid of the future, I think.
Okay.
They got
He killed
a
it in a couple of trials, didn't he? He was like a standout player.
They've got him listed as a centre in Q Cup and Dolphins. He's only playing back row.
Did he play number 24 or something in the trials? He was like part of the extent. I think I know.
He did play in the trials.
Yeah, I know exactly what you're
Millions to tell you
talking
what
about. Yeah,
number he was
played really
wearing.
well. Played really well. in the
Yeah, he
trials.
played very good.
Yeah.
Yeah, he looks good.
Okay. Outside of that, so disappointing. But anyway, on to the next game. Rabbitohs v the Storm. Brought to you by August One, data-driven social media and marketing. August One cuts through the noise and with quiet ease, providing relaxed confidence of high-level expertise and experience. We're a bespoke service run by smart people who love data-driven and real results. It's started by the founder of founded by the former head of digital for Woolworths, so the best in the business. Okay, Rabbitohs 24, Storm 25. And if you ever needed a game that shows the Rabbitohs ticker, their heart, it was this game for me. Like I'm going to sound like the biggest Storm hater, and I'm not hating just because I love the Storm. I love the playing group. I really still have them as my premiership favourites. But geez, wasn't this a game where you saw all the worst parts of the current Storm? I mean, they still managed to win, which is great, but they get out to this lead. And then they just go willy-nilly. We need to score off every single set. Bunch of errors. Rabbitohs get back into the game, and they make something that could have been so easy for them, just a really tight, dominant win, into an absolute shit fight where they got super lucky in the end that Pappenhausen absolutely nailed the field goal. I'm sorry, Storm fans, to sound like a hater. It comes from a place of love, but this is what I've been talking about the last month or so, of just this their need to score points every set. Maybe I'm wrong. What do you reckon, Roo?
Yeah, they scored less tries in this game. And I was out there at the game, mate. After 5 minutes, you could have heard a pin drop in the place. Like, South Sydney was just absolutely dejected with the way this started. The next 70 minutes, they won that 24-13.
The Storm, in the first half, they completed 69%. Like the Melbourne Storm, who you're desperate to get into that mode. And look, maybe it's going to be after Origin that we see this juggernaut kick into gear. But, oh, man, as a Storm fan, surely you're sitting there going, geez, there's a premiership winning side right in front of me. But it's like they do everything they can to make these games way harder than they need to be. Timmy, what do you reckon, mate? Am I being too harsh?
No, you're not. And weekly rant time. I'll tell you, it really grinds my gears, Kempy. I can't believe a bloke like Harry Grant backs up for this game.
Oh, mate, I'm with you.
I genuinely, years and years of just countless examples of players around Origin backing up and doing soft tissue injuries, and you look at a bloke like Harry Grant, who is so pivotal to the Melbourne Storm's title credentials this year as favourites. He had a hamstring injury early this year. He played 80 minutes in Origin. He backed up in this game 3 days later for a game in Perth, and he wasn't the only one. Like Cam Munster was another one, and there were other players this round, like Jerome Luai 2 days from the 2-day turnaround for the Tigers, played 80 minutes. Hudson Young in a Raiders side who were killing it and basically didn't really need him. And I messaged the NRL physio yesterday and just said, look, I obviously have no medical experience and what the body's like. Am I missing something? And he said, no, mate. He thought there was going to be mass restings. He said that off the back of players backing up from this game and that flight from Perth on short turnarounds, he reckons there'll be mega injuries in coming weeks and over the next month or so as a result. I get it if you're a team that's fighting for the top 8 or you're desperate or your season's on the line, but a Melbourne Storm team who realistically should be making the top 4 pretty comfortably and are ticking along okay, I just don't know why you risk them. I don't.
Especially he did his hammy earlier this year.
He did his hammy and he missed about a month.
They wrote down their final team sheet of 19 players. Tyrant Wishart was on the bench and Bronson Garlick was your 19th.
Yeah. So the idea was always obviously to play in pretty decent minutes.
Yeah.
Mate, it's madness. We're the only game that, for the life of me, with how physical our game is, I think it's madness that we make these Origin guys back up. And I know I see the comments, soft, and the former generations did it. Mate, the game is so different to what it was. Like the amount of training these guys do now compared to even when I was there, even when I was playing, the amount of training that they do now, how highly strung these athletes are, it is night and day. And I just think at some point, I think Wayne Bennett has come out as well, hasn't he? And said it's crazy that we have this forced turnaround or whatever. mate, I almost getting to the point, and I know the clubs that are desperate for wins and have Origin players are going to say, well, then Origin's unfair for us, but I think at some point we're just going to have a forced resting. Like, I really do. Like, imagine asking, and I know it's not exactly the same, but imagine asking MMA fighters after going 3 rounds in a fight, saying, oh, do that in 3 days' time. You get medically suspended for like 2 to 3 months after a fight.
Yeah.
Like, it's essentially the same thing in rugby league. Like, and I know that sounds crazy, but I'm being serious. Like, the amount of damage you do to your body, like, it's essentially the same thing. How many head knocks are there in a game? What 5, 6?
Yeah.
As in actual HIAs. That's not just head knocks. I'm with you, Timmy. Don't get me wrong. I used to be it's good for the team. You got to back up. But mate, seeing how much these athletes have to go through these days, I think that at some point we're going to have to force rest it.
And just the experience of Craig Bellamy just surprised me so much that he'd like, no, we need them to do this. And like, just for kicker, it went to Golden Point. Harry Grant played 84 minutes. He had 9 runs. He made 50 tackles. 3 days after playing 80 minutes from the range in Origin. It's like...
And he was outstanding.
Like, why are you doing... And then you look at like Payne Haas as well. And again, a slightly different example because, the Broncos are a bit more desperate for wins. They had the extra day turnaround. I get it. But he's carrying... Was it a groin injury or something?
Mate, I'll be honest. As a Broncos fan, I'm going, what are we doing? Like, I'd rather drop this game than injure him long term.
And he went off with an injury concern. Like, we don't know the exact details of what happened when he went off. Hanging by a thread. And then it's like, no, they're not putting him on ice. They put him back out there. Payne Haas was probably the difference in the game. I get it. I see the temptation to do it, but you got to put the players first at some point.
Just on top of, like, in this game, like as you said, Harry Grant backed up from Origin. Cam Munster backed up from Origin. Trent Leroux backed up for Origin. Like, Tyrant Wishart's 3 best positions. He played 23 minutes.
Strange.
You've got Tyrone Wishart there.
Does that suggest to you that Bellyache is really not happy with where they're at?
I think that's exactly what it suggests, yeah.
Because if he was happy with where they're at, he would absolutely rest them. But I think he is... I mean, you saw in the coach's box, he was not happy. And I know some Storm fans have been disagreeing with me quite a lot in the last month, and I'm not sitting here saying I told you so because it's not that at all. This is a completely subjective opinion. But this is what I've been talking about. Like this Storm side's inability to grind out wins, it might come back and bite them. Like it nearly bit them against the understrength South side. Who were your halves on the weekend?
Whiten moved into the halves and Humphreys.
And then your 9 was
Havili, yeah, but he went off after 20 minutes.
Like they were very close to losing to an understrength South side that aren't even in the 8 at the moment.
And like, in one regard, Bellyache's vindicated by like, all right, it was a tight game, we only just got there, and Harry Grant was really good, scored an early try. But in another light, it's like they nearly lost the game and backed him up for nothing.
Yeah,
and it's like,
so true.
Meanwhile, credit to them, but Penrith rested their players and they still got to win against title contenders.
Look, let's talk about the positives though. The positives is they did win. They hung in there. They hung tough as Storm sides, always do. And I will give the Storm massive credit, their ability to absorb that pressure towards the end there, because it looked like, the Souths were downhill skiing at the end there. It really looked like everything was falling their way. Latrell he was in a mood. And so I've got to give the Storm credit. Their ability to just find a way to get a victory. A little bit like the Raiders to a degree, like didn't play that great, for essentially 60 minutes, but still managed to get the victory. I think the little bit of difference, I'm looking at the Raiders going, how good is it they're in the top 4, whereas the Melbourne Storm, I'm going, of course you're in the top 4. You're a premiership heavyweight. I still have them as the number 1 team at the moment in regards to if there was a grand final tomorrow, I feel like they could pull it together, but it's getting harder and harder to trust this Melbourne Storm side. Now, I do have a feeling that Bellyache is intentionally planned a season like this, because if you go back and look at some of the other years, they start the year so fast that they actually fatigue towards the end of the year. I wonder whether Bellyache has gone into this season and said, you know what? We're not doing it this time. We're going to build into the back end of the year. Maybe that's what's happening at the moment.
2 things that I took away from this game being out there live. First time I've seen Jack Howarth play live.
He's physical.
Jeez, he's imposing. My God.
Mate. How physical is he?
The noise that you hear every time he takes a hit up, he's a lot. And, mate, I thought South Sydney defended Eli Katoa incredibly well. He's still got 170 run metres. I was about to say, I thought Bloke had a cracker. Eli Katoa ran for 100 more metres than Bloke. It's insane.
We're just so used to it with Qatar. Like it's almost getting into like obviously not on the same level, but Tedesco-esque where they just play 9 out of 10 every week that you just kind of expect it. Like if he had ran for 170 metres a few years ago, 3 or 4 years ago, we'd be saying, mate, he's the hungriest player this week.
Yeah.
But because he's just so consistent now, and just perfect evidence that like if you ever had any doubt that Bellyache has lost his ability to develop players, like it's just not happening. He is still the best player developer in the competition, in my opinion. Hammy, what do you think, mate, of the Storm?
Yeah, I mean, they won ugly, but I think that is a good sign. That's a sign of a good team. You know, touched on it with the Raiders as well. If you're able to scrape through, find a way when you're not at your best, I think that just suggests you're heading in the right direction to have a big year. So, yeah, look, they'd probably want to be a little bit more clinical in these sort of games, but, all things considered, they've found a way to get the job done once again. I agree with you, though. I don't know the market's got them $2.60 favourites to win the comp. I think that's way too short from what we've seen so far. Like they're not completely blitzing teams, but
and they're fourth. Like at the end of the day, they're fourth.
That's right.
Yeah.
But look, they got it done when it.
Sorry. So apologies. I think they're going up the ladder. Sorry, bro. Just wait a sec. Third.
Yeah.
Apologies.
No, it's all good. They what wasn't their most clinical kind of performance, but some of their key players found a way to step up when it mattered, and interesting that goal kicking again probably a difference in this one. Latrell not as crisp off the tee as usual, but they'll take it, the Storm.
And the strange thing is they're actually 3-0 their last 3 games. So they're winning games.
They're winning games, yeah.
That's how good they are, though. They've been nowhere near their best, and they're just ticking along, doing all right.
I will say Warriors have 1 more games than them, so there is that. They're on 10 wins, and the Storm are on 9 wins. In regards to performances, this shows you how dominant their start of the game was. So this is what's scary about the Melbourne Storm when they click and they're on their flow. So it was how long was into the game? So it's in the first half, and we're about 15 minutes into it. Their average set distance was 42 metres compared to 23 metres of the Rabbitohs. And they were 12-4 at this stage. This is when they started to make errors, though, and they were down to 69% completion rate. They had run for 547 metres compared to 325. So this is where they were after a few errors. So they'd already been actually more dominant than this in the first 15 minutes. By the end of the game, the possession ended up 50-50, and their length of each set was essentially the same as the South Sydney Rabbitohs. Now, you could argue, maybe that's because South got better, but it just shows you Storm at their best can absolutely dominate sides. In regards to individual performances, I thought Green Anderson was great again. I really like... So it hasn't been announced whether he signed for the Broncos. Is that correct? Because I freaking don't know what's going on there.
Well, I think Frank Panisi said in an interview the other day that they want to keep him and that they're hoping to keep him.
They absolutely need to keep him.
He's the gift that keeps on giving, isn't
absolutely. Grant the gift that keeps on giving, baby.
Yeah. He's so good.
But he's that good. He comes in there, and every time he comes in there, you're like, if you had any other wingers than Coates and Warbrick, you'd be starting. Other than, obviously maybe Toto and all that kind of stuff. But he's just stuck behind 2 of the better wingers in the competition. And honestly... I think he would put pressure on Warbrick if he had long enough to put pressure on Warbrick.
I don't know about you guys, but when he first came into first grade,
oh mate,
I don't know if I've ever got a read more wrong.
With you, totally with you.
I genuinely and obviously it's egg all over my face. I didn't think he'd last 5 games. I really didn't. From what we saw early, he just did not look like a first grader.
Mate, he looks like a guy that would always kill reserve grade, but just didn't have that next step in him in first grade. And I'm with you. Egg on my face as well. I got that so wrong because any chance he gets, he's usually one of the best players on the bloody field. So he was great. Pappenhausen, what a moment for him. Isn't he just his story is one of the great stories in rugby league that for some reason, he had this, period of his career where he had all the headlines. He was one of the game's biggest stars, and he still is one of the game's biggest stars. But he was always talked about. And he was part of the team that went to a grand final last year. He's been playing good footy this year, and he just, for some reason, just doesn't get appreciated or talked about enough anymore, Ryan Pappenhausen. But that's another match winner from Pappenhausen.
I think maybe just in a team full of superstars, so many different players can take the limelight in wins. But so didn't have his best game, but Delivered when it mattered.
Delivered when it mattered. And so just a really bloody good. I mean, think about this as well. A couple of years ago, not even a couple of years, maybe like midway through last year, we were all probably sitting here going, if Fa'alongo has a good enough run, he might put pressure on Ryan Papenhuyzen. Is there anyone sitting here saying that Fa'alongo is putting pressure on Ryan Papenhuyzen right now?
No. And
it's a testament to Pappy.
Yeah. I think Fa'alongo, he's just a fullback. And outright fullback for me. He, set up a match winner basically in this one, or near enough.
What a line.
We know how good he is in attack. Unbelievable, but defensively, he's not getting his reads right. Physically, he's quite a small body. He gets run over the top of quite a bit. I think he's a backup fullback. He'll do a job and he's serviceable, but, defence wins premierships, and I think going into a finals game with him on your wing, obviously they have injuries at the moment and Coates' rest on the weekend, but, you look at him and Grant Anderson, once Coates is back, Grant Anderson stays in this team for me every day of the week.
Especially when you add him to that right edge, which struggles as it is. Yeah. Going up against South's left edge might be the best edge in rugby league history.
Yeah, I will say, and this is, I know you guys aren't saying this, I almost can't blame him, because he's not a winger.
No, he's not.
Yeah, and I know you're not saying that either, but it's just he's just doing his best in a position that clearly he's not designed for. It's going to be do you re-sign Pappy? At this moment, I don't think why would you not re-sign Pappy?
If he wants to stay, he's staying.
I don't see how Fa'alongo stays because of his sort of physical attributes. I don't think he has a future on the wing. A lot of fullbacks, gun-young fullbacks or fullbacks of any level, can be stuck behind a better number one, but they can play on the wing and sort of do that. Like Nick Meaney, for example, in the same team who, he was a one for a long time, but, he'd come to the Storm and he'd be slotted in at centre or the wing. I just don't think Fa'alongo's big enough to be able to do that. So, I just think Pappy re-signs, and I don't see how Fa'alongo stays because he'll want to be playing as a starting one for another club, which he'll get.
Easy, for sure.
He's currently signed till 28 for Fa'alongo.
And Pappy's 26?
He's 26.
Yeah.
Clauses in the contract, I feel like.
I think something along the lines, if they re-sign Pappy.
Something like that.
No, that was Pezzett and Hughes.
Yeah,
it might have been for that, but
Pezzett returned as well on the weekend, didn't he?
He's not. He's close to, Sewer was the Bears fullback last year in the Cup Grand Final.
Mate, not a bad shout. And I feel like Storm are the kind of club with how this whole situation has gone down would probably allow him, because he's been so patient, they'd probably allow him to go if they could. I tell you what, you could probably get him for cheap compared to an equal, let's say Campbell is on the market. How much do you reckon Perth Bears could get a guy like Fa'alongo? 6?
Yeah, 6, 7s, I reckon.
Pretty good for his potential.
What he could do.
Yeah.
And when you talk about putting bums on seats, the highlights this bloke.
He's a good pin-up boy, he said, you're right, he'd put bums on seats.
Okay, now on to South. I know his kicking game wasn't great, but geez, when Latrell Mitt just went on that rampage, mate, just I don't get it. I don't get how a bloke that big can do that shit. And what I loved about Trell's performance, it wasn't just the try assist, but he was running it back straight off kick returns. This is the Trell I like to see, that will do the physical stuff, but then he'll just take a game by the scruff of the neck and say, you know what? Yeah, I'm against the premiership heavyweights, but that's all good. I'll get us back into the competition. Incredible performance from Trell.
As I said, I was out there for this one, and one thing that I don't think you get to appreciate on TV, but when you're sitting there watching Latrell live, is that a lot of fullbacks in this game will go from side to side in a set. Latrell will just sit on the left edge and go, no, I'll just wait until I'll set up the try here. You know where he's going to be. He's never swinging from an open side to a short, so he's always sitting, just waiting for fourth tackle or third tackle. We know the strike play's coming to me. They know it. Couldn't do anything about it. At no point could they do anything about it. You go watch those sets that he sets up for AJ. He's sitting at the left side, just outside the sticks, the entire set, waiting for it. Did the same thing with the Tyrone Munro try on the right side. He just doesn't swing. He sits there and goes, okay, I'm dictating where this set of 6 finishes. You guys work it out, and I'll just put the icing on the cake.
And imagine having the confidence and be able to set up points that you are I don't have to run around a set because I'm going to get you a try.
Yes.
So you just let me stand out here, get me the ball, I'll sort it out. There's not a single other fullback in the comp that can just do that stuff.
And you could see on that try that he set up for Munro on the right side, early in the set, they were calling him over to the left, and he was just nah, I know what I'm doing. You guys set up there, go to that left post and just give me the football.
Mate, we've never seen a player like that is so confident and also nails it every time. And just give me the ball, I'll get a try. I'm not going to run back and forth. I'm not going to waste my energy. Just give me the ball.
I really hope for the competition's sake the Bunnies can get some players back and like give them an actual chance because a fully fit and firing Latrell Mitchell, if they can sneak into the A, like they've got such a good squad on paper. A bit like the Dolphins, they've just had such a wretched run of injuries.
Mate, imagine this team at full strength. Like, look at the fight they show, the ticker they show. Imagine this team at full strength. Like,
if they scrape into the A at full strength, like they can win the comp. I'm not like they're a long way from it right now, but they're ticking along well enough. They've got the team in a year where there's no like real sort of standout to give or take the Storm, where nothing had shocked me.
Well, they're massively under strength, and they just took the Melbourne Storm to a point. Like, it's just, man.
Tell you what did shock me, we were sitting here last Monday going, Keon's going to be out for 4 to 6 weeks. 26 runs, 80 minutes. He's a freak.
Bro, like, we were talking about on the Packer Up Boys last week. He's so rat's ass when you talk about him. When you talk to him, he's just like, yeah, I like the edge better, you know. Like, mate, but do you want to play in the middle? Like, he's like, no, I like the edge. And then, so like, you get that version of him. You're like, man, he's going to go out there and play like a bastard because he doesn't want to be in the middle. He goes in, like, the fact that he backed up with a fractured eye socket a week, 7 days, was it less than 7 days?
It was on Sunday.
So it was on Sunday.
Yeah, so 6 days. 6 days.
6 days. Like, it doesn't match up. Like, usually a player with that kind of intensity that's willing to do that is intense off the field. Like, they're like, they're all about, fucking do it. Like, just high energy. He's so chill, but so tough at the same time. It's crazy.
We see the Bunnies like push the Melbourne Storm, title favourites, in this game and come in within a bee's dick of winning it. They're missing their starting centre, 5'8", hooker and lock.
And it's a captain as well.
And captain.
Well, I think it's 14 from 30 players are missing.
Far out.
It's either 12 or 14. Something crazy.
Honestly, I reckon any other coach than maybe Bellyache and Bennett, they're coming last. Like their ability to pull this together somehow, some way, has just been like, your number 9's Havili. Oh, look, I love Havili, but he's a bench utility. That's his main, just amazing stuff. In regards to performance, we've already spoken about Keon, but let's just read it out again. 26 runs, 235 metres, 88 post-contact, 3 tackle breaks, 35 tackles, only 1 miss. Jesus. With a fractured eye socket. Far out, man. What the hell?
Do you pick him in Origin 3?
You got to.
I think you got to. Like, I've been saying it for 2 years. I've got all these smart minds in rugby league that Stefano. I'm just not seeing it still. And maybe in a year's time it'll be different. If it is, I'll fall on my sword in a heartbeat. I'll be stoked to. But it has to be Keon.
What else? We always talk about being Origin made. This bloke just ran for 200 plus metres with a fractured eye socket, and he came into the game with the fractured eye socket.
And he's been in Origin and done well.
Mate, you got to get him in.
To it.
Now, I will say, I think Laurie Daly has come out and essentially implied that you're going to be picked on form for Game 3. Can you maybe try to get that article up? So it seems like he's leaning towards that. But I guess we'll see. Look, I do feel sorry for Stefano in the sense that, he was responsible for the Cleary try not getting called up and all that, and then the try where the Harry Grant scooted out or whatever. But at the same time, unfortunately in Origin, it's a ruthless business. It's a ruthless business.
Mate, Stefano knows that there's pressure on his spot for Game 3, and he comes out in this one. Granted, I know backing up from Origin, but, relatively limited minutes, and he played 35 minutes in this game, obviously a bit of an early shower as a result of backing up from Origin. He had 6 runs for 66 metres. You're playing for your Origin spot there. You need more than that.
I can't wait to watch him next week because, the week before his Origin selection, he played really well. Really, really, all eyes on his game because I do think he's in a position where his form at club in the next week or so will dictate whether he gets reselected or not. Stefano's such an interesting, he seems like a lovely bloke, good, solid NRL player. There's just always been so much hype around him and eyes around him. And he doesn't do that. He doesn't make the hype around himself. But he's still yet to just hit that level that everyone is expecting from him. Again, we spoke about it last week, but there is one unique thing around the Storm, how they rip you all back and they build you back from the ground up with your defence. Super keen to see Stefano next year after he's had that first year. You go back and look at Katoa's first year. It was all about defence. Blaw's first year, all about defence. Super interested to see what the Storm do with the big fella next year.
I do find that frustrating, though. Like, if he comes out and plays well next week, like, mate, Keon's been playing unbelievably well for 6 and 7 weeks now.
Yeah, fair.
He's been there before. He's done it. You know, Stefano's been there before. Hasn't done it to the same level. It just doesn't make sense. And I feel sorry for Stefano to some extent because I think it's evident he's not ready for it. I don't think he's ready for it. And I think that he's being put in positions that I don't think he's able to do the job in.
Oh, like, I mean, I think we'd all agree because, like, none of us had him in our New South Wales side. No. So I agree with you, Roo. I agree with you. I just get empathetic about guys like this because they don't hype themselves up.
100%. Yeah. And as I said, I feel sorry for him because I think he's getting put in spots that he probably shouldn't be put in right now.
Yeah, it's like you're an Origin front rower and you're going back and you're running regularly for sub 100 metres. It's not like a playmaker, a fullback, or a half where they go back and you need to see try assists and tries and line breaks and all that and creative stuff. It's like, no, a front rower at Origin level should be able to go out to club level and roll up their sleeves and run for their 100+ metres every week.
Well, I mean, look at pretty much all the other front rowers. Look what Payne Haas would go back and do. Yep. I'm sure Max King would go back. So you have something to compare him to.
Not to mention the whole week. Hey, you're playing Keon. You're playing the bloke that wants your jersey. In his defence on the other side, as you've been saying for weeks, mate, like he's missed one tackle in the last 7 weeks.
Yeah, and I think that's the angle that they're looking at. And we all are guilty of just looking at attack. There's 2 parts to the game. And I think that's what they're looking at. Defensively, he's improved out of sight this year. And that is what Melbourne Storm do. But in saying that, like, it's not like Keon's been poor in defence either. So, what do you got there, Matty?
The article's mainly about that he's, got faith in the current group. But obviously, Koloamatangi was part of that wider squad, so he could be their game 3. Like, Koloamatangi was in the squad, so that could count in under that as well. Fair.
Okay. Anything else on the Rabbitohs, boys?
No, good, mate.
Oh, sorry, Rabbitohs fans. We've spent a bit there on the... just quickly, I thought Ewan Aiken was really, really good again. Has he been... signing of the year is too dramatic. But I will say his signing hasn't been anywhere near appreciated as much as it should be.
Yeah, I agree.
He's been our signing of the year, I think. And I'm putting him above Humphries at the moment.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
I'd agree with that, actually.
Yeah.
Like, he missed the start of the season, Ewan Aiken.
Yep.
Since he's come, he's been amazing. And, mate, this really good month that I hope turns into a really good season for Tallis Duncan continues. I thought he was good on the weekend again.
Yeah, he's improved far out. Just given that opportunity to stay in that position. I tell you what, like him and Ewan Aiken, like at full strength, if you have them on the edge with a forward rotation of maybe Murray at 13, Keon up front with Jai, like, geez. Cheese as well. Jeez. Like, this team at full strength is a friggin' problem. Like, Cheese coming into this roster? Wow. And then Mamazelis, when is he back? Is he back at all this year?
He's like a TBC type thing. Okay. I think he was meant to be 6 weeks and it was Magic Round. So we're getting to that point now. So I'm sure he's close.
Okay. Anyway, on to the next game. Broncos defeat the Sharks 34-28. Brought to you by Good Day and Daylights. Use code DMP for 10% off at begoodhealth.com.au. So that's begoodhealth.com.au. Multivitamin, the best in the business. We all use it, guys, so make sure to get on board. Super convenient. Get around it. Broncos v. the Sharks. Broncos get the job done 34-28. Look, honestly, you could go into this game and you can get what you want out of it. You could nitpick the shit out of it and go, what the hell was that? Or you could say, listen, Broncos were really poor the first half. When they needed to win, they pulled it out. They got the job done. So as a Broncos fan, I'm just happy. Take the win and move on. They desperately needed a good win like that. As a Sharkies fan, geez, it doesn't get much more disappointing than that. You have this incredible first half where you defend your backside off. You have this really good attack where you're tearing the Broncos apart. You get them into this position where, what did we speak about last week? The lack of ruthlessness that the Sharkies have. And unfortunately, that lack of ruthlessness cost them an important win against the Brisbane Broncos. They could have really put some separation between them and the rest of the 8 with a win like this. A really, really vital loss for the Sharkies. And, you know, unfortunately, that last 10 minutes for Nico, it wasn't great. I do think it's just so disappointing for Nico because he built into the year so nicely and he had this really good 4 to 6 weeks of rugby league. But his last month or so, especially on the weekend, me personally, I think that like a lot of people are saying, bring Atkins in or whatever. I think that's too drastic at the moment. I think you're mixing too many things up. However, I personally think put Nico in the 6 jersey, put Trindle in the 7 jersey, and just be done with it. I think that's the only way to send because that's going to send a strong message to the Sharkies that, guys, Dally M winning 7 is being moved position. So movement's happening here. I think that needs to happen to just say, look, is Hines Hines at his best is a better player than Trindle, but is Trindle at this stage of his career more mentally suited to the 7 jersey? I think he might be. Just more confident, more willing to just back himself. Don't get me wrong, I do feel like sometimes Hines' criticism shades Trindle a little bit too much where people aren't critical. It's like even Trindle, I think, had an error in the end there. I think they need to go back to the 4 forward bench. I think carrying Atkinson is just a waste at the moment. But a super disappointing game for the Sharkies. Roo, what are your thoughts, mate?
Yeah, disappointing because I thought the halves were really good in the first half.
They were great.
I thought they both looked great, but then you're right. That last 10 minutes for Hines was a disaster. But also, I thought the turning point in this game was Trindle's kick out on the full.
Yeah,
that's where this game turned in that moment.
And everyone will talk about Hines, and rightly so. I'm not trying to deflect, but not enough will be spoken about. Trindle hasn't been great either, in my opinion.
Yeah, and that. Yeah, I thought as soon as he kicked out on the full, you just saw the Broncos get a real lift out of that. Obviously, the Cartella sin bin just on half time, and I know they won that period, but like we had the stats last year. I think it was about the sin bins, how it tends to affect you more after that 10-minute period once everyone's sort of back on. And you look at Brisbane won that period 22-0.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Yeah.
As soon as he came back on the field, 22-0 after that. But yeah, the first half, the halves are sensational. Blake Brayley, like I had him texted into Team of the Week at half time. He was flying.
He was
Blake
so
Brayley,
good. He
doing
was
incredible
tearing us
things.
apart.
And the Broncos looked like they had no answer. Like the Broncos were getting holes punched in them every single set of 6. They had no answer.
It was 4-0 in the line breaks in the first 16 minutes to the Sharkies, and it was all around. You know, a lot of Brayley had a lot to do with it. It was a decimation.
It's one of those games that shut. Like, and unfortunately, they're just starting to have more and more of these games.
They're just that spiteful ruthlessness. They need to just go, yeah, we got them on the ropes. Let's fucking put them away.
It was a really good point that I thought Tim made earlier in the show that, you know, a guy like Jayara would be unreal. That he loses and he's filthy, stares at the ceiling for the rest of the night. That's like and yeah, maybe moving Hines to 6. I agree with the point of view of that. I think all these guys know they're pretty comfortable in this side. Like Fitzy's made. Like what's the biggest change he's made in the last 3 years of this side? Like it took him. It took him 2.5 years to do it.
Yeah,
like,
that's the biggest one.
That's probably the biggest one.
And it took him playing out of his skin. I don't agree with like blowing up because like if you pull Hines out of the side now, like you are maybe I don't know, maybe that's right. I don't think so. I think at least initially put him in the 6 jersey. Trindle, this is your team now, and just let Hines take a backwards seat for a bit. What do you reckon, boys?
Yeah. Nico is such an interesting one, isn't he? Because he's got the talent of most halfbacks in the game, give or take a couple.
Look, the first half, it was outstanding.
And I go to sort of think he's, can't handle big games and he doesn't perform in big games and that. I think there's more to it than that. He's played well in big games and in finals games before. It's just closing them out and having that killer instinct. And we spoke last week about them not having that killer instinct and attitude and that win at all costs attitude. And we saw it on the weekend because he was fantastic for most of the game. But when you're the number 7 of a club, whether you're on $1 million or you're on 200,000, you need to steer your team around and get them home and close the game out, especially when you lead by that sort of margin. And he just didn't come up. And it's like he's just failing to do it in the big moments. And look, maybe that's Nico Hines and maybe that's okay. And, he'll have good seasons, but you're trying to win a premiership and you just go, if you can't close out big games and have moments then, it's like, well, how far can this team go?
That's why I reckon, because if you put him in the 6 jersey, you get all the good game bit, and you get someone else to close the game out. And so that the concern about in the last 10 minutes when the big calls need to be made, he's not making those calls. He's getting Trindle to make those calls, and he's the tip of the spear rather than being the handle kind of thing.
So specifically, you're saying you just have Trindle in the 7 and organising the team, getting him around the park, kick to this corner, do this, do that, and then Nico's role is what exactly?
He's the attacking 6. He's the tip of the spear. Like, for example, look at the try he scored out the back there. That's a 6. That's what a 6 would do.
I would essentially have Trindle as a 7, and Nico is almost like a second fullback in this footy side.
Yeah, absolutely.
Sweeping to both sides.
Dylan Brown-ish.
How it should have been the entire time.
And he's also he's got an outstanding ball playing game, Nico, but he also has. I think his running game is so underrated. Deceptive is the word. Like that 1, 2, 3. The first 3 steps he takes, he skins players so quickly, and because he's big, he's strong, but he's quick. And it's like probably because he is having to your boy's point, organising a team. He's worried about the next play and the next play. Like, mate, just run the ball.
And you're still going to get all the good stuff. Like, it was brilliant. So he'd identify Ezra Mann had just tried to pull a shot off on Rudolph. So what does Hines do? He goes, I'm coming straight back at you. See if you make that decision again. Boom. Go straight through the line again. Then they get to play with Trindle out the back, real tight block play, scores a try. You can do that as a 6. That's where Hines is at his best, where it's free-flowing, a bit of extra space, identifying when, whereas I just think just give the team to Trindle, put the 7 on his back, and look, then the argument is about, who's getting paid the most. Look, you can, when the contracts end, you can have that conversation with everyone. At the moment, I just think it's a strong enough change to send a bit of a warning shot to the rest of the roster that, guys, that's not good enough. But it's not so strong that you have to rebuild the whole season. People go, put Atkins in. But then what do you do next year then?
Yeah. And I think it's also yes, you're handing the team to Trindle, but I think you're handing the team to Trindle and Brayley.
Yeah, and Brayley as well.
Sure. Yeah.
They're the main guys. And you just say to Nico, mate, I just want you to be the best attacking player you can be.
Be the icing.
And also, if you want to sit here and, as rugby league fans love to do, point the finger at salaries and all that, Nico can be $1 million 5'8".
Absolutely, you can.
And, his impact in attack can be even more substantial. He's just not necessarily getting him around the park and worrying about closing it out.
Well, look at the first 40 minutes. I don't think there'd be any Sharks fans going, not happy with Hines. He was outstanding. Yep. So that's just where I reckon there's... Do you believe the change needs to happen, though?
I've been saying this for 2 years. He's not the best 7 at the club. He's the best footballer that wears 7. He's not the best 7 at the club. It's
more do you believe with the form that they're in right now that Fitzy has to send a message with some change?
Oh, I think so. And I also think with that Hines, the play that he, in my opinion, took the dive on the obstruction, it almost looked like that went in the it's too hard basket at the moment. And I thought that was an interesting call, by the way, because his foot did touch Hines. I think he took a dive personally. I think he played into it. But I wouldn't be surprised if that one opens a can of worms in the future.
Ironically, I reckon if Hines tried to get straight up and chase, I reckon he gets the penalty.
He probably does, yeah.
But I think at the optics of it...
He went down and all the Sharkies went, nope, it's over.
And I think it was the optics of it that the bunker was trying to send a message we are not going to reward this kind of play. I think it was a 50-50 call. Sometimes you get them, sometimes you don't. I think it's a good message to send. If you fight for the play, we'll give you the penalty. I know that might not have happened, but I'm assuming he did.
Yeah, because live, when I first watched it, I thought this will be a no try. His foot has touched Nico Hines. He has fallen over. But I respect the bunker for making the call. It opens up a can of worms. It's
absolutely. It's hard for me to talk about this because people go, you're going to be biased because the Broncos got the penalty. If they didn't give it to him, I would have been fine with it because I get it. It did touch him. But if you go back to all the stuff I've talked about, guys, I don't think players should be rewarded for milking that situation. And if it was against the Broncos, I'd say the same thing. If we want to send strong messages of if you fight to get to the tackle, we'll reward you for that. But if you dive and make it look bad, we're not going to reward you for that. Just quickly on the Sharkies thing, what are your thoughts on it, mate?
On the Hines diving or just in general?
In general, does change need to happen?
Yeah.
Would you move anything? What would you do?
Yeah, well, I think, I've probably been in the similar camp to Rue. I've thought they probably should have done that for a little while, to be honest with you. I was reading some stuff where in the Telegraph, some people saying, moving to fullback even. I think that's a bit too extreme. I think just take there is just that added burden that comes with the number 7 jersey. I just don't think he doesn't need it.
Yeah.
And the way that they play anyway, Trindle is the 7 and he's the 6 as it is. So just why not fully take that pressure off the number 7 thing and hopefully they can just let him play some good footy, doing the icing on the cake job.
Oh, and I also think that, like, if Trindle's the 7 and doesn't close out the game, don't get me wrong, that's just as bad, but there's going to be less headlines around that. So it's a win-win for everyone. But as soon as Hines is in that 7 role, he doesn't close out the game, and rightly so, it is wrong, he should close out the game, there are headlines around it. So I actually believe there's going to be less noise. You got less noise to work with if you're the Sharkies. The tough thing is, as I said, if you look at their first half, like, that Sharkies is a problem for teams, especially with Brayley out of dummy half. Like, honestly, all jokes aside, he must have woke up a couple of weeks ago and said, I'm changed. Like, and I wonder whether this to the camera after he scored that, was he scored the try? Was it he scored?
Yeah, he scored. Yeah.
When he was going like this to the camera, I wonder whether that was to a lot of Sharkies fans, and me too, questioning the running game. I wonder. I don't know what, maybe it wasn't, but it seems like the last few weeks he's just gone bang.
Might just be a Game of Thrones fan.
And a rock. And a rock fan.
He's a Gladiator fan. Is that not off? Are you not entertained? But yeah, since the last few weeks, he's been outstanding.
I'll tell you, in attack, he was fantastic. Britton Nicholas, stats so impressive, but geez, in defence, especially in the second half, God, there was some poor plays from him in defence.
It's just strange because he's been quite good.
Yeah.
He had the miss on Reece Walsh late in the game, which is a shocker. It was him and sort of AFB at fault for that Corey Pax try from dummy half, which was like inexcusable.
Mate, the Adam Reynolds one as well. He had a hold of Adam Reynolds and he fought him off to get the offload away. Like, very disappointing.
Weird.
Yeah.
And he was so good in attack in the first half as well. I'm with you. It was definitely a game to forget for Nikora. I know he was good in attack, but defensively cost him.
I'll tell you the other one too, and I've been critical of him over the last year or two, but I thought that was Toby Rudolph's best 30 minutes I've seen him.
He was great.
He was fantastic yesterday. If they can get that every week from Rudolph for 25 minutes, keeps that spot on the bench for sure.
I'm with you. He was great. Just trying to think. Teague Wilton's line break, that was outstanding, that line that he ran.
He had to go to hospital mid-game as well, Teague Wilton.
Yeah, Broncos right side. Jeez, got torn to absolute bits by the Sharkies.
Does every week, mate.
We'll get into it because it's like, it's the weird thing with Starks. Like, in attack, he was phenomenal, but in defence, like, some of those reads, like, we'll get into it in a bit. We'll stay on the Sharkies.
And just, we obviously spoke about Skelton at the start of the show. Katoa just on halftime.
Oh,
what are you doing,
bro?
What are you doing?
Talking about brain explosion.
You're on top.
And you could argue, did the kick out in the full turn the game? Maybe that turned the game. I don't know, but geez,
that was just so unnecessary.
Just looking, Talakai ran for a bazillion meters, but ironically, him also in defence got a bit torn apart as well. So it's like both of them. Toby Rudolph for the bench, outstanding. Like 123 metres in 33 minutes, outstanding. Just looking.
They were metres with intent too. When he returned, I think it was a drop-off, a dropout he returned. I haven't seen him run like that in years, Toby Rudolph.
Yep, absolutely. All right, anything else for the Sharkies, boys?
No.
Just on the bench, thoughts?
I'd keep Atkinson.
Would you?
Yeah, I don't think they need a 4-forward bench. I think they've got big minute forwards in there, namely AFB. We spoke about him last week. You can have AFB play 60 to 65, allow you to carry Atkinson. He offers really good coverage for your entire team because he's so versatile, offers key spine coverage in every position. And I just think they find a better way to utilise him. And you look at, even the way Tommy did and comes on at 13 in Origin and whatever that is. But, I think you can bring him on, a smaller body, through the middle, chasing a few points. I think he can add a lot of spark and energy. And, I don't think 4-4 bench is the go. I think Atkinson should be there.
See, I think the flip side, I think when he is brought on, his smaller body in the middle is concerning for the Sharkies and they get rolled a bit. I think they need to go back to a 4-forward bench. It's when they were at their best over the last few years. Yes, I totally get the coverage thing. Like, okay, look, if there's a game where they lose a half, then sure, I'm going to look like egg on my face. I think they need to go back to a 4-forward bench. I think that you can make an argument that middle period is where they lost the game. not necessarily lost the games towards the end, but you know what I'm saying. I just think I would like to see a full forward bench again. I just don't see he doesn't impact the game enough to carry.
It's not just him though. Like it's not just covering the halves. It's like if they do that, if they don't have him, then they go a full forward bench. If there's one injury in the back line, the entire 7 players, Britton Nickera has to go to centre basically. So you taking one of your strike weapons out and moving him to centre. I guess like a McInnes or someone could go to half if one of the halves went down, but they don't have very good coverage as it stands. So you don't really want to have to move Nickera to centre off one injury.
The only thing is like, what's your priority? To make sure you've got coverage every game, or to have a bench that impacts as much as possible? And I guess that's probably where you'll land on if you'd want Atkinson or
I want
bench.
coverage. And like, mate, you see these days how fit players are. Half the time benches, coaches don't use a player on their bench anyway, and it can be a forward. Like you said, we saw it with the Tigers on the weekend. We see it all the time. Players don't get used, or a player will get used for about 3 minutes, and it's just like, I just think they're fine.
The way, the Sharks bench used to be one of the most impactful in the competition. I haven't felt that in quite a while. Maybe that's injury, maybe that's players, or whatever.
To be fair, on the weekend, like Sif is now playing centre because of the injuries to Hiroti and Iro. So it's like they lose his punch off the bench. So it's a different bench regardless of what you do with Atkinson.
When Talakai is not available on the bench, it changes the conversation completely.
Yeah, I just think they've been at their best with the 4 forward bench. I don't think it's worked. I get the coverage idea. I just don't know if it's worked, to be honest.
I think the answer in the midway section to both of you is probably Putter as your 14.
Yeah,
Don't mind that.
He was good on the weekend.
Yeah, he was good.
He's a good player.
Yep.
You know, if you had an injury in your halves, he could jump in as a running 6 and play a role. You've got Trindle and 7 there who could play as the half. If you have a centre injury, sure, it is a Nickera that has to shift out there. Okay, but yeah, I think he's probably the better answer personally.
Yeah, Puri gives a decent option. I see so many teams that run a 4 forward bench without a genuine backline coverage. The second there's an injury, and they happen more often than not, they lose a game because a forward has to go to centre and they just get torn apart and lose games as a result. I don't think it's worth the risk.
I've looked at the last, I think, 3 or 4 games of Atkinson's been like 8 minutes, 10 minutes, 13 minutes, and it's like, 10 metres, 20 metres. I don't know you're getting the impact off the bench, but it's definitely subjective. Let us know, Sharkies fans, what do you reckon? Okay, on to the Broncos. This is going to sound insane, absolutely insane, but their attacking, it's going to make me cry. Their attacking structures are really poor. If you actually go and watch all their tries, they come off like individual, breaking a tackle and offloading, or Reynolds throwing over the top. Mate, I've got real concerns. I hate to be Debbie Downer, shout out mum. Their attacking structures have been really poor all year, and it sounds bizarre saying it when they scored 34 points, but if you go back and watch that first half, they had most of the field position, they had a high completion rate, and they had 0 line breaks. And their attack, I don't think there was a single try they scored off a set play that stripped them of numbers. I'm really concerned with their attacking structures. Obviously, their defence is 28 points. It's not good enough, for sure. But I think that they need to either completely overhaul or get someone else in, because it's just poor. Outside of that, though, love the fight they showed. Loved it.
Yeah, I don't disagree on that. They did have a heap of fight in this game to get back into it. What about that shot that Ezra Mann put on Britton Nickera?
Oh, great
That was
stuff.
insane.
Yeah. He's such a. I mean, with everything that's going on, you forget just how talented he is as a player. Obviously, you had that misread later on, but that was a great shot on Nickera.
That shot was just textbook.
Oh, mate.
Against one of the best line runner in the game.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
It was an unreal shot and then such a good statement in the game, but sorry to be Debbie Downer, shout out Kempy's mum. Defensively, I think he's quite poor. Like, that overshadowed some really poor defensive read. And that left edge of the Broncos, not just him, it's getting torn to shreds.
Well, the right edge's getting even.
The right edge did too. I said
pieces.
before, the right edge does every week. I meant to say the left edge of Ezra Mam, it's getting ripped apart.
I just think it's, as I said, they won. I'm stoked with it. But, they're winning off, their individual talent. Reece Walsh will make a line break, or there'll be an incredible run from Payne-Haas. He'll flick out the back. There's little things as a team that they aren't at an elite level. they don't identify when there's a quick play of the ball, or their wrestle isn't great, or their structures in attack are really, really poor. I think Trent Barrett's their attack coach, and respectfully, I just don't know if he's the answer at the moment. I know he was hired before Michael Maguire got there. Because as I said, like if you go and actually look at all their tries, they're off these like weird situations that, like, for example, the Corey Pakes one was just like a dummy and score.
Yeah.
But yeah, look, it's too hard. It's hard to. I don't want to be too negative because they showed so much fight and grit to fight their way back into this game, and they looked done. Like they looked out in their feet. They got key players hanging by a thread, and they fought their way back into it. Now, in defence, Staggs was like really poor. In attack, he was unbelievable. If he can just get his defence sorted, like, mate, play like that every week, you'll be knocking on the door for Origin again. Like, in attack at least. He was so good in attack.
Well, once you had your tail up in that second half, it was like a runaway train. Like, you had 14 offloads and you completed 85%. Payne Haas, he was just offloading at will. And I said Reece Walsh in particular playing off the back of that momentum in that second phase play. I said, not structured, which is a concern when you come up against sides that don't go to water like the Sharkies did in this one. There was so much energy, so much power in that second half.
Yeah.
You know, this is what the Broncos could be. But as you said, they're not going to get momentum swings like that every week.
Yeah, like I think like Walsh kicked, he had like 2 or 3 7-tackle set kicks. Like it's just like a lot of things where you just like, you can take whatever you want out of that game. You can seriously say that was a shocker, or you can say he's brilliant.
I thought Walsh early on when he had those 2 or 3 7-tackle sets that were just so far off the mark. I think he's overplaying his hand with his boot there. You've got Adam Reynolds, who's got this unbelievable kick, probably the best short kicking game in the NRL, and Reece Walsh is doing it. It's like, mate, you don't need to be doing this.
And also when he was kicking, it was like just one out, I'm going to kick.
Yeah.
Like there was no setup to it. It's like, mate, you've literally got, right now, I'm pretty sure statistically Renault's the best kicker. And if you actually look at like kicks into the pocket and deep kicks, he's the best in the comp.
He
like,
should
mate,
be doing all
everything.
the short kicking.
Everything.
And long for that matter.
And then
yeah.
then Walshy is just there for that. Anyway, that's the
Walsh
first
should be on the end of
Yeah.
Renault's grubbers in behind the line.
Yeah, I'm with you. But as I said, they showed so much fight to get back into it. And when they do get in the mood and they're chasing games, mate, they roll every team. They just roll them.
Frightening.
But it's just a matter of getting that for 80 minutes. What do you reckon, Rick?
I thought Wilson was really good too.
Yeah,
As
absolutely.
a guy that has been sort of up and down over the last year or 18 months, I thought this was a really solid game from him. Geez, you're a hard team to work out.
Honestly, if you looked at Staggs as just stats,
Yeah.
or you didn't watch the game closely, you would have said this guy has just played the game of his life, and not the game of his life, but 200 metres, 10 tackle breaks, 4 line breaks, 12 tackles, only 2 misses. But it does kind of typify what the Broncos are like. Like, you can look at them at the end of a game and you can take what you want out of it,
Yeah.
good or bad.
Staggs as well. Like, he ran for 200 metres. He had 10 tackle breaks. Like, he almost had more tackle breaks than he had touches of the football. He had 10 tackle breaks and 13 touches of the football.
Mental. Like, in attack, he's just phenomenal. Payne Haas, once again. I will say, even though we got the win and he probably was the difference, my concern is and we said this at the start of the year, did they have too big of a preseason? Are they starting to fall apart a little bit? Like, Reece Walsh was jumping and grabbing his leg before the game in the warm-up, going, my knee and that, could barely run.
Put 6 rolls of tape on it.
Mate, crazy.
But
But
credit to him.
Yeah.
When he got out there, I thought he had a really good game.
Yeah.
To be honest,
outside of those kicks and that.
Yeah, 1 or 2 of those, but, a line break, 3 line break assists, 2 try assists, 4 tackle breaks, and no errors as well.
Yeah.
So credit to him for...
Just shows you how important he is to the side.
100%.
Payne Haas, but yeah, back to him. He had 200 metres or 199, 86 post contact, 9 tackle breaks, but this is the kicker, 6 offloads, 40 tackles, only 1 miss, and he did all that in 58 minutes, and he was taken off with an injury.
And those 6 offloads, there was no flick it out the back and hope for the best. No. They were all just calculated. They all hit their mark. It was... I can't believe he came back on the field.
I know statistically he's not setting the world alight, but I do think Piakura is maturing quite a lot as a player. He's taking the smart option quite a bit more regularly. Don't get me wrong, he still needs to get quite a bit more out of him, but I do think he's maturing as a player where you can trust him on that edge. And as I said, he's going to be perfect, but I definitely think he's improving.
Yeah, he's been good. And that's it. Just strip it back. He doesn't need to do the flashy stuff. We know he runs a great line. It's just almost that Melbourne mentality of get your defence right, get the little things right. He's a not freak talent, he's a bloody good talent. The attack will come.
Yeah. I'm not sure what happened with Jesse Arthurs this game. He must have been injured or something. But of that clean drop, but like he had 8 runs, 79 metres. He's been quiet for a little bit. He started the year red hot. Then he went solid and he had all these tries. And yes, tries-wise, he's probably still up there or thereabouts. But this game specifically is really quiet. And it looks a bit flat at the moment, Jesse Arthurs. But yeah, look, brilliant win. Showed a lot of fight. Very proud. Like these are the kind of games where your form hasn't been great. They're 2 on the trot. You take them. You just take them.
Yeah.
Alrighty, Roosters defeat the Cowboys 42-8. 42-8. Don't forget to get your Grumpy Coffee from grumpycoffee.com.au. The best coffee in all the land. We've got pods, whole bean ground. We've got it all. Okay, Roosters 42-8. I tell you what, the Roosters, it was really interesting. I put up a poll, can the Roosters make the 8? And for like the first 10 minutes, it was like, no. And it was in the middle of the Roosters game and they were 13 plus ahead. And I was like, what the hell is going on here? But it just must have been a bunch of Roosters haters in my story because after that 10 minutes, it totally flipped on its head and became, yes, absolutely, they will. The Roosters, their ability to fly under the radar. They don't even have Sammy Walker back yet. He's obviously out with his broken thumb again. Their main man is not back in the side, and they've just gone and absolutely towed the Cowboys up. I think they make the 8, and I think they're one of the teams to watch in regards to if they're making the 8 now, what are they doing next year with all the players that they want in that squad with an extra year under their belt with some of these younger guys? I've said it week in, week out. One of the stories of the year is Roosters juniors that they've developed that are playing such good footy at the moment in first grade. Root?
So they're in the 8 right now, are they?
Yeah,
pretty sure.
Yeah, right. So, yeah, their next few weeks, they've got a bye next week, then they go Tigers, Dragons, Sharks. Well, that's 3 games that they could win there.
Absolutely. I mean, they already belted Sharks with their Resi side.
Yeah. Very impressive game by the Chooks. I thought Teddy was fantastic. Mark Nawangani-Tawase just...
Bruh.
It'd almost look weird if he just put the ball over the line, wouldn't it, without doing something
I said on my story...
obscene.
For some reason, got copyrighted. I said on my story, has he got already the 2 best tries of the year so far?
Yeah.
So he's
Probably.
got the one that was easily one of the greatest tries we've ever seen. And then the one against the Cowboys. That was unbelievable.
Mate, the other one last night that would have been a cracker too, it went out, but he ran through, he scooped up a loose ball and chipped it in one motion. It just went out, but I think if you go watch it, it's set up. If it would have landed in, that one would have been another cracker as well.
Like, he's the kind of guy where I look at him and I go, of course, in defence, he needs to sort under the high ball out, all that stuff, whatever. But if I'm a team, I'm going, let's not clip Nawangani-Tawase's wings and allow him to make 2 or 3 errors a game, and we'll defend it. Because I get worried that if you try and make him too conservative, we're not going to see this kind of brilliant stuff that we see. If you just back him all the way in, it's almost a little bit like the Reece Walsh thing. Like, granted, you don't want the 6 errors a game, but it's almost like, look, let him make an error or 2 because he actually can change games for you. And at the start of the year, I was almost of the mindset of like, just get all the errors out of his game. But I'm like, you know what? When he's scoring tries like that, let this bloke try things. As long as he has his defence and all sorted. What do you reckon, boys?
Yeah, I'm all for it. Just let him go. Like, I think the other thing with Nawangani-Tawase is that, like he's only played, 12 games of first grade, 15 games of first grade or whatever. But like when he was at the Wallabies and stuff, like he went to a World Cup, like he's played in big games as well. Like I think a lot of people are still sleeping on what he can achieve.
And already like what he's already done in his life. So when
Exactly
he has these big moments, it's like, this isn't new to this guy. He's already been on the biggest stage. What do you reckon, Timmy?
Yeah, well, I think when you talk about like trying not to clip his wings and the errors that come about, a lot of that for Mark Nawangani-Tawaze would be around his offloading, and you try and limit it for players around like, don't throw stupid like passes when you've got bodies on you and they're hard to get away. His control when he is in contact to control his offload and find the man, it's second to none. Like because he's so strong and so gifted. So I just think, as you said, he's still learning the game. The defensive issues, they'll get out of his game. Under the high ball, if there's some issues there, he'll get better. He's too good not to, I think. I don't think there's anything to worry about. He's just a freak.
Yeah, he's so good. And I will say, if there's one coach, I mean, the Roosters notoriously don't usually have a good completion rate. So Robbo is not he's not married to the idea of like you're not allowed to make errors. Like if there is a coach that will probably back Nwanga Nitawase in to do what he needs to do, but I reckon there's a lot of coaches that would clip his wings. That would be like, mate, yeah, you scored this incredible try or 2 tries or whatever, but you had 3 errors or whatever. I just hope that doesn't happen. I really don't, because he look at his highlight reel now. What's it going to be in a decade? Like, what's it going to be in a decade? And also, mate, keep him on the wing. I know he's got that great flick pass. I love it. It's awesome. Keep him on the wing. Jesus. Like, how much would you pay him for him at your club on the wing?
Yeah, 6, 7.
Mate, I'd go 7 easy.
Yeah,
I'd go 7 easy. What would you go, Timmy?
I think he's worth 7, yeah.
What do you reckon, Matty? Are you busy? That's all right. All good.
I think for a new club coming in,
Maybe even 8. Seriously.
yeah.
Gets bums on seats. Could be a pin-up boy. Played for his country, which helps. I tell you what, it might even be hard for the Roosters to bloody keep. Oh, well, I'm talking the Roosters here, but, you know, it might be hard for the Roosters to keep him with Perth.
They'll find a way.
But, I mean, Perth, they're going to have the money. As I said, he has played for his country, so if you're trying to appeal to a state that, you know, may have seen him play before, it's Perth.
I'll tell you the other thing too. Like, he's come from Union, like big flights and everything. That's part
Normal
of the parcel.
to him.
That's every week stuff for them.
Yep. He is a serious talent. I know we talk about it a lot of weeks, but I just want to talk about Teddy. Like, mate, I've got such admiration for what this guy continues to achieve. Like, he could have hung his boots up 2 or 3 years ago, or he could have not even hung his boots up. He could have taken a step back and said, you know what? Everyone's talking crap. Everyone says I'm washed. My resume speaks for itself. I'm just going to sit back, do my thing, and I'll still play at a 7 out of 10 each week. I'll still earn my pay packet. Not Tedesco. I honestly think he might be top 10 most competitive players of all time.
If Joseph Suaalii doesn't get sent off very early in Origin 1 last year, there's a chance that Tedesco has played the last 5 Origin games. Really, because that game the Blues were arguably better in despite losing the man and were in the fight for a lot of it. If they win that game, I don't think they change Teddy. And Teddy's, I don't think, played a bad game of NRL since that Origin. If they won game 1, he probably just stays there.
Well, he's probably about to back up best fullback of the season at Clubland 2 years in a row. At this age, what is he, 31, 32 or 30? Out there. It's just a testament to the competitor he is that he hasn't allowed... And also, he has tweaked his game to a degree. Like, he has improved from a few years ago where it was just like, it was the Teddy show. He has taken a step back and, you know, just shows you that his ego isn't out of control. Like, if there's any fullback that could have said, no, it's my way or the highway, it's Teddy. And he just hasn't. I just got such admiration for the way he's handled himself the last couple of years.
We mentioned, and I feel bad going back to Nico again, but like the Sharks in general and talking about that win at all costs attitude. James Tedesco wants to win at all costs, and his actions show that.
Yep.
And like his attitude and his desire in the back end of games, he does not stop. Like, that's what the Sharkies need.
Yeah. It's a great... Like, he will win in any way possible within the rules, obviously.
Yeah.
And it's infectious. It's infectious. And as I said, I just like the fact that this last couple of years he's found that balance between I need to take every hit up with I need to make other people shine. Because at the moment, he is making other people shine.
Well, Savala has been fantastic. So Sandon Smith. And in past years, when he probably had his one-off year by his standards, that was when he was overplaying his hand. He could easily be doing that now with rookie halves. But he's still getting a lot of touches and having a lot of runs. But he's giving those boys an opportunity to shine as well and do their job.
Absolutely. Billy Smith, once again. Geez, I know, people like to talk down on the Roosters and all that kind of stuff, but the loyalty they've shown to Billy Smith has been almost second to none, and they're getting the reward for it.
Yeah, for sure. I've said on a number of occasions, when Robbo talks to junior players, he uses him as an example. That if you do the right thing by us, we'll do the right thing by you. Billy Smith, there is still an elite centre there, in my opinion.
Yep.
His body just needs to help him for 2 seasons straight. I thought White was tremendous in this game. I think at the start of the year, there was still, for me anyway, there was still those moments in games where he'd miss a tackle or there'd be a drop, or there'd just be something always holding him back. But, geez, I think he's maturing really nicely in this side.
Well, heading into this year, I didn't know who they built this forward pack around. I didn't know. Maybe Lindsay Collins, but he's a little bit older now. So do you want to build youth? I have no doubt in my mind there's one big dog in this forward. Not one big dog. There's a main front rower that starts in this forward pack, and it's White.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think he is the main front rower. And I'll tell you what, watching Fekete play lock,
Right.
obviously Radley will come back. They've got a bye this week. He'll return the week after. It was a HIA, so we'll see with Rads. But
Do you ease him back in? Do you give Fekete an opportunity?
I think they'll put Radley back on the... Well, especially now with the Wong injury. I'm not sure where he's at. I think that's about a 6 week injury.
Yeah.
So I would assume they'll play Radley on the edge and they'll leave Fekete at 13.
I just love his youthful energy. He got a bit of ball playing. Obviously, that Lindsay Collins tried this.
Really nice ball player.
There's something we always talk about. You can't buy experience, but you also can't buy youthful energy.
Yeah.
When you're fresh, you're new to first grade, your body's feeling good, there has been. You look at a guy like Boyd Corner. He came into the grade as a try. He would rip your inside shoulder off and score tries, and he had this really attacking flair to him. He turned himself into a guy that just did all the hard stuff. And who's to say that Radley can't go a similar route where he was the ball-playing, attacking weapon, but he matures into a leader like Boyd Cordner, so he maybe sits out on edge, and maybe Fekete becomes that useful guy through the middle. It's happened before.
I loved that play. Fekete had Lindsay Collins next to him, State of Origin representative, and he called where he... Did you see that in the lead up to it?
Again, there's plenty of stories this year, like headline of the year. In my opinion, one of the stories of the year is the Roosters juniors that have come in this year.
Yeah.
I think a lot of us had, with Cheese out, with Sam Walker out, there was a period there where this is going to be a bottom four side. There was so much so that I said there was pressure on Robbo, so I got that wrong. I said that this could almost be like their 2016 year where he went to the directors and everything and said, listen, I just need one down year and then I'll come out big swinging, the next year. That's not the case at the moment. They're sitting in the 8 and they're going to make a big push for it. Yeah. Super exciting. Super exciting. Anything else with the Roosters, boys?
Just anyone who backed up from Origin were elite.
Spencer, great.
Spencer was great.
Connor Watson, 80 minutes.
Outrageous.
On back up. I mean, he didn't play big Origin minutes, to be fair, but still.
I will say, and it didn't really get spoken about enough, but I think the Roosters should be incredibly proud at what Spencer and Lindsay Collins delivered in Origin in regards to the way, they played like front rowers that you would hope the way Origin is played. Tough, relentless. No one took a backward step, and they're both from the Roosters. I think the Roosters should be really proud of the performance both those players put on. I really do. And it's a testament. Look, sometimes I feel like Robbo can lean a bit too far into the gladiator side of rugby league, like ruthlessness, almost wanting his front rowers to be too aggressive. But in this scenario, for me, I think it's a real testament to what the club has built, that they can have two front rowers from either state, go toe-to-toe and put on the performance they did for either state.
I thought another thing too, I just mentioned how Fekete jumped into first receiver, had an Origin prop, told him where to go and whatnot. I love that when Benaya, the 9 that comes off the bench, when he got the ball, they had a little bit of an overlap, and these young kids just have the confidence for him to look up and go, okay, there's space there. I'm just going to kick and find Daniel Tupu there. That's credit to coaching as well, that these guys can come into first grade and have the confidence to do that kind of stuff. Not look for Teddy or whoever it might be, the experienced player. Just go, I can see it, I'm going to do it.
Yeah, no, agreed. Absolutely agreed. Okay, on to the Cowboys. Oh, no. It is unravelling fast up there at the North Queensland Cowboys. The concern is this, is that, okay, yes, are the Cowboys a team that could just turn things around and find themselves at the end of the year in the 8? Maybe. That is definitely possible. They're one of the few teams that have this ability to go on runs. The concern I have is you can't build seasons on this, and you're definitely not winning premierships on this up and down football, up and down, up and down, up and down. It's just becoming a part of their DNA that they are a streaky club. And the why I feel sorry for Peyton is there's no way he coaches this team to be streaky. And I just don't know what direction they head to get rid of this streakiness in this school. Is it the senior playing group? They've got guys like Robson, Cotter, Dearden, the toughest. Dearden couldn't have tried harder on the weekend. He literally couldn't have tried harder. It's just a real concern that it has become part of their DNA that they're a streaky club. And I'm getting concerned that if they do squeeze into the 8, it's another year where they go, but we made the 8, Boys, what do you reckon?
Yeah, I agree. And like sitting with Rando about 4 weeks ago, looking at the ladder, and they were in 6th, and I was just going, how the fuck is this team there? Like, based on their performance over the last month or so, I think they're like 11th or 12th at the moment. Like, even that sometimes feels like overs. Like, the amount of points, like, they must be close to 100 points in 3 weeks, right? Probably more.
Mate, it's been a tough.
It's been brutal.
So they're minus 140 right now, which is the worst points differential in the competition. They are worse than the Gold Coast Titans right now.
That's insane.
Yeah. Yeah.
You've got 5 Origin players.
Guru, it's 102 weeks.
102 weeks.
Yeah.
Fuck.
They're 1 from 3.
They're a top 8 team when that 2-week period started.
Their form is 1 and 3 over the last month.
Jeez.
And one of those games was against the 12-man Tigers too. You know.
Yeah, for 20 minutes.
Yeah.
You had 2 sin bins
Yeah.
at home.
They're, sounds harsh, but they're almost like a better version of the Titans. Like, you just have no idea what you're going to get each week. And as I said, they can go on runs, but they can go on runs both ways. And they're so unpredictable. They've got highs in them where, you know, they can beat, you know, most teams in the comp, if not all. But their lows, like, they can get belted by any team in the competition on any given week. Like, I mean, didn't help the result, obviously, but I will say credit to Todd Payton, just sat here and said, why don't they rest players more? He did rest a couple of players. His son, Ruben Cotter, Reece Robson, he's given them time to recover, so I like that. But look, even with them boys on deck over the last month or so, they've been ordinary, so it's alarm bells.
Like, they still had a back line of Labert, Talangi, Derby, Drinkwater.
Braden Burns came in. He was great too, I thought.
He's good. Purdue did, and they're starting.
Still a good team.
It's still a good team. Their starting forwards were McLean, Hess. I thought Hess had actually some good moments. Bateman, Nanai. Like, it's like Griffin Neem.
Sam McIntyre.
Like, this is still a decent side, bro. Still a decent side. You know, when you look across and you see the Rabbitohs fighting for everything, even the Dolphins to a degree. I mean, even the Broncos. Like, for all the slack they get, like, at least they're fighting. You know what? Yeah. I'd love to know, Cowboys fans. Like, it's like, we could sit here and speak for the next 20 minutes about all the things we've spoken about for the whole year, about consistency, and who knows, they could turn around next week and they go on this streak. But I'm to the point where even if they do go on a streak, you can't build a season on this kind of footy. And it's been year after year after year. Like, something needs to change, whether it's Payton needs to change the way he's coaching, or whether people underneath Payton. Because I don't know whether moving Payton on is a good idea just yet. I will say you've got a guy like Josh Hannay who has a connection to the club. He's got a lot of raps in him. He nearly got the Eels job. So there's that kind of pressure. But I just, the tough thing I think for Payton is, like, there's no way he's coaching them to play like this. That's the whereas, like, I look at a Seabold at Manly, and, like, he does have a tendency to coach teams to be kind of the way the Manly Seagulls are. You go back to the Broncos. I'm not saying he intentionally goes out and plays inconsistently, but there is like, it does kind of suit the way. Whereas there's no way this suits Payton's style of rugby league. So I don't know what to say. So I don't know what to say really.
If I'm looking for a positive, I thought Braden Burns was really good in this game for them. He came in, 16 runs, 130 metres. He had 7 tackle breaks and 5 offloads in this one, Braden Burns.
That hit and spin he had for the try was so good. Like,
we're
the number one fans of Braden Burns on this podcast.
Yeah.
Like, I sort of thought he might have played a bit more for him at stages this year with injuries and outs and a few different things, but just played the 4 cup games this year because, I'm assuming probably injury, but in his 4 games there, he scored 3 tries, he had 3 try assists. Like, he's such a good footballer.
Well, he had a wing spot locked up in this side for round 1, and then he got injured.
Yeah.
Averaging 150 plus metres in those games. Like,
yeah, I think they should find a spot for him somewhere in there.
I will say, Murray Talangi obviously had a few errors, but he did try his backside off. He ended up running
off.
Yeah. He worked his backside off. I thought that try that he scored where Teddy essentially head-eyed him, like, the ability to get that ball down like that after getting hit as hard as he did from Teddy, like, only Talangi can do stuff like that. He is just such a bloody good finisher. I know he had errors, but I really like the way he played, and I do think there's probably going to be pressure on that Queensland squad to a degree if KP, whatever happens there. But I thought he tried his heart out. I really do. Cohen Hess had some decent moments. Griffin Neen had some decent moments. But, geez, it's getting into disaster areas for the Cowboys.
Yeah.
So, yes, sorry, guys, but we could repeat what we're saying about the Cowboys. If there's some young guy, like, I will say, I think ever since Purdue moved into 6, I don't know if it's been the right decision. I think he was killing it at centre. I think Clifford, his kicking game, did they lose? I think they'd won 3 and lost 1, and he got dropped. And I understand the direction of the club, but I don't know whether it's worked. I don't know whether it was the right call, because ever since then he hasn't played as well, and the team hasn't played as well overall. I think there's a consideration to bring Clifford back in. You get a long kicking game. You can move Purdue back, because ever since Purdue moved to 6, we haven't heard about him. Before Purdue moved to 6, he was one of the outside backs of the competition.
I think he did all right the first few weeks. I think the last 2 or 3 it's been quiet.
Yeah, I still don't think he's played anywhere near as good as he did centre. I don't think he's been bad. I just don't think he's been anywhere near his level.
So Rando actually put up a stat last night comparing the halves. So Dearden and Clifford, and then Purdue and Dearden. Dearden and Clifford 1-4, draw 1, lost 2. Purdue and Dearden 1-1, lost 3. But points per game, 28 with the first combo, 15 with the second combo.
Wow.
Line breaks per game, 6.3 first combo, 4.8 second combo. And yeah, they're basically all similar to that.
And ironically, a lot of those line breaks would have come from Purdue in centre with Clifford.
Yeah, that's true.
And the 2 games they lost in that stretch, Warriors 30-26, which now looks great.
That was an incredible game.
Yeah. And then round 3. So the first game that Clifford got recalled, they lost to the Broncos 26-16, who started the season well.
Red hot. Yep.
And then they made the move after that. I think Purdue is too good to stay centre long term, but you got to remember, he's still young. He got moved in there when they were going well.
I just don't see the need for it. I don't get it. Why is there a need to move Purdue, one of the best centres in the competition, in his first season essentially, into a high-pressure position that now their season's completely derailed from it? And I'm not saying it's Purdue's fault. I don't think he's been terrible at all. It's just I don't get it. I think you've got to bring...
Doesn't he get a lot of appreciation, old Drakey Clifford, does he? He's rock solid.
Mate, bring him back in.
Getting results, got the long kicking game, solid defender. So not saying he's a world beater, but he's also not paid like a world beater. So,
and I understand the long play of Dearden going to be a long-term 7, but I don't think the club's in a position to be making that call yet. They got to, unless you're in the middle of a rebuild or something. I don't know, but yeah. Anyway, I just think it needs to change. I'd be bringing, especially after that loss the last few weeks, I'd be bringing Clifford back in, Purdue back to centres, and Dearden back to 6.
Titans v Cowboys 4:05 next Sunday. Overs unders could be at 100 for that.
It's 60-50.
Trying to pick that result, seriously.
Yeah, good luck with that one. Good luck. Okay, on to the next game. Eels defeat the Titans 36-20. What an incredible win from the Eels. So they lose Brown, they lose Moses, and this just shows you how far this club has come. And I know people go, it's just the Titans. Bro, this Eels side was a reserve grade side at the start of the year. What are you talking about? This Eels side at the start of the year was genuinely probably would have been top 4 in New South Wales Cup. That's what the standard of level they were playing at, because, and I've just got so much respect for Riles, he had a system, he had a style of play, he believed in it, and he wasn't going to go away from it just to get a few easy wins. He didn't. He stuck with it. For them to go out and beat the Titans the way they did, and it was actually quite dominant for a period there, that's an outstanding win from the Eels. They really are a side that, yes, will they make the 8? Probably not. Probably not. They still mathematically can. But I think this has been a massive, massive win for the Eels. The fact that they're in the depths of a rebuild, but they're still fighting around the 8, even when they're missing key players.
Completely agree. I thought the Titans were going to get a win here, to be honest with you. Just with Parramatta halves out and whatnot. Papali playing out of position in the 5'8" role. But we spoke about him earlier in the show. I thought Iongi was the difference in this one. He was tremendous.
Mate, it's funny. We were watching Origin Game 2, and there was a part of me that's mate, I just want a fullback that takes 25 to 30 hit-ups and gives me 200 metres. in Origin, I wouldn't select him. But that's just how good he is playing. That sometimes when you've got a guy like KP, who unfortunately form-wise just isn't great right now, it's who's next up?
And he gives you those meters, but he's also got the polish of the ball playing and the running, the running game and cutting between and he's not just a big meter eating fullback.
That's what I mean.
He's so, as I said at the start when we spoke about him, he's so well rounded.
Yeah, and so I know it's too early. I really do, but at the moment he's the most consistent at fullback for a Queenslander. If you took out the fact that he was in a rookie year and you just looked at who's the most consistent Queensland fullback this year, it's Iongi, in my opinion anyway.
What about Lomax backing up from Origin? He had 25 runs. That's a run every 3 minutes.
I just want to know, when did Zach Lomax wake up and say, yeah, I'm going to start having a crack now? Like, I want to know what happened in his life to go from the guy with all the potential to guaranteed 9 out of 10 every single week. And also be known for your mental toughness.
They're playing the Dragons this week at Wynn Stadium.
Yep.
He could break the record for runs in a game.
I will say, look, for all of his flaws, Lomax for coming through with all his potential, whatever, I do think the narrative about him desperate to play centre and he wouldn't play anywhere else, and that's why he left the Dragons. Like, it just doesn't match up to how he played in the wing. Like, if you've got a guy that's sooking and is like, I refuse to play wing, that's all I want to be, why would he play as good as he does on the wing? It sounds to me like he says openly, I want to play centre, but I'll play wing if you want me to. His actions don't match up with the narrative that was painted when he left the Dragons, in my opinion.
I personally think that whole conversation was a nice way of saying, I don't want to be here.
Agreed.
I want to be somewhere else.
Yeah.
I want to be anywhere else, potentially.
And I think it was a good way of the Dragons to paint the situation so it made sense that he was leaving. And it just it benefited a lot of people to say that he was just sooking and he didn't want to play anywhere else other than centre.
Shout out to Zach too. 6 from 6 goals in this one. Obviously coming off a tough night on Wednesday. Great bounce back.
What a bounce back. And again, it shows you the mentality. Like, could have gone into his shell, could have even been a bit sooky in the sense that, hey, I've played so well at Origin and all I did was not kick well and you're going to blame me for everything. Comes out and just rips and tears. Such a fan of his turnaround in his career.
Coming out of this game, Pensini and Riley Smith suspended for 2 to 3 weeks.
Ouch.
Big losses.
What about the Foxes' resurgence?
Outrageous.
Bro.
His last month or 6 weeks of footy's been unbelievable. Over 200 metres in this one, 220, but not just finding open ground, 85 post-contact metres, doing the hard stuff as well.
Who would have thought the Fox would turn into this kind of player?
Yeah.
When he came into grade, he was a finisher, an electrifying finisher. Now he's almost turning into a meter eater.
Yeah.
It's crazy. It's crazy. It's just, it's good. They've got him for another year as well. Probably relatively cheap, I'd assume.
Yep.
Which is good.
Another great week from Kidione Kautonga, who is just such a devastating line runner, and credit to Jason Riles picking him over the likes of Cartwright and Madison, these established first grades at the start of the year. And just one of them ones you felt like, there's going to be too many errors in his game. Like, how long will this last? And he's just taken it with both hands. 35 tackles, just 2 misses on the weekend. We know what he can do with ball in hand, but his evolution this year's been awesome to watch.
Yeah, and look, he's still rough around the edges, but he's a really good example of a coach saying, I believe in you, and yes, you are going to make errors, but I'm going to stick with you. He's playing with such, honestly, if you watched him play in the start of the year to now, you would think they're 2 different people, literally. And you know what? They probably are 2 different people.
Yeah.
They really probably are 2 different people, where he's probably walking into training with his shoulders back, confident, feel like he belongs. I'm sure he probably was shy. You know what I mean? I'm sure he was a different person. And again, it's credit to Riles what he's done with somebody. Like a guy like Footy Dean. He's a guy that was a New South Wales Cup half. Even, because he was at the club before Riles got there, didn't he? Or did he come across... He was at South, sorry. He was at South and he'd played plenty of New South Wales Cup. He would come in and he wouldn't actually set the world alight. Again, a measurement of how good a coach is when you can see a player that he's been at other organisations or whatever, doesn't seem to be working, goes under Riles, and even a guy that's on the fringes of first grade, every time he gets a chance, he kills it. Again, it's sign of a good coach. Sign of a good coach.
Doing good things.
Yeah, it's just...
He's becoming, Kautonga, he's becoming a real focal... shouldn't say focal point of their attack, but a real go-to. When they're struggling for points or they need something, they go to him, and he's just busting games open.
Yeah, I'm with you. It's just, I think Junior Paolo, I think his leadership this year has been something that, Junior Paolo at the start of his career, he had some off-field stuff going on. He went to Rays, came back, all that stuff. The man he's matured into, he's a big reason. He would be one of the key members of their senior playing group, especially in the forwards. He is their senior player in the forwards. And again, he deserves a lot of credit as well for what they're doing at the moment.
Aren't they a wild team with these 2 edge back rowers that on their day they can be 2 of the most damaging back rowers in rugby league, but on their day as well, they can not get off the bus essentially. But just when they're on, Kelmer and him, like, they're just an absolute handful. You mentioned obviously Junior being part of, one of the leaders there. Jack Williams, mate, his last few weeks since coming back from injury, he's been fantastic as well. He's playing sort of 65 minutes per game and the rest sometimes. He's been brilliant.
Yeah, 40 tackles, 1 miss. Wow. And you know what? No errors. And matter of fact, he's gotten to the point where he's not making errors. Another one I want to talk about, Joash Papali at number 6, a small body. So much so that we all sit here and go, I don't know, like he's probably too small to be in the front line. Comes on, didn't set the world alight, but I'll tell you what he did do. He made 30 tackles and he had 1 miss at number 6.
Yep.
Again, testament to what Riles is doing out there.
Like he plays
exciting.
fullback week in, week out.
Mate, and what would he be, 5'8"?
Yeah.
5'8", maybe 80 kilos?
Up to Enrelev, where he's played, a couple of games and thrown into the front line defensively and does that.
Yeah, outstanding. Absolutely outstanding. Really, really good win for the Eels. And I've got to say, if Brown and Moses were fully fit for the whole year, I reckon they're fighting for the 8. I really reckon. Matter of fact, I might even go as far as say they may make the 8 if they were fully fit the whole year. Because right now, yes, they're still in 15th, but they got 5 wins. That's only 1 win outside the 8. And I know, there's a lot of other teams or whatever, but who's to say when Mitchell comes back and when Brown comes back, they can't go on a bit of a run? It's incredible. Absolutely incredible.
Sorry, were you saying Josh Papali'i 5'8"?
Yeah, well,
They've done him absolute dirty on Para Eels website. They've got him at 5'4". 166 centimetres.
Timber Bavuma sort of.
someone has stitched him up at the Para Eels there. Who do you reckon? You reckon that's Mitchy Moses? Yeah, stitch him up, the young fella. There's no way he's that little.
No
Jesus, 5'4".
Yeah.
That's a travesty. I'm going straight to HR if I'm going. That's bullying. Nah, just joking. Just
on that as well, like without the halves, obviously a big talking point. Like Dill Walker only played 30 minutes.
Yeah. Mate.
Wow.
Like you'd expect if Parramatta had a big win without those 2 halves, Dill Walker's playing through the middle, controlling everything. And then once again, just credit to Dean Hawkins. I thought, I've been critical of him in the past. I thought that was his best game in first grade. He looked in total control.
I mean, his last game he had 4 tries just or whatever, and yet and then he comes to this game, completely controls it. I'm with you, mate. I thought he was outstanding.
And in that last game, he had 4. Like there was a few like rebounded kicks and things that worked out. He was just in total control in this game, I thought.
And it's just a testament to how much Riles has developed these players. It just is. Now, quickly on the Titans before we finish up. Sorry, Titans fans, but what is it? What is it to say? I don't think this playing group is playing for Desi. I don't think it's connected the way he thought it was going to connect. You're not going to clean out your whole roster. You're already re-signing blokes till 2030, 2028. I don't think the Desi has the experiences work. The problem is how many coaches have the Titans had? Unfortunately, it looked like the Holbrook situation was building towards something. I really do believe that. I know Titans fans don't like hearing that. It is what it is. It's changed, obviously. But I don't know where they go from here. Because if you get rid of Desi, you're basically letting the players get away with what's happened over the last few years. But if you don't, is this just going to keep like wooden spoons? I don't know what to do. I don't know what the right answer is, Root.
Yeah, I've got no idea what they should do, the Titans. No idea whatsoever. But they're at a point where I'm looking at the Bears coming in going, Christ, come and rescue a few careers here. Just get them out of the Titans. Because I just don't see it turning around anytime soon. Like, who's going to be the coach you're going to go out and get if Des Hasler didn't work?
The only thing, is Desi past it? Is that it? That's an option. I don't know.
And you know what? Maybe Des is past it, but a lot of dudes that have been past it apparently at the Titans.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's the thing. Like, if you do move Desi on, what message are you sending to the playing group then? It's like, guys, you just play poorly, we'll get rid of another coach for you. And what's weird is like Gold Coast Titans, they're almost too nice of a club. Like, I feel like, Timmy, what do you reckon, mate?
Yeah, well, we struggled to get too excited for them last week after a big win over Manly because we're like, well, history says, and by history I mean the last 10 years, they won't back this up and it'll go pear-shaped. They come out and get beaten by 16 points by the team coming last on the ladder. Titans are now
missing 2 of their key players.
Yeah, stone motherless on the bottom of the ladder, the only team on 12 points, and they've had 2 buys already. It's just like, it does make it hard to tell out wins for fans, I'm sure, but like to sit here and sort of analyse them each week, it goes, well, How do you get excited about it and be positive when you know the week later they're going to go back to where they're at?
Got to say, and I know, Titans fans don't want to hear us. I said the same thing about Haas. If Haas was to look elsewhere, I would get it. Tino's got to look elsewhere. This bloke cannot waste his career. It'd be one of the... Look, I know as a Titans fan, he was there to turn things around, but he deserves better in my opinion. I just think that he's wasting his best years away at a club that unfortunately is just not going to... It's not working at the moment.
Yeah, I think if I'm Perth, he's my number one target probably.
And, I know it's harsh to hear, but do we, as a rugby league fan, do we really want Tino winning wooden spoons? Like Tino, one of the most sought after players in the competition right now.
He's playing with a busted sternum or some sternum injury or something. I think it is there. Comes out, plays Origin, plays through the injury, backs up, and just what he gets around him for busting his ass week in, week out.
I don't know. I would love to know what's happening at that club, because you look at the roster individually. These boys are good players. They're really good players, but it is just not working. The only thing I can think of is Desi and them are just oil and water. They just do not mix. That's the only thing that makes sense to me. It seemed like under Holbrook there was some positive light, around the 10th or 9th or 11th or whatever. At the moment, it just looks like they're currently 2 wins on the bottom. So they've had 4 wins. The next best is the Rabbitohs at 6. Sorry, that's how crazy this thing is. So they're on 4 wins, but there's people with 6 wins inside the 8. It's just all these buys that make it all weird. But they're clear on the bottom with 4 wins. The closest is teams above them on 5, so they're clear on the bottom now. I think last week they weren't clear on the bottom.
If I'm Perth, I'm spending overs to get Tino, and I'm probably going to spend unders to get Jermaine Jolliffe there, and then you got 2 good forwards.
And before anyone comments that he's signed till 2030, he's got exit clauses after 26.
Far out.
How convenient.
Yeah. I don't know what else to say, boys.
It'd be stupid not to.
I mean, as if the Broncos let's say the Broncos missed the 8 here, I would not blame Payne Haas if he landed at a top tier club that was playing for finals. He deserves to win a premiership, in my opinion. And I think the same with Tino. I know Tino's already won one, but geez.
What about Jaden Campbell too? Gets the HIA, has to leave the field, means he misses next week. The week he's meant to return, they've got a bye, so we won't see Jaden Campbell for almost a month now.
God, bro. Oh. Wow.
Jeez.
We'll say Camperera, 2 tries, 230 metres. I mean, the bloke knows how to find it. Unbelievable.
Remarkable.
It's genuinely.
53 games, 53 tries.
Jeez.
About in this team.
It's unbelievable. It is one of the most remarkable things. If there's any bloke, how old is he? I was going to say, if there's any bloke that's going to get past Johnson.
23?
If there's any bloke that might be able to catch Alex Johnson, it's probably him.
Yep.
He plays for the rest of his career. I don't know what else to say.
He hasn't even been picked for every game for the Titans this year.
No.
Yeah, that's mental. I don't know what else to say. Honestly, I really don't. Boys, anything?
No, it's pretty grim stuff.
No.
Nah.
They completed at a higher rate than the Eels. Wow. Jeez.
Completed at 82% and got beaten by 16 points by the team coming last. Equal last.
Jesus. 14 offloads to 4. Yeah, I don't know. Sorry, Titans fans, but we'd just be repeating ourselves. We really would. You know what? I'd love to know your thoughts, because being from the Gold Coast, I have a soft spot in my heart for the Gold Coast. I want them to do well. I just don't know what the answer is anymore. I just don't know. Alrighty, let's face a bit of music, brought to you by our friends over at Sportsbet.
All right, big game on Thursday night. Panthers, $2.21 host the Dogs, $1.67. 2.5 points is the line. Big win, obviously, for the Panthers last week. Dogs coming off a bye.
2 secs. Sorry, mate.
All good.
Okay.
The Cameron Serrato Cup.
I am going to go. Panthers head-to-head.
Yep, 221.
Panthers 1-12.
Dogs
320.
1-12.
290.
Dogs 1-12.
290. I'm going to take Panthers head-to-head as well. $2.21.
Juicy, baby.
Going to be a great game. Speaking of great games, Manly $1.52 host the Tigers, $2.53. I'll be out of this one. 5.5 points is the line out at Brookie.
I'm going to go Tigers head-to-head.
Yep.
Tigers 13 plus.
$6. Don't mind that.
Manly 13 plus.
Come on, mate. 275. No wonder you're coming last.
Bad punning, mate.
I'll go Manly 1 to 12.
290. I'm going to take Tigers head-to-head. 253. Knights $3.37 host the Raiders. $1.33. 8.5 points is the line. This one's at Newcastle.
Knights 13 plus.
Geez, 925. That's outrageous stuff.
I will go Knights 1 to 12.
Raiders 1 to
430.
12.
280.
Knights with a start.
Yeah, I'm going to take the Raiders to cover the 8.5 points. Broncos $1.57 somehow. Host the Warriors $2.40. 5.5 points is the line.
I go Broncos minus 5.5.
Give me Wars head to head.
Yep.
Whilst, pardon me, 13 plus.
625.
Wires 13 plus.
Yeah, okay. I'm going to go Wires head-to-head $2.40.
Actually, give me 13 plus still. I'm not missing out on that.
Oh, okay.
That'll be too good on the panel.
What are
625.
they paying?
625.
625 you should get on.
I'm not disrespectful. I don't disrespect my team like that, mate.
They are your team. The Wars.
The Kemp Cup.
Ken Cup.
I hope they win by 12. It'll be funny as. Dragons $1.64 host the Eels $2.27. 3.5 points is the line.
Jeez, interesting one. So Brown and Moses, no, Brown back, Moses not.
Riley Smith out. Pensini out.
I'm going to go. I'm just going to go Dragons head to head.
Give me Eels 13 plus.
5.40.
Dragons 1 to 12.
I'll go
2.95.
Dragons head to head.
$1.64. I'm going to take the Eels head-to-head, 2.27. Dolphins, $1.55. Take on the Rabbitohs, $2.47. 4.5 points is the line in this one.
Dolphins 1 to 12.
2.95.
Bunnies 1 to 12.
3.50.
No idea. Dolphins 1 to 12.
Yeah.
I'm pretty conservative for South usually, but I got a feeling about this week. I'm going South 13 plus.
6.25. I honestly don't know which way.
Oh, I like that. I've got a feeling. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, I'm going to get on board that as well. South 13 plus, 6.25. Storm, $1.33 host the Sharks. 3.34. 9.5 points is the line in this one. Down in Melbourne, Sunday afternoon.
Sharks plus 9.5.
Give me Melbourne minus 9.5.
Yeah.
Storm 1 to 12.
2.90.
Storm minus the line, whatever it is. 9.5.
Yeah.
Actually, could I change mine, please?
You certainly can.
Sharks 1 to 12.
Yep. Nice. I'm going to take the Storm. Sharks 1 to 12, get you 4.30. I'm taking Storm minus 9.5. Last game. What a game. The Titans 2.27 host the Cowboys $1.64. 3.5 points is the line to bring us home 4 p.m. Sunday.
Titans 13 plus.
3.5 isn't enough, but I don't know which
5.30.
way.
Actually, you know what? I'll go conservative. Actually, I'll
unlike
go
you.
Titans head to head.
2.27.
Oh my top, baby! Don't be talking shit about
Boring
the
though.
top,
This is an
mate.
entertainment
You know
industry,
what's
mate.
boring? Getting towed up every week.
No, it's not, 'cause
Get
I'm
your
throwing
ass
wild
pounded.
stuff out there.
Titans 13 plus.
5.30, yeah.
Cowboys 13 plus.
3.05.
Titans 13 plus.
Yeah, I think I'm going to go Titans 13 plus as well. 5.30.
I can't believe you've chosen this game to be conservative.
Yeah.
Listen, boys.
Disappointing.
Listen,
This is
you're
the
talking
Wild
to
West.
number one. Okay, you're talking to number one. Show some respect. Show some respect.
You said the over-under in that one, you were predicting 100.
Was it
Rudy?
50.5?
50.5 is what they got it at the moment. So,
Matty told me 20 minutes ago.
yeah, the over's worth looking
Oh,
at. Just
right.
one other market for you to have a look at. The conversation's now moved from will Alex Johnson break the record this year to when will he do it? So you head to the Alex Johnson try scoring hub on the sports bet up. He needs 7 tries. I think it'll take him somewhere between 4 and 6 games. So that's where I'm looking at that market. But it's up there at the moment.
I reckon round 22 Broncos is paying 4.33. That's where he scored his first try. So I'm just going for the
I'm going to
narrative.
go round 23 Titans.
Yeah, I like the Titans at 5.50.
Yeah, because he might score about 7 tries in that game alone.
The way he's going, he could do it this weekend, to be honest.
Maybe. Seriously.
4 on the weekend.
Where are their games over
Well,
the
Dolphins
next...
and Eagles. So he would need 4 and 3. Okay, no, it's not going to happen.
Yeah.
Panthers, though. $5.
Where are there games over the next few weeks? Like
We've got one game at a call for the rest of the year. So
On the road.
on the road.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Anyway, go and check that out.
Go and check it out. Alex Johnson, try scoring hub. Give us a follow on the feed. Give Hammy a follow on the feed. All the good stuff. What else? Use the code BLOKE, codesports.com.au/bloke. Use code BLOKE. That is going soon. So make sure to use it, the code BLOKE. And as usual, we'll all go and fuck ourselves. Thank you.
Imagine what you could be buying instead. For free and confidential support, visit gamblinghelponline.org.au.